Chapter 1. Rebirth in the Apocalypse. Stripping the beauty of her attributes as the apocalypse descended and the streets became infested with zombies, Yuan found himself unexpectedly reborn. He discovered that his beautiful neighbor had a 3D printed attribute hovering above her head. When he stripped this attribute away, the 3D print transformed into a capability for infinite replication. With just a sample, any material could be infinitely reproduced, even space itself. Emergency announcement. A viral rain has swept across the globe, turning those who are drenched into zombies. Survivors are advised to secure their doors and windows and await military rescue. Upon reading the news on his phone, Yuan was finally convinced of his rebirth. Unfortunately, his luck had waned. He had returned to the day after the apocalypse began, and the chance to stockpile supplies and create a safe haven was out of reach. Gunfire erupted outside his window. Yuan stepped onto the balcony and gazed down to find the alley swarming with zombies. In his past life, he had narrowly escaped death. But this time, he was uncertain if fortune would favor him again. Taking a deep breath, he exhaled slowly, trying to dispel the anxiety that gripped his heart. As he raised his gaze, he noticed a girl on the opposite balcony also observing the chaos below. Strangely, a transparent card floated above her head. Jiang Xiaofan Attribute 1. 3D Printing, Orange. Attribute 2. Dance, Green. Attribute 3. Singing, White. Yuan thought he was imagining things and rubbed his eyes, yet the card remained. The dilapidated architecture of the old city meant that their balconies were separated by a mere 7 or 8 meters. As he rubbed his eyes, Jiang Xiaofan caught sight of him and exclaimed, "What are you doing? Never seen a beauty before? My bride price is 888,000. Can you afford it?" Her words left Yuan momentarily stunned. Bride price? In this apocalypse? Get real. At that moment, Jiang Xiaofan flaunted her alluring figure, teasingly inviting him to feast his eyes. Gaze all you want, but don't get too comfortable, loser. After her outburst, she tossed a broom toward him in frustration. Though it missed, her ire remained unquenched. Damn it, where's my gun? Yuan instinctively reached for his waist, only to realize he was unarmed in this rebirth. He cursed under his breath, recalling the formidable temperament of the fiery women from Sichuan and Chongqing. As his emotions settled, he couldn't help but think of the card above Jiang Xiaofan's head. He hadn't noticed it in his previous life. Why did it appear now? Could it be my golden finger? Just then, a voice echoed in his mind, affirming his thoughts. Yes, host. Any beauty rated at the goddess level will have an attribute card above her head. Only you can see it. By using your will to strip the attribute away, it can become your supernatural ability. Attributes transforming into powers? This is incredible. Rebirth indeed comes with its own golden fingers. The novels do not deceive me. After all, Jiang Xiaofan was fair-skinned, stunning, and statuesque, bearing the essence of a true goddess. Achieving a goddess-level appraisal. A card appeared above her head. Before the apocalypse, Jiang Xiaofan was a renowned internet celebrity with millions of followers, engaging in daily live streams filled with singing and dancing. She possessed a 3D printer in her home, utilizing it during broadcasts to slice and save data provided by her fans, subsequently printing anime characters as rewards. Jiang Xiaofan's attributes included 3D printing, dancing, and singing, indicating that these cards were related to her profession, hobbies, and specialties. Regrettably, Jiang Xiaofan had retreated to her room. He needed to devise a plan to coax her out. Yuan called out from the balcony several times, nearly alarming the zombies below, yet Jiang Xiaofan remained elusive. This left him in a state of distress. Without sighting the card above her head, he could not extract her attributes. At that moment, gunfire erupted from outside the alleyway, followed closely by the arrival of a military vehicle. Through the windshield, 2 soldiers clad in camouflage were barely visible, while the driver had become a zombie, gnawing on his comrade in the passenger seat. The military vehicle was now out of control, crashing through several zombies before colliding with the building beneath Yuan's residence. The soldier in the passenger seat broke free from the assault and brandished a shotgun, firing repeatedly to obliterate the heads of 3 zombies. More zombies surged toward him, blocking any escape routes. The only refuge lay within the nearby building. The soldier, wielding the shotgun, swiftly retreated into the structure. Meanwhile, upon hearing the gunfire, Jiang Xiaofan dashed to the balcony. Was it a rescue team? Peering over the railing with eager anticipation, she only spotted the wrecked military vehicle, despite having heard the gunfire. Where were the people? Frustrated, she finally revealed herself. The card above Jiang Xiaofan's head remained intact, and her 3 attributes had not changed. The 3D printing attribute stood out prominently, its bold, uppercase orange text signifying its significance. Time was of the essence. Yuan immediately focused his thoughts on the 3D printing attribute, envisioning the act of stripping away. I shall extract. In the next moment, the card above Jiang Xiaofan transformed. Jiang Xiaofan attribute, 3D printing, 60 taming degree allows for secondary extraction. Current taming degree 0. Secondary extraction still possible. However, upon extracting 3D printing, the attributes of dancing and singing would vanish. It seemed he could only choose one. Concurrently, as Yuan extracted Jiang Xiaofan's attribute, a mysterious force surged within him, and a card materialized before his eyes. Yuan attributes: Strength 11, Constitution 11, Agility 10, Spirit 9 ability, 3D printing. Click to view description. The attribute had indeed transformed into an ability. Yuan hastily clicked to read the description. 3D printing consumes spirit. Can replicate and print objects weighing no more than 10 pounds, devoid of life characteristics. Consumes spirit. Replicate and print. Yuan reacted swiftly. Was this not the essence of infinite replication? Astonishing. A mere 3D printing entry had been transformed into an extraordinary ability for boundless duplication. Could it be true? Yuan casually retrieved a half-pack of cigarettes from his pocket. He then summoned a mysterious force from within, enveloping the object, and what transpired next nearly dropped his jaw. The enigmatic energy manifested as an invisible 3D printer. In mere seconds, it conjured an entire pack of cigarettes from thin air atop the original. Upon opening the cigarette box, he discovered it contained 10 cigarettes, with wear on the packaging indistinguishable from the original. Incredible. It could indeed replicate with perfect fidelity. Remaining composed, Yuan directed the energy printer towards the replica, swiftly producing another half-pack of cigarettes. The duplicates could themselves be replicated. This newfound ability assured him. With infinite replication at his disposal, what was the need to hoard supplies? Food, water, medicine, clothing, even weapons and ammunition could be endlessly duplicated, provided he acquired a sample. This was a breakthrough. In this lifetime, he would soar to new heights. He glanced again at Jiang Xiaofan across from him, realizing this fierce girl was truly a treasure. You old pervert, just wait. Do you believe I want to gouge your eyes out? Get lost. Jiang Xiaofan retorted defiantly before turning away, her long ponytail swaying as she strode into the living room to draw the curtains. Yuan chuckled softly. Just wait, when hunger strikes. I shall be on the balcony cooking hot pot, and then we shall see who begs whom. The card above her head had yet to vanish. The 3D printing could continue. However, it required a taming level of 60. According to Yuan's understanding, taming was akin to training animals. First, let her experience hunger, then offer food as a reward. Of course, coercive methods could also be employed, such as threats or even torture. Yet, such forceful taming might sow seeds of resentment, leading to potential backlash. It was far better to adopt a method akin to animal training, carrot and stick. Reward compliance with sustenance, and withhold it for disobedience, thus fostering a willing subservience. At that moment, gunfire erupted outside the security door, followed by a man's anguished cries. Yuan swiftly approached the door, peering through the peephole. It was the soldier who had rushed into the building earlier. He was being overwhelmed and viciously torn apart by 3 zombies, his shotgun lying abandoned on the ground. Chapter 2. The refrigerator brimming with food, yet lacking weapons. The shotgun outside was a replica of the 870 model, specifically designed for export. Its craftsmanship was exquisite. Given the current industrial prowess of the summer country, its quality could rival that of American military factories. In his previous life, Yuan had possessed such a weapon. Yet at this moment, his excitement surged. With the capability of 3D printing for infinite replication, reclaiming that shotgun would mean possessing limitless ammunition. Even weapons could be ceaselessly replicated. However, outside the door, the zombies continued to feast upon the fallen warrior. He had to wait for them to disperse before he could venture out to retrieve a firearm. Yuan retreated, deciding to first replicate a batch of food. The kitchen was equipped with a refrigerator, rice cooker, microwave, and induction stove. All culinary appliances were readily available. Yet, the pantry contained only instant noodles and bottled water. It was not due to Yuan's laziness. He had never intended to cook at home. This apartment was merely a rental for monitoring Jiang Xiaofan across the street. To avoid drawing her attention, he had never even opened the curtains, let alone prepared a meal. Strictly speaking, Yuan had no intersection with Jiang Xiaofan. Nevertheless, she represented the initial step in his quest for vengeance. A year prior, his parents had perished in a deliberately orchestrated car accident, with one of the masterminds being Jiang Xiaofan's devoted admirer. Yuan sought to use Jiang Xiaofan as a means to lure out his enemies for a quiet reckoning. However, he had not anticipated that before he could exact his revenge, the apocalypse would descend upon him. Regaining his focus, Yuan took stock of his supplies. Half a box of instant noodles remained, along with 8 bottles of water. He resolved to replicate 5 boxes of instant noodles, not for his own consumption. After all, with infinite replication, why bother with instant noodles? But to exchange with his neighbors for fresh ingredients. Chickens, ducks, fish, and meat could be readily traded, allowing him to infinitely replicate those as well. Channeling the mysterious power within him, he transformed it into an invisible printer and enveloped the half-box of noodles. With a mere thought, the power began to model and print, replicating the noodles piece by piece. After approximately 2 minutes, the half-box of instant noodles had been successfully duplicated. How marvelous! Despite being aware of the wonders of 3D printing, he could not help but marvel at the process. Yuan combined the 2 half-boxes into one and continued the replication. As long as the weight did not exceed 10 pounds, he could print and duplicate it without issue. A box of instant noodles weighed around 3 pounds, including the packaging, posing no problem at all. Even if it were to exceed the weight limit, he could disassemble and replicate it in parts. After about 20 minutes, Yuan had successfully replicated 6 boxes of instant noodles. He planned to trade 5 boxes for other goods, keeping one as a baseline for future replication. Next, he intended to replicate some bottled water. Although the earlier replication of instant noodles had consumed some of his mental energy, the impact was negligible, equivalent to playing video games for 2 hours. At just 25 years of age, he was in the prime of his physical vigor and vitality. However, while attempting to replicate the bottled water, a complication arose. The 8 bottles were too heavy to replicate simultaneously. The printer indicated an overload, ceasing its function. Of course, there were no literal words or auditory alerts. The printer was a manifestation of Yuan's mysterious power, allowing him to instinctively recognize the source of the problem without any explicit notification. There was no other choice. He removed 1 bottle. The printer sprang to life, producing 7 bottles of mineral water in less than 30 seconds. It struck Yuan as peculiar. Why was the replication of mineral water so much faster than that of instant noodles? Moreover, the mental exertion seemed negligible. What could be the reason? As the question surfaced in his mind, an answer promptly emerged. Instant noodles are organic, while mineral water is inorganic. The replication of organic matter demands greater energy. Thus enlightened, Yuan continued to replicate mineral water, swiftly generating 2 boxes. That should suffice. He then transported 5 boxes of instant noodles to the balcony behind the kitchen. Many old houses in the main urban area feature balconies at both the front and back. The balcony behind the kitchen was conveniently situated just a meter away from the neighbors, enabling them to converse easily. Yuan picked up a mop and tapped it against the neighbor's balcony. Before long, a woman in her 40s peeked out from the kitchen. After confirming he was not a zombie, she cautiously approached the balcony and inquired, "What are you doing, young man?" "What kind of question was that? You are over 40. And I am in my 20s. That's not how one should take advantage of a situation." "I'm not doing anything," Yuan replied. "Sister, I merely wish to ask if you have any fresh ingredients at home to trade for instant noodles." He placed all 5 boxes of instant noodles on the balcony railing, which was sufficiently wide and sturdy, made of brick, ensuring nothing would fall. "Look, my home is overflowing with instant noodles. I'm practically sick of them. I'd like to exchange them for some different food items: rice, flour, oil, soy sauce, tea, chicken, duck, goose, fish, pork, beef, lamb, hot pot ingredients, snacks, vegetables, fruits, salad dressing. Anything would do. I don't need a lot, just a variety." Yuan's bold proposal left the neighbor utterly bewildered. "Young man, do you think my house is a supermarket? However, most of what you seek is indeed available. How do you propose we trade?" Yuan's audacity in listing so many food items was not unfounded. The family next door consisted of 3 members, and he could smell their cooking daily. In a household that was accustomed to daily life, the refrigerator would undoubtedly contain a diverse array of food. The apocalypse had begun just the previous morning, so there must still be plenty of food at home. "Sister, let us not delve into the specifics of the exchange. Just gather a little of everything from your pantry. If the quantity is sufficient, all 5 boxes of instant noodles will be yours. Look downstairs, there are zombies everywhere. The military won't clear them out anytime soon. And we might even lose power. Fresh ingredients will spoil in no time. However, instant noodles carry no such concerns, right?" Although the neighbor would likely become a zombie in a few days, Yuan had no intention of revealing this grim truth. After all, she was the one who initiated the exchange. Realizing the futility of her situation, she chose not to change her course, thereby avoiding unnecessary complications. The charming young man. "Wait a moment, I shall fetch it for you." The neighbor felt she had struck a lucrative deal. The young lad had transformed into a dashing gentleman. The exchange proceeded smoothly. The apocalypse had only just begun, and the survivors were not overly vigilant. Once again, it was the neighbor. Before long, Yuan successfully acquired a package of food. Upon opening it, Yuan was taken aback. A solitary piece of pork, barely weighing a couple of ounces, revealed that the neighbor was rather cunning. Nevertheless, the variety was indeed impressive: pork, beef, chicken, eggs, frozen shrimp, alongside an array of fruits and vegetables. The assortment of seasonings was also extensive, neatly packaged in small jars and containers, allowing for a minimal quantity to suffice as long as a sample was obtained. Yuan rubbed his hands together in excitement, eager to replicate a batch swiftly. By noon, he planned to prepare a hot pot on the balcony, initiating the taming mode with Jiang Xiaofan. With a taming level reaching 60, he could extract another entry. He wondered what surprises a second extraction might reveal. Adhering to his previous methodology, he decided to first replicate 1 portion of both vegetables and meat, followed by 2 portions together, then 4, 8, and so forth. However, Yuan soon encountered a dilemma. The energy consumed in replicating raw meat, including fruits and vegetables, was significantly more than that required for instant noodles. And the replication process took longer. It appeared that organic materials differed in their demands. Replicating fresh items proved more taxing. By midday, the food Yuan had replicated filled the double-door refrigerator to capacity, leaving him quite fatigued, as if he had played video games all night. Yet, with food in abundance, he felt a sense of security. Now, he lacked only weapons. Without any means of defense, he remained uneasy. Quietly, Yuan approached the door and peered through the peephole. Fortune smiled upon him. The 3 zombies had departed after satiating their hunger, leaving behind only the skeletal remains of a warrior and a dropped shotgun. Just then, an unexpected noise emanated from the kitchen. Hearing the commotion, Yuan immediately became alert. In his previous life, intruders never breached his home. Could the butterfly effect of his rebirth have caused this? Moments later, a voice called from the kitchen. "Hey, handsome, are you there? I have more items to trade." It turned out to be the neighbor. Yuan sighed in relief. Stepping onto the balcony adjacent to the kitchen, he saw the woman holding a bottle of beer. "I don't drink, but do you have any instant noodles? Let us trade for another bucket." It seemed the neighbor also harbored a penchant for hoarding. Yuan could not have wished for more. In both lives, he had not tasted beer in over a year. "Just a moment," he replied, quickly retrieving instant noodles to exchange for the beer, then promptly replicated 10 bottles, placing them into the freezer. In a short while indulging in hot pot and sipping on chilled beer, the thought alone brings immense pleasure. Considering that the neighbor will soon undergo a transformation, Yuan secured the anti-theft window on the balcony outside the kitchen. Even if the neighbor were to change, it would be impossible for them to crawl into his home. Upon returning to the living room's security door, Yuan gently turned the side lock, creating a slight gap. There were no zombies outside. He cautiously opened the gap a little wider, and still, no zombies were in sight. Gradually, he pushed the security door wide open, revealing an empty stairwell. Lying on the ground were 2 zombies with their heads blown off, likely felled by the earlier warriors. The living zombies had already departed, but they could not have strayed far, perhaps lurking just downstairs. Yuan stepped out quietly and picked up the shotgun lying on the ground, feeling a sense of reassurance. The warrior, reduced to mere bones, bore a bullet belt around his waist, containing 3 rounds of 12-gauge ammunition. Having ammunition was a relief. Even a single round could be infinitely replicated. Yuan took the bullet belt. The warrior's right leg was severely mangled, yet a holster was still attached to his pant leg, housing a handgun. Carefully, Yuan unfastened the holster, remaining vigilant for any sounds from the stairwell. Should any zombies show themselves, he would swiftly retreat to his room and secure the door. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. Once the holster was removed, the warrior possessed nothing further of use. Yuan stealthily returned home, gently closing the security door and exhaling a sigh of relief. Despite the recent peril, he had gained quite a bounty. A premium foreign-made imitation 870 shotgun and a domestically produced 20-round capacity 58mm handgun, complete with a bullet belt and holster, albeit stained with blood, necessitating thorough cleaning. In his past life, Yuan had experience handling firearms. He skillfully disassembled the shotgun and handgun, wiping away the blood and reassembling them. He also cleaned the bullet belt and holster, placing them in the dryer. Next, he began to replicate the weapons and ammunition. Fortunately, he still had 3 rounds of shotgun shells, and the handgun was not yet empty, yielding a total of 8 rounds. Although the handgun was of 58mm caliber, it featured pointed ammunition, which, whether penetrating or causing damage from tumbling, was more potent than 9mm rounds. The key advantage was its minimal recoil. The replication process for the weapons and ammunition was swift, with lower consumption since metal is an inorganic material. In just 15 minutes, Yuan replicated 10 shotguns, 10 handguns, 1,000 rounds of 12-gauge shells, and 20 magazines, for 100 rounds, of 58mm pointed ammunition. He retrieved the bullet bag from the dryer, loading it with 20 rounds of shotgun shells while leaving space to insert 3 handgun magazines on the left side, which he then secured around his waist. Additionally, he placed the handgun into the holster strapped to his leg. Yuan grasped the shotgun, loading it with 8 rounds of buckshot. feeling an overwhelming sense of security as he donned his armament. He planned to step onto the balcony shortly to practice his aim. Having returned from his rebirth, he pondered whether his marksmanship had dulled. Glancing at the clock, he noted it was just past noon, and the beer had sufficiently chilled. With an electric stove at his disposal, he retrieved food and hot pot base from the refrigerator, maneuvering the coffee table onto the balcony to commence his hot pot feast. The broth soon reached a vigorous boil. Slipping in thinly sliced beef, he retrieved it mere seconds later, dipping it into spicy sauce, a euphoric delight. In this new life, Yuan found his cravings for meat somewhat diminished. Yet, after a year of struggle in his previous existence, the memories of hardship loomed large. Now, each morsel of meat brought him sheer bliss. After devouring several slices of beef and gulping down a frosty beer, he felt a slight fullness in his belly. However, Zhang Xiaofan had yet to emerge. Displaying his prowess required an audience. Otherwise, he could not tame her. An idea sparked in Yuan's mind as he rose and seized the shotgun beside him, leaning out over the balcony to aim at the zombies below. Residing on the 5th floor of an old urban building, which had ceilings barely exceeding 3 meters, he was only 12 meters above ground, an ideal shooting distance for the shotgun. Holding his breath and focusing intently, he pulled the trigger. With a resounding boom and a low, thunderous roar, a barrage of steel pellets erupted from the barrel, instantly obliterating a zombie's head. Exhilarating. This aesthetic of violence was one only a man could truly appreciate. The gunfire inevitably drew Zhang Xiaofan's attention, as well as that of numerous zombies congregating below, an estimated 70 or 80, all roaring in unison. Fortunately, the zombies lacked intelligence, clustering at the base of the building and howling up at Yuan on the 5th floor balcony. It seemed he would need to clear them out before he could dine in peace. With a crisp click, he chambered another round. With the zombies clustered below, Yuan need not aim meticulously. Raising his hand, he fired. A shot rang out, and luck was on his side, as he exploded one zombie's head while some pellets penetrated another's. A double kill. The number 12 buckshot contained various sizes of pellets, and Yuan employed the standard 35mm pellets, with each shot yielding 12 projectiles. Provided the zombies were densely packed, achieving a double kill was quite feasible. Yuan continued to fire relentlessly, soon exhausting the 8 rounds. Although he had 9 more loaded shotguns at hand, he was in no rush, casually reloading the next shells. This spectacle piqued Zhang Xiaofan's curiosity. "Hey, where did you get that gun?" she inquired. Yuan glanced up briefly, but chose not to respond. To maintain an air of mystery, he could not afford to answer every question like a novice. With the 8 rounds reloaded, he raised his weapon once more, continuing to shoot at the zombies below. A horde of zombies fell, their heads shattered, lifeless bodies collapsing one after another. In less than 10 minutes, Yuan had successfully eliminated over 80 zombies downstairs. There were more lurking at a distance, but these early-stage undead had yet to evolve their acute senses of hearing and smell. For the time being, they would remain undisturbed. Yuan reloaded his empty firearm and settled down to pour himself a glass of chilled beer, resuming his indulgence in hot pot. Zhang Xiaofan had not yet departed and chanced upon the sight of Yuan relishing a mouthful of beer followed by a slice of beef, savoring the flavors delightfully. The coffee table was adorned with slices of watermelon and grapes as well. With difficulty, Zhang Xiaofan swallowed hard, her stomach growling in protest. She was not adept at cooking and typically relied on takeout. Having gone without sustenance since noon yesterday, hunger gnawed at her. "Handsome, do you have any food left? I would pay 10 times its worth." Having already satisfied his appetite, Yuan lit a cigarette, enjoying it at his leisure. 100 times. "I'll pay 100 times the price, please. I'm truly famished." He drained the last half of his beer, contemplating the hassle of washing the dishes. Instead, he tossed the entire pot, soup and all, off the balcony, confident in his ability to replicate it. Zhang Xiaofan stared in disbelief. She had clearly seen that the pot still contained a bounty of uneaten vegetables and meat. You fool. You could have given me what you couldn't finish," she exclaimed, stamping her foot in frustration, but Yuan had already turned back into the house. It wasn't the right time to engage with her. He could let her stew in hunger a little longer. Chapter 4. Willing to care for your girlfriend? I am more than happy to. Yuan returned to his room to catch a short nap. After a morning spent replicating food and ammunition, he felt mentally drained, akin to having pulled an all-nighter gaming. A good rest was essential for his recovery. However, outside the living room door, zombies were battering against it. The gunfire from earlier had likely attracted them from the hallway. He needed to eliminate the zombies outside, otherwise, sleep would elude him. Grasping his shotgun, he pressed against the peephole and pulled the trigger. With a resounding bang, dense pellets burst forth, puncturing the peephole precisely at head level. Whether or not the zombies outside had been dispatched remained uncertain, but he had ample ammunition and would continue firing. Bang! Bang, bang. Due to the proximity, the 8 shotgun shells had not torn the peephole open significantly, and the growls of the zombies outside had noticeably diminished. Yuan reloaded, positioning the barrel against the peephole. As soon as any zombie approached, he would deliver a shot straight to its forehead. In no time, the remaining zombies outside were all dispatched. Now he could rest easy. The hole in the peephole was just large enough to accommodate a ping-pong ball, alleviating concerns about anyone reaching in to unlock the door. The attempt to use a wire to hook the mechanical lock proved futile. It remained firmly locked. On the other side, Jiang Xiaofan languished on the sofa, utterly drained, her belly filled with water, each step producing a hollow sound. Yet, she felt no sense of satiety. Rather, her hunger intensified. Her thoughts were consumed by the desire for food. The house had been ransacked multiple times, and all edible provisions had long been exhausted. What should I do? If this continues, I shall starve to death. She retrieved her phone and opened Douyin. The videos she encountered were either pleas for help from survivors or gruesome scenes of zombies devouring humans, each clip deepening her despair. She had already reached out to relatives and friends, but none dared to come to her aid. Even her parents were unreachable, likely having met with misfortune. At that moment, a notification from WeChat sounded. Upon checking, it was from He Xiao, who had pursued her for half a year. Xiaofan, are you still alive? Please reply. Jiang Xiaofan hesitated, but ultimately responded, He Su, I'm still alive, but I am terribly hungry, and there are zombies downstairs. Despite He Su's prominent status, Jiang Xiaofan held him in disdain. He was short, overweight, and lecherous, exuding arrogance. She, Jiang Xiaofan, was a renowned influencer with millions of fans. Financially secure and beautiful, there was no need for her to demean herself. However, the He family wielded significant power in Shidu, and she dared not offend He Su. Thus, she had been stringing him along, contemplating leaving Shidu if things became unbearable. With wealth, she could thrive anywhere. Yet, she never anticipated the outbreak of an apocalyptic crisis, leaving her trapped at home, on the brink of starvation. The very He Su she had looked down upon became her sole lifeline. He Su, please save me. I don't want to be devoured by zombies, nor do I wish to perish from hunger. Xiaofan, do not be afraid. As long as you are alive, I will find a way to rescue you. A flicker of hope ignited within Jiang Xiaofan. Really? When have I ever deceived you? Hold on for 2 more days. I will send a helicopter to retrieve you. 2 more days? I am so hungry that I could almost eat myself. I might not last much longer. I am starving. Xiaofan, you know my family holds considerable influence in Shidu. However, the apocalypse struck too abruptly. The authorities are in disarray. Helicopters are limited. Just endure a little longer. Try to borrow some food from your neighbors. If you can hold out for 2 days, I will arrange for a helicopter to come for you. Thinking of borrowing food from her neighbors, Jiang Xiaofan recalled Yuan. There's a fool across from me who has more food than he can consume. He would rather throw it away than sell it to me. After saying this, Jiang Xiaofan sent a photo, a clandestine snapshot she had taken, hoping to remind him that she was still a celebrated influencer with millions of fans. Though many fans may have turned into zombies, surely some remained alive. Send a message on Douyin to unleash some online harassment against that foolish individual. It might provide a modicum of comfort. To my surprise, upon sending the image, He Su promptly replied, I know this person. His name is Yuan. Are you acquainted with him? Then do urge him to bring me some food. Rest assured. Xiaofan, once I issue the call, Yuan will undoubtedly deliver sustenance. Meanwhile, Yuan enjoyed a restful slumber. Upon awakening, the notification from WeChat chimed. Upon glancing at his phone, he discovered a video call from He Su. A glimmer of murderous intent flickered in Yuan's eyes, but it was swiftly concealed as he accepted the call. Brother Yi, you are alive. How splendid. Observing He Su's feigned surprise through the screen, Yuan felt a wave of nausea. The demise of his parents was intricately linked to He Su and his father. In his previous life, Yuan's quest for vengeance had failed, and he had endured considerable torment at He Su's hands. That grudge was indelibly etched in his memory. Unbeknownst to He Su, after 6 months of investigation, Yuan had uncovered that his parents had been murdered by them. Thus, he resolved to play along for the time being. Thanks to Brother He, I have narrowly escaped calamity. Where are you located? In the old district, Wutong Garden. Why abandon the villa at Luhu to reside in a dilapidated area of the city? Though the old district had previously been dubbed old and dilapidated, it had undergone significant renovations, radiating freshness while retaining a sense of historical gravitas. Many people preferred to reside in such locales. However, Yuan's intention was to monitor He Su through Jiang Xiaofan, preparing to leverage the He family as a means to eliminate his enemies one by one. Yet, he had not anticipated that He Su had yet to win over Jiang Xiaofan, causing a delay in Yuan's revenge. To be frank, my girlfriend also resides in Wudong Garden, directly across from your home. It was her photo that inadvertently revealed your presence to me. I would appreciate it if you could look after her and provide her with some food. I will send a helicopter within 2 days to retrieve you both. Huh? You who caused my parents' demise and tormented me in my previous life, you expect me to trust you? That would be foolish. However, I can indeed look after your girlfriend. To seize the affection of one's enemy is to strengthen oneself. What a delightful prospect. Moreover, Jiang Xiaofan bore no responsibility for his parents' demise and was blissfully unaware of it. In any case, he needed to tame her, achieving 2 objectives in one stroke. Since brother He has made a request, I shall certainly look after your girlfriend. Thank you. Brother Yi. After ending the video call, Yi Yuan revealed a knowing smile. It is worth noting that the relationship between the Yi and He families had always been cordial. Yi Yuan's father, Yi Jianmin, founded Giant Semiconductor Company, a pillar of the industry in Shidu, with ties to the military. The He family was a significant shareholder in the company, and they maintained close relations. Yi Yuan and He Su referred to each other as brothers. Subsequently, the board of directors aspired for the company to go public. Once the financing was completed, the net worth of all shareholders would surge dramatically. However, the father was averse to foreign investments entering the company. As the founder, he retained a veto power regardless of the shares held by others. Consequently, each board meeting ended in discord. Tragically, both parents met with a fatal car accident. Following this incident, Yi Yuan spent half a month in the ICU before being transferred to a regular ward. By the time he was discharged, the board had seized control of the company. At that moment, suspicion began to fester within him. He contemplated the possibility that the accident had been orchestrated. Thus, Yi Yuan invested a considerable sum to conduct a clandestine investigation, which, after half a year of gathering evidence, pointed to the 3 major shareholders, including the He family. Regrettably, there was insufficient concrete evidence for a conviction. With no other recourse, Yi Yuan resolved to avenge his parents personally. However, before he could enact his plan, doom descended upon him. This was also the reason he returned to Luhu in his previous life, having survived numerous near-fatal encounters, for that was where his enemies resided. In this life, should he manage to escape the city center, he vowed to make them regret their existence. Chapter 5, The Dark Society? I have a gun. In truth, Yi Yuan lacked the confidence to survive an exit from the city center. The density of zombies within the second ring road was alarmingly high. This was merely the onset of the apocalypse, with more people succumbing to zombification. In his past life, the military had once executed a major operation to divert the zombies away from the alleyways. Seizing the opportunity, Yi Yuan descended, commandeering a wrecked military vehicle to flee. The dangers encountered along the way were not to be understated. Ultimately, he was forced to drive into the Shujing River, using his last bullet to shatter the windshield. Fortunately, zombies could not swim. Thus, Yi Yuan floated back to Luhu along the river's current. In this life, he lacked for supplies. If he refrained from vengeance, he could survive comfortably in the urban area. Yet, such was not Yi Yuan's nature. Therefore, he placed his hopes on Jiang Xiaofan. By revisiting the entry, he might unlock new abilities that could aid in his escape from the city center. Upon awakening from a restful slumber, Yi Yuan felt considerably rejuvenated. He replicated 2,000 shotgun shells, ensuring ample ammunition for confidence. Noticing the time, he realized it was 6 in the evening, and his hunger began to stir. Tonight, he decided on chicken soup hot pot. Yi Yuan relocated food and beer to the balcony's coffee table, plugged in the induction cooker, and set water to boil. He first poured a glass of chilled beer to rinse his palate, then arranged fruits and sunflower seeds. In the absence of hatred, life in the apocalypse seemed rather pleasant. Soon, the water in the pot reached a boil. Yi Yuan added chicken and mushrooms, allowing them to simmer gradually. At that moment, dusk had settled. Yet an eerie fog began to rise, an unsettling crimson mist. Many survivors gathered on the balcony, their faces betraying rising panic as the red fog thickened. Yi Yuan, however, remained unconcerned. In truth, the virus rain that fell yesterday was also red. Anyone caught in it has already transformed into a zombie. Yet, this is merely the beginning. The crimson mist is also a virus, though its toxicity is not as severe, requiring inhalation for the virus to accumulate within the body. Once a certain threshold is reached, the immune system collapses entirely, leading to transformation into a zombie. Only a select few with antibodies can survive. Yi Yuan possesses such antibodies, thus he remains unconcerned. The red mist thickens, rapidly obscuring visibility beyond 100 meters. Yi Yuan sits down. The chicken and mushrooms in the pot are now cooked. He takes a piece and dips it in chili sauce. Delicious. Just then, Jiang Xiaofan arrives on the balcony and witnesses this scene, immediately salivating. Hey, handsome. It's me. Jiang Xiaofan, He Su's girlfriend. He said he had greeted you. Greeted me? Yi Yuan replies nonchalantly. What kind of greeting? Come on, don't play coy with me. At a time like this, if you're begging for food, you ought to lower your pride a bit. Why would I know what kind of greeting you're talking about? Yi Yuan feigns ignorance, understanding that to tame Jiang Xiaofan, he must first diminish her dignity. Jiang Xiaofan swallows hard. Although begging for food is quite humiliating, it pales in comparison to the gnawing hunger. Handsome, I'm so hungry. I implore you for a bite to eat, considering your friendship with Hisu. Please. At that moment, the card above Jiang Xiaofan's head changes. Jiang Xiaofan entry 1. 3D printing. 60 taming degree can be reapplied. Current taming degree 5. With a shift in her demeanor, her taming degree immediately increases by 5. Not bad, not bad. Keep it up. Yi Yuan, however, is not inclined to acquiesce easily. Furthermore, providing her food would lead Jiang Xiaofan to mistakenly believe it is due to Hisu's favor. Such muddled accounts cannot be allowed. As for Hisu, he knows me, yet we are not well acquainted. Jiang Xiaofan panics instantly, recalling their prior agreement that he had already greeted her. Why the sudden change? Hisu will send a helicopter to pick me up in a couple of days. If you give me food, I will ensure he takes you along. It must be said that Hisu indeed holds a fondness for Jiang Xiaofan. After all, she is quite beautiful. Moreover, men possess a peculiar psychology. The more elusive something is, the more intrigued they become. The illustrious Hisu of Shu City could have any woman he desires. Yet he finds himself utterly captivated by Jiang Xiaofan, even becoming her devoted admirer. In a past life, Hisu truly did send a helicopter for her. However, when Yi Yuan later returned to Luhua, he did not find Jiang Xiaofan, indicating that an unforeseen incident had occurred along the way. The initial week of the apocalypse is the most perilous, for anyone in proximity may transform into a zombie, including helicopter pilots. In theory, everyone now belongs to the viral entities. Those who are instantly turned into corpses upon being drenched by rain are classified as level 1 viral entities. There are no survivors left. Another group has only been lightly sprinkled with rainwater, categorizing them as level 2 viral entities. They will continue to metamorphose into zombies over the following week, with the speed of their transformation contingent upon the amount of rain they have absorbed. The third group comprises individuals who inhaled a substantial amount of viral mist during a torrential downpour, designating them as level 3 viral entities. In principle, these individuals will not undergo transformation. However, with the emergence of blood mist, their continuous inhalation of the virus will lead to their gradual transformation into zombies after 7 days. The remaining individuals who have neither been drenched nor inhaled copious amounts of mist belong to level 4 viral entities, yet they too cannot escape their doom, as the blood mist is also virulent, albeit with a delayed transformation period. Thus, strictly speaking, the month following the onset of the apocalypse is fraught with uncertainty, with countless individuals falling victim to sudden transformations and fatal bites. Yi Yuan observed Jiang Xiaofan's earnest expression and chuckled softly, shaking his head. I have my own means of escape. Thus Hisu's helicopter cannot be leveraged against me. How ironic, he mused, recalling how the man had previously acted with bravado, now reduced to seeking his assistance. Jiang Xiaofan, quick to realize his prior misstep, softened his demeanor. I apologize, handsome. I didn't mean to insult you this morning. You understand. With the apocalypse thrust upon us and zombies lurking everywhere, my mood has been quite tumultuous. Would you forgive me? With Jiang Xiaofan's submission, his compliance rating increased by another 5. Excellent, he thought. Continue to strive for improvement. At that moment, a man on the balcony below, witnessing Yi Yuan enjoying his hot pot, was instantly struck by hunger, his mouth watering uncontrollably. This fellow, flanked by the symbols of the dragon and tiger, was evidently a rough character, accustomed to neither cooking nor eating well, and was now famished. Hey brother, it appears you have an abundance of food. Toss some my way. We're neighbors, after all. Let us look out for each other. Yi Yuan cast a glance at the ruffian, choosing to ignore him. Hey, are you snubbing me? Do you know who I am? This whole old district is under my protection. Believe me, I could craft a Molotov cocktail and toss it onto your balcony tonight, setting your place ablaze. Don't push your luck. Yi Yuan, exasperated, wondered where this wild creature had emerged from. Had he been asleep during the countless zombies he had dispatched? Did he not realize Yi Yuan possessed a firearm? Calmly, Yi Yuan lit a cigarette, then swiftly seized the nearby shotgun, rising to aim at the ruffian. What the? Bang! The social thug barely had time to exclaim before his chest was perforated by a gaping hole. He was dead. How foolish to play the tough guy. Tired of living. Are you? Yi Yuan set down his gun and returned to his chair, preparing to indulge in his hot pot once more. Unintentionally, he noticed that Jiang Xiaofan's tameness had increased by 5. What had transpired? I haven't done anything to provoke this change. Chapter 6. The Proud Goddess. She has already knelt before me. Yi Yuan gazed at the card hovering above Jiang Xiaofan's head. Indeed, her tameness had risen by 5, reaching a total of 15. Only 45 more points were needed to unlock another entry. However, the recent increase seemed somewhat enigmatic. After much contemplation, only one explanation came to mind. Deep down, women possess an inherent admiration for strength. Yuan's decisive act of eliminating a thug had evoked a sense of awe. This feeling, particularly among women, is a form of reverence that can translate into submission. Thus, tameness can be acquired through various means. Naturally, intimidation and torture could instill fear in Jiang Xiaofan. Yet, such methods would simultaneously breed resentment within her. In this delicate balance of opposing psychological states, no matter how compliant she appeared, true tameness could not be achieved, for it would not stem from genuine feelings. Yuan savored a piece of chicken and washed it down with a hearty gulp of beer. Delightful. The survivors in the nearby buildings were all frightened back into their homes by Yuan's earlier display, leaving only the pitiful Jiang Xiaofan clinging to the railing. Brother Yi, I'm so hungry. Could you spare me a bite to eat? Jiang Xiaofan, having cast aside her pride, lowered her voice in submission. If she could just endure these next 2 days until Hisu sent a plane to retrieve her, she would no longer have to demean herself. How do you know my surname is Yi? Hisu told me, feeling it was time to address the matter. Yuan looked seriously at Jiang Xiaofan. I may provide you with food, but you insulted me this morning without cause, which left me quite displeased. If you kneel and apologize, I will grant you a bowl of instant noodles. Kneel? Jiang Xiaofan was taken aback. She was a goddess in the eyes of countless admirers. Even the illustrious He Xiao from Shu had succumbed to her charm. Having lowered herself to this extent, she could hardly believe he would demand she kneel to apologize. This scoundrel was utterly lacking in romantic sensibility. Yuan, you are going too far. I am a beauty. Precisely that sentiment. If you weren't so haughty, how could I possibly increase your tameness? A beauty? Can that be eaten? Is it delicious? Yuan scoffed, immersing himself in his hot pot and sipping his drink. Relishing every moment, Jiang Xiaofan, feeling wronged, squatted on the balcony, watching Yuan indulge in his feast and drink with abandon. Wishing she could master the art of star-sucking to devour all the chicken from the pot in one swift motion, leaving nothing but the broth. This was no exaggeration. Such was her desire. Never had I known the pangs of hunger until now, and the discomfort is unbearable, almost as if I could consume myself. It has been nearly 2 days without sustenance. Jiang Xiaofan felt as though the accomplishments she once took pride in had diminished in size. If only I had just given birth, I could nourish myself. As this thought crossed her mind, she realized the absurdity of it, taking food from the baby. Surely, the child would not starve. In moments of extreme hunger, one's mind tends to wander, perceiving everything as potential nourishment. Hisu often boasted about his prowess, claiming to be the young master of Shidu, yet Yuan showed him no regard whatsoever. Truly, he was utterly useless. With a murmured complaint, Jiang Xiaofan initiated a video call with Hisu. Xiaofan, how are you? Have you eaten? What do you mean by that? Yuan is currently relishing a hot pot, and he demands I kneel and apologize before he will grant me food. What? Hisu felt a surge of humiliation. How dare he compel my woman to beg? Damn it. Wait a moment. I shall send Yuan a video. Before long, Yuan received Hisu's pleading video call. Upon connection, Hisu's expression was far from pleasant. Brother Yi, I heard from Xiaofan that you require her to kneel and apologize before providing her food. Yuan did not respond immediately. He leisurely picked up a piece of chicken, savored it, and took a large gulp of beer, deliberately prolonging the moment, before casually replying. Indeed, that is the case. She insulted me this morning without cause. Is it unreasonable to request an apology? Yuan was intent on continuing this charade. A game of mockery. Brother Yi, surely I did not mishear? You are aware that Jiang Xiaofan is my woman. Given the relationship between our families, you would show her no courtesy? Courtesy? Between us lies only animosity, no friendship. However, knowing that such words could not be uttered in this game, Yuan deftly changed the subject. Friendship does not fill one's belly. If I provide food to Jiang Xiaofan, I must go hungry myself. Is it truly so difficult to request an apology? He then took another piece of chicken, further clarifying his intentions. Hisu now understood the situation clearly. Yuan was blatantly toying with him. Yuan, you are quite clever, daring to play me. Oh, I intend not only to toy with you, but also with your beloved. Do you realize that Luhu has become a gathering point, now under official control? Given my family's connections, arranging a helicopter to this area is a trivial matter. Do you grasp my meaning? Yuan certainly did. Dispatching a helicopter could serve both to rescue and to eliminate. It was a blatant threat, yet he was unyielding. As you send the helicopter, kindly take me along as well. Damn it, playing the fool while fully aware. Hisu felt as though he had struck a punch into a cotton ball, infuriated, and abruptly ended the video call. Yuan let out a cold laugh, casually setting his phone aside as he continued to enjoy his hot pot. You wish to play with me? Just watch how I will deal with you. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaofan swiftly received a text message from Hisu. consisting of merely 2 sentences. Borrow some food from the other neighbors. I will send a helicopter for you the day after tomorrow at the latest. Upon reading the message, Zhang Xiaofan realized that negotiations had indeed collapsed. Borrowing from the neighbors was utterly impossible. The survivors were all holed up in their homes, with no opportunity for conversation. Outside the staircase lurked zombies, and stepping outside was akin to delivering oneself to death. Who would dare ask a ghost for aid? A helicopter was not guaranteed to arrive the day after tomorrow. By then, she might very well starve. At that moment, a helicopter appeared in the sky, prompting Zhang Xiaofan to rise and wave her hands. However, as she waved, something felt amiss. The helicopter wobbled like a kite with a severed string before plummeting to the ground in a crash. At that instant, Yuan had finished his hot pot and happened to witness the scene. Nonchalantly, he remarked, "At this stage, helicopters are reserved for rescuing prominent figures. You have no hope." Moreover, the pilot could transform into a zombie at any moment. If you were to board that helicopter, you might meet your end even sooner. With that, he tossed the hot pot off the balcony, too lazy to clean it. Zhang Xiaofan gazed at the wasted food, and in that moment, she finally let go. Being hungry was truly unbearable. What was dignity, after all? It couldn't be consumed as a meal. Besides, it was indeed her who had first scolded Yuan. Apologizing didn't diminish her pride. Once she completed this mental reckoning, her resolve softened. "Yuan, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please forgive me." The once proud goddess had finally knelt down, tears of frustration brimming in her eyes. Concurrently, the taming gauge above her head surged by 20, reaching 35. Just 25 more points, and she could unlock the second tier of the skill. Though her apology lacked sincerity, at least she had knelt. "Wait here. I'll fetch you some instant noodles." Promises must be kept. A mix of discipline and sweet rewards was necessary. One could not rely solely on punishment, lest it lead to despair, which would hinder the taming process. Chapter 7. A bucket of instant noodles added 10 points to the gauge. Yuan tossed a bucket of noodles over from the balcony. Zhang Xiaofan filled the bucket to the brim with boiling water, and, after merely 2 or 3 minutes, eagerly began to eat. Wow, this is so delicious. She had never tasted such exquisite food before. Unbeknownst to her, the taming gauge above her head increased by another 5. Reaching 40, she devoured the noodles with great enthusiasm, finishing with a loud slurp as she consumed every last drop of broth. With her belly full and a warm sensation enveloping her stomach, Zhang Xiaofan reclined on the sofa, feeling an overwhelming sense of happiness and contentment. What a useless fellow Hisu is. In critical moments, I still have to rely on my neighbors. Although Yuan possesses an eccentric personality, he is not a bad person. Were it not for his presence, I would have truly faced starvation. Amidst my musings, my taming level increased by another 5. However, Yuan remains oblivious to this. He is currently on the balcony, indulging in fruit, and as the night has entirely fallen, with no entertainment activities to partake in, he secures the balcony's burglar-proof window. Who knows if there are still living souls above or below? His conspicuous behavior could attract unwanted attention, should he fall asleep. The danger of someone using a rope to access the balcony becomes all too real, necessitating the locking of the security window. Upon returning to the living room, he replicated 20 shotguns along with 4,000 rounds of 12-gauge ammunition. A surplus of weaponry brings him a sense of security. Moreover, having only napped in the afternoon, he finds it imperative to expend some mental energy to ensure a restful night. However, the metals he manipulates are inorganic. Thus, duplicating this quantity of weapons and ammunition does not significantly drain his mental reserves. Yuan loads bullets into all the firearms and, taking advantage of the early hour, repeatedly practices the ammunition loading process. The shotgun proves immensely powerful against zombies, especially in narrow alleys and stairwells, where it can single-handedly repel hordes. Yet, its limitations are dire. With a capacity of only 71 rounds, manual reloading is required after firing, a task that likely led to the demise of that unfortunate soldier, who was overwhelmed by zombies while engaged in reloading. Despite Yuan's ability to infinitely replicate weapons, the number of firearms he can carry is inherently limited. It is better to be overly cautious than to face unforeseen circumstances. One cannot dismiss the possibility of needing to reload in a moment of crisis, which underscores the necessity of mastering the reloading technique. He envies the protagonists in novels who possess spatial warehouses. How splendid it would be to replicate 1,000 shotguns, switching to a new one immediately after exhausting the previous. The mere thought brings him delight. Yuan tirelessly practices, gradually feeling fatigue set in. A glance at the clock reveals it is already past 9 in the evening. The food given by the neighbor contained yeast. Perhaps he should prepare the dough in advance to make buns for breakfast. By crafting just 2, he could replicate them infinitely. Thus, he searches for a tutorial on making buns and, Within 10 minutes, has grasped the basics. He proceeds to ferment the flour and, after a refreshing shower, collapses into bed. Awakening at 6 o'clock due to an early slumber, Yuan washes up and begins chopping meat and green onions. As it is his first attempt at making buns, his technique is rather clumsy. Only by 7 o'clock does he complete the task. While the buns may lack aesthetic appeal, their flavor is commendable. He replicates several dozen, stores some in the refrigerator, and then, while taking out a box of yogurt, heads to the balcony to enjoy his breakfast. After consuming a couple of small steamed buns, he notices that Zhang Xiaofan has yet to appear. It seems that he prefers to show off only when there is an audience. Otherwise, how would he increase his taming level? Just then, a few zombies wander down below. Yuan opens the burglar-proof window and, with shotgun in hand, unleashes a barrage upon the zombies below, slaying more than 20. Indeed, the gunfire attracts Zhang Xiaofan's attention. Brother Yi, good morning. Zhang Xiaofan wore a smile, filled with flattery. But Yuan cast a quick glance at him and immediately sensed something amiss. Taming level 45? What transpired last night? It had quietly increased by 10. Yuan was oblivious to the fact that it was due to that bowl of instant noodles, which Zhang Xiaofan had consumed in seclusion at home. He could not see the increase in taming level. Brother Yi, are you eating steamed buns? Zhang Xiaofan inquired, knowing full well he was focused on his meal. Yuan ignored her, determined not to let their relationship become too familiar, as it would hinder the taming process. He picked up a small steamed bun. Taking a hearty bite, the succulent meat juice bursting forth. What a delightful sensation. Watching Yuan devour the buns made Zhang Xiaofan's stomach rumble again. She had gone 2 days without proper food, having only consumed a bowl of instant noodles the previous night. Though the noodle soup had filled her, it had long since worn off, leaving her ravenous. Her eyes were fixated on the large plate of steamed buns on Yuan's coffee table, and she couldn't help but swallow hard. The pangs of hunger were truly unbearable. She had already knelt before him yesterday. What more could she possibly hold back? Brother Yi, could you spare me one? She implored. Yuan had been waiting for this very question. Spare you one? Why? The inquiry left Zhang Xiaofan momentarily speechless. Indeed. Why would he give her one? Were they truly on such good terms? After pondering for a while, she stammered. Well, you forgave me yesterday. How amusing. I forgave you yesterday, which is why I gave you a bowl of instant noodles. That was already benevolent enough. I owe you nothing. Forgiving you does not imply that I am your perpetual benefactor. Zhang Xiaofan was instantly at a loss for words. After a lengthy pause, a light bulb went off in her head. Brother Yi, how about I dance for you? You have so many buns that you can't possibly finish them all. If I perform, will you give me one? Yuan remained silent, engrossed in his breakfast. Zhang Xiaofan took his silence as tacit approval and began to dance energetically on the balcony. This was her forte, and she danced beautifully, revealing nothing overtly. However, her long legs and shapely figure created a striking visual impact. Yuan feigned indifference as he continued eating. Though his gaze was secretly drawn to the sight, no wonder Hisu was utterly captivated by her. Just then, Zhang Xiaofan's expression changed dramatically. She rushed to the railing, pointing angrily at Yuan below, shouting, "You scoundrel! Do you believe I want to break your fingers?" What was happening? Had she transformed back into a fierce dragoness? Yuan was bewildered. Brother Yi, I'm done dancing. There's a pervert downstairs making vulgar gestures at me. She exclaimed. Damn it. I was just getting into the groove. Is that bastard trying to ruin my fun? At that moment, a voice from below called out, "Filthy wench. Flaunting yourself for a morsel of food. My house has food too. Dance for me, and I'll give you 2 bowls of instant noodles." Damn it. Lousy was engrossed in enhancing her taming level when you, out of nowhere, chose to create chaos. Yuan raised his gun and peered outside, yet regrettably could not see the individuals below. You are the shameless one. Your entire family is too. Damn it. Zhang Xiaofan exclaimed vehemently. The notorious reputation of the mother dragon from Chuan and you is no jest. To provoke me into a striptease is akin to courting death. Zhang Xiaofan, in a fit of fury, seized a flower pot from the balcony and hurled it downwards, but alas, it missed its target. The people below erupted in laughter, taunting, "Come on. You fiery woman, throw something else. I relish your anger. Hey, do you dare to extend your hand over the balcony? Have you forgotten that I possess a firearm?" A gunshot rang out, and the individual below immediately cried out in agony as a barrage of steel pellets obliterated his hand. "Ah, my hand," he shrieked. "Why did you shoot me? Why? You dared to disrupt my taming process. It is a blessing that you are still alive," Zhang Xiaofan mused, feeling a wave of satisfaction as she witnessed Yuan teach the man below a lesson. Brother Yi appeared fierce, yet he was quite kind, assisting her in dealing with that lewd fellow. With this thought, her taming level increased by 5. Yuan's eyes brightened. Could it be that his act of defending her sparked gratitude? It seemed there were indeed multiple avenues to gain taming level, which was a positive development. Just 10 more points, and he could unlock another attribute. In a jovial mood, he tossed 2 buns wrapped in a plastic bag down. Though 2 small steamed buns would hardly satiate, that was precisely his intention. Keeping her in a state of semi-hunger would facilitate taming. A favor easily granted can lead to resentment. If the rewards come too easily, it would hinder the taming process. Chapter 8. The beautiful mother dragon seeks my aid. After finishing breakfast, Yuan sat on the balcony sipping tea, with Zhang Xiaofan showing no signs of leaving. Brother Yi, may I sing you a song? She suggested, seemingly attempting to forge a closer bond as a pretext for future favors. Naturally, Yuan was not easily deceived. No need. I prefer to enjoy my tea in peace. Have you ever contemplated how to escape? She inquired. Not at all. Where did you acquire your gun? Get lost. Oh, fine. Zhang Xiaofan huffed, wrinkling her nose, and retreated indoors, muttering under her breath, likely cursing Yuan. It mattered not. Let her curse. A blend of rewards and discipline was essential. The buns he had given her earlier were a treat, while his current demeanor was more severe. Alternating between kindness and firmness was crucial for continually enhancing her taming level. Women, after all, require a balance of firmness and affection. If treated too indulgently, they may come to expect it. Just like Hisu, who pursued her for half a year without experiencing the taste of a simple dish. If Zhang Xiaofan found food too easily accessible, the subsequent taming process would become exceedingly arduous. Time passed idly once more, as Yuan glanced outside at the dense throng of zombies in the alley. With no absolute confidence, he would not dare to risk escaping from the central city. Now armed with a golden opportunity, he resolved to pursue a steady path to victory. His enemies lurked in the Deer Lake Villa area. He could not recklessly endanger his life before avenging the deep-seated grievances. He needed to delve into Zhang Xiaofan's profile once more before making any decisions. Sipping tea, Yuan practiced loading ammunition. The fog outside had thickened significantly today. Visibility was reduced to a mere 70 or 80 meters, rendering everything indistinct. The most dreadful aspect of this apocalypse was not the zombies, but the ever-present fog that refused to dissipate, blocking even the sun's rays. Plants suffered severely from the lack of photosynthesis. It would not be long before a portion of them perished. Those that survived appeared to be on the brink of death, making it impossible to cultivate food and vegetables. Fortunately, he could replicate infinitely. Yuan sighed with relief. At least he wouldn't have to compete with others for sustenance. After practicing for a while, his hands grew weary, and he leaned against the balcony railing to smoke and rest. Gazing out, he noticed an increase in the number of zombies in the nearby buildings compared to yesterday. These were individuals who had been caught in a light rain, transformed into zombies after returning home without undergoing the initial mutation. They had even bitten their family members, truly a calamity. Occasionally, he witnessed someone coerced into jumping from a height. With no choice, they preferred to take their own lives rather than be devoured by the zombies at home. Having lived through this once, Yuan had grown accustomed to it. With time to spare, he resumed his practice of loading ammunition. Meanwhile, in the building opposite Yuan, apart from Zhang Xiaofan, there were 2 other survivors. One had a hooked nose, while the other sported a bushy beard. Both men had a relatively ample supply of food, sufficient for 10 days to half a month without worry. The hook-nosed man scrolled through short videos, cursing under his breath. Damn it. Every short video is either a plea for help or a zombie attack. Is this the state of the world? Are humans doomed? The bearded man beside him wore a troubled expression, trapped at home. Their only means of understanding the outside world was through these short videos. Damn. The number of zombies is increasing. It seems we won't receive any rescue. We will die trapped here. The 2 fell into a dispirited silence. Surrounded by zombies and confined in the city center, even with food at home, they could not suppress the spread of despair. There was no hope, no future, and certainly no rescue. The only thing left to do was wait for death. The hooked-nosed man mechanically continued scrolling through short videos, as if this was the only way to alleviate the anxiety and fear within him. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a familiar face. Zhang Xiaofan. She was still alive? The neighbor, that internet celebrity with the bushy beard, was alive as well. The hooked-nosed man's despondency lifted, revealing an expression of excitement. The bearded man leaned over to take a look. In the video, Zhang Xiaofan is in distress. Despite her forlorn expression, her beauty remains undeniable, particularly her exquisite figure, which captivates the onlooker's attention. The sight of her ignites a primal fervor. Well, the world is doomed anyway. Shall we indulge just this once? Proposed the bearded man. The hawk-nosed man's eyes immediately sparkled with excitement. Just what I had in mind. Both are seasoned thieves, adept at scaling walls and picking locks, particularly electronic ones, which are the easiest to breach. Coincidentally, Zhang Xiaofan's residence is secured with an electronic lock. Let us grab the tools and go. Soon. The hawk-nosed man procured a rubber mallet and a screwdriver, but then the bearded man suddenly recalled something. Wait, wasn't there gunfire in the alley yesterday? What if there are soldiers around? If we force our way into Jiang Xiaofan's home, what if the soldiers downstairs catch us? Unbeknownst to them, the gunfire from the previous day was merely Yuan dispatching zombies with a shotgun. Moreover, Jiang Xiaofan's building consists of 4 apartments per floor, with 2 on each side. The homes of the hawk-nosed man and the bearded man are conveniently positioned away from the alley, leaving them unaware of the events transpiring there. What is there to fear? Gunfire is echoing throughout the city. We're not the only ones in danger. At that moment, the alley was silent. Perhaps the soldiers have all been bitten by zombies. This reasoning seemed plausible, and driven by their impulses, the 2 men dismissed their concerns. The bearded man first peered through the peephole. Safe, no zombies in sight. The hawk-nosed man gently opened the door, with Jiang Xiaofan's home merely 3 meters away. Leave the door ajar. If we stir up any zombies, we can retreat immediately. The 2 men stealthily approached Jiang Xiaofan's door. The hawk-nosed man positioned the screwdriver at the bottom of the keypad lock and began to tap it lightly with the rubber mallet. His technique was quite refined. The force measured perfectly, and the sound was minimal. Although the electronic lock appeared sophisticated, it was surprisingly easy to breach due to its highly sensitive motor and the long locking core within. By finding the correct spot and tapping the bottom of the core with the screwdriver, it was straightforward to trigger the internal motor. Sure enough, after just 5 taps, the electronic lock emitted a crisp alert sound, the motor whirred, and the door swung open. The hawk-nosed man and the bearded man slipped inside and gently closed the door behind them. We're in. They exchanged a knowing smile, their eyes glinting with a shared understanding. At that moment, Jiang Xiaofan heard the commotion in the living room and rushed out, only to find her neighbors. How did you get into my house? Clearly, Jiang Xiaofan had yet to grasp the gravity of the situation. Although she could not recall the names of the 2 men, she often encountered them in the stairwell and exchanged casual greetings, considering them acquaintances, which naturally diminished her wariness. The radiant beauty, we are here to protect you. Outside, there are zombies, and as a young woman alone at home, you must be terrified. My companion and I have come to offer you solace. However, upon observing their lecherous expressions and insidious tones, Jiang Xiaofan swiftly grasped the gravity of the situation. In this apocalyptic world, with order disintegrating, the intrusion of 2 men into her home painted a grim picture. What do you intend to do? Please, do not approach me. Get away. The man with the hawk nose and the one with the bushy beard were utterly unrestrained, their laughter echoing as they lunged towards Jiang Xiaofan. In a desperate attempt to defend herself, she seized decorative items from the living room, hurling vases, cups, and figurines at them. Yet, her feeble efforts were futile against the 2 imposing figures, who cornered her onto the balcony with smirks of depravity plastered on their faces. Jiang Xiaofan's mind raced for anything to fend them off, but the balcony was devoid of any objects. She had discarded a broom the day before when she had attacked Yuan, and then it struck her. Yuan had a gun. With a piercing cry, she shouted, "Brother Yi, save me." Chapter 9. From birdshot to cannon, space duplication. Yuan had already witnessed the unfolding chaos in Jiang Xiaofan's home. Strangely enough, in his previous life, no thugs had invaded her residence. Could it be that his rebirth had triggered a butterfly effect? Although the theory of the butterfly effect suggests that individual actions cannot alter the grand machinery of fate, the circumstances surrounding Jiang Xiaofan's home might indeed be interconnected with his own actions. The gunfire from when he dispatched the zombies downstairs had attracted the undead from the opposite building, emboldening the thugs to venture outside. "Brother Yi, please help me," Jiang Xiaofan cried, her voice tinged with desperation as she waved her hands to fend off the attackers. Even without her plea, Yuan would never allow the bushy-bearded man and the hawk-nosed one to harm her. After all, he still hoped to extract her information. Damn it! How dare they touch my people? "Jiang Xiaofan, get down!" Yuan shouted. Understanding his intent, Jiang Xiaofan quickly complied, crouching down to avoid any potential crossfire. This sudden action left the 2 men momentarily bewildered, as they turned their attention to Yuan standing on the opposite balcony. "What do you mean, kid? I don't understand." One of them scoffed. "You think you can be a hero and save the damsel? Come over here. I don't believe you can jump across." Laughter erupted, liberating the oppressive atmosphere of the apocalypse. At that moment, Yuan joined in the mirth, a sly smile curling at the corners of his mouth as he swiftly grabbed a shotgun from the coffee table. From a distance of 7 or 8 meters, precision was unnecessary. Boom! The deep gunshot resonated, and a barrage of steel pellets erupted forth, instantly piercing through the bushy-bearded man's chest, creating a gaping hole larger than a fist. The hawk-nosed man stood frozen, his mind clearly short-circuiting. What just happened? That kid has a gun. Before the apocalypse, the Summer Kingdom enforced strict gun control, and the common folk lacked the instinct to crouch down at the sound of gunfire. In that fleeting moment of distraction, Yuan swiftly completed the process of ejecting the shell and chambering around. Bang! The second shot struck the beak-nosed man squarely in the head, exploding it like a watermelon, splattering blood all over Jiang Xiaofan. She stood, startled, and screamed in terror, frantically brushing the blood and fragments from her hair as she dashed into the living room toward the bathroom. The crisis had been averted. Yuan settled down to resume his tea. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaofan desperately scrubbed her hair with shampoo, rinsing it repeatedly, yet never feeling entirely clean. Though she had witnessed zombies devouring humans, the blood splattered on her head left her feeling profoundly unsettled. Under the shower for several minutes, the cool water gradually restored her composure. Reflecting on the recent events, she couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude. How fortunate it was to have Brother Yi by her side. Otherwise, she shuddered to think of the potential consequences. Brother Yi truly cared for her. Despite his occasional stern demeanor, he exuded a certain masculinity that was absent in Hisu, who was merely a sycophant, showering her with gifts and seeking her favor, devoid of any manly spirit. As these thoughts crossed her mind, the taming degree displayed on her card surged by 10, reaching a total of 60. After her shower, Jiang Xiaofan dried her hair, donned clean clothes, and then made her way to the living room. On the balcony outside lay two corpses, one with a shattered skull and the other with a gaping hole in its chest. Blood pooled on the ground, a sight that would unsettle anyone, even those accustomed to the gruesome spectacle of zombies feeding on flesh. Yet subconsciously, Jiang Xiaofan did not perceive the undead as human. Instead, the brutal demise of the two thugs instilled in her a sense of dread. Brother Yi, thank you for earlier, she called out from the living room. Unable to approach the balcony, Yuan looked up and noticed the taming degree had increased by another 10, now reaching 60. Could it be that her gratitude for his earlier intervention had caused such a rise? The reason was inconsequential. What mattered was that he could now delve into her attributes once more. Yuan focused his thoughts on 3D printing. I will delve. In the next moment, Jiang Xiaofan's card underwent a transformation. Jiang Xiaofan attribute. 3D printing. 95 taming degree allows for 3 strong delves. Current taming degree. 60. Excellent. With the taming degree reaching 95, he could explore her attributes once again. Yuan restrained his excitement. After delving into her attributes, a wave of mysterious energy surged within him, signifying the birth of a new ability. He decided to first check the changes in his powers, summoning his attribute panel. Yuan attributes: Strength 11, Constitution 11, Agility 10, Spirit 9 ability. 3D printing. Click to view introduction. The 3D printing ability has evolved into 2 stars, although the second star is transparent, indicating it does not qualify as a full 2-star ability. It can be considered as 1.5 stars. It is anticipated that revisiting the entry could elevate it to a full 2 stars. Yuan clicked to explore the ability's description. 3D printing attribute 1. Infinite replication at the expense of spirit, capable of replicating and printing objects weighing no more than 20 gene, devoid of any life characteristics. Attribute 2. Localized integrated replication. Consumes spirit, allowing for partial replication of an object while altering its structure and size. Alas, it seems rather ineffectual. The weight for infinite replication has increased from 10 gene to 20 gene, yet it does not fundamentally alter anything. As for the newly acquired ability of localized integrated replication, it cannot aid in a safe escape from the central city. This ability functions by modifying the original object through partial replication to change its structure and size. For instance, Yuan's shotgun measures 1 meter in length. Previously, he could only replicate the entire gun. Now he could create a barrel measuring 2 or even 3 meters long. This exemplifies localized integrated replication, increasing size and length based on the original. As a typical man, Yuan's first thought was of a shield tunneling machine. However, such aspirations are futile, as it is impossible to replicate living entities. The tunneling machine is part of a living organism and thus considered a living object. Just as this thought crossed his mind, another voice responded within his mind. Host, while 3D printing cannot replicate entire living beings, it can perform localized replication. Really? It can do that? Yuan exclaimed, feeling a surge of excitement. At that moment, Jiang Xiaofan was still in the living room, observing Yuan. What is up? Do you want me to replicate your achievements into a basketball? Which one? Jiang Xiaofan, I have matters to attend to. Please mind your own business, such as clearing the corpses on your balcony. With that, Yuan dashed to the restroom. Moments later, he emerged, having completed the upgrade of the tunneling machine. The ability to alter local sizes had been acquired. In a pre-apocalyptic world, he could single-handedly operate a cosmetic surgery clinic without the need for injections or fillers, all while being entirely natural. Regrettably, localized integrated replication does not enhance combat prowess, and escaping the central city will require alternative strategies. But wait. Localized integrated replication has no restrictions. Could it replicate space? For instance, if a box is replicated, the internal space should theoretically be part of that box, right? Upon contemplating this, the voice in his mind responded, "Indeed, host. Any space with a carrier can be replicated." Chapter 10, Spatial Warehouse. Infinite reproduction capacity. Yuan could hardly fathom the astonishing reality of duplicating space. Indeed, the concept of infinite replication is not merely a fantasy. All entities, save for living organisms, can be replicated. Technically speaking, everything in existence can be considered a living entity. However, the limitations of 3D printing apply primarily to sentient life forms. Space, it seems, lies beyond these restrictions. If space can be duplicated, what of time? Time and space are intrinsically linked, rendering the isolated duplication of time an impossibility. It appears that this localized, holistic replication possesses even greater potential yet to be explored. For now, Yuan resolved to experiment with a spatial warehouse. Previously, he had envied the protagonists of apocalyptic novels for their possession of such warehouses, and now, in a blink, he found himself on the brink of acquiring one. He began by retrieving a bottle for his experiment. Channeling the mysterious energy within him, he enveloped the bottle with an energy-based 3D printer. Then, he summoned another force to initiate localized replication, targeting the internal space of the bottle. With a mere thought, the energy form of the printer commenced its task. And to Yuan's astonishment, the process unfolded with remarkable ease. In just 1 second, while the bottle's exterior remained unchanged, its internal space expanded twofold. Moreover, the mental toll of this replication was negligible, even less taxing than when duplicating metal. Why was this so? A voice within his mind elucidated. The material structure of space is of a lower order than that of metal, thus requiring less energy for replication. However, this process only replicated the internal space, leaving the external vessel unaltered. Consequently, the spatial structure underwent a transformation, rendering the internal environment devoid of the passage of time. What does this mean? The bottle's size remains constant while its internal space enlarges, resulting in a change in spatial structure that effectively halts the flow of time within. Incredible. This is precisely what I sought. Although Yuan could replicate endlessly, he could not guarantee the freshness of food. The meats and vegetables in his refrigerator, even if replicated daily, would succumb to the ravages of time, having already been stored for a day. Over time, both vegetables and meats would inevitably spoil, particularly the former, which would wither within a week. Now, with a time-stopping warehouse, this dilemma finds a perfect resolution. Yuan discovered yet another intriguing phenomenon. After the internal space of the bottle expanded, its structure transformed into a pure spatial realm devoid of any energy fields, allowing his consciousness to effortlessly penetrate the bottle's interior. Within this space, his awareness surged in strength, akin to a human on the moon, capable of effortless leaps of 5 or 6 meters. It is not that humanity has become stronger. Rather, the moon's gravitational pull is merely 1/6 that of Earth. The principle remains consistent. As the internal space of the bottle expanded, its structure transformed into a pure realm devoid of time and energy fields. Consequently, Yuan's consciousness within the bottle was unbound by any constraints. What was once a feeble awareness now surged with formidable strength, rivaling divine will. This epiphany struck him like a flash of inspiration. Yuan tossed an egg into the bottle, and remarkably, it did not shatter upon hitting the bottom. The absence of any energy fields, including gravity, within the bottle facilitated this anomaly. However, Yuan's consciousness, akin to that of a deity, merely directed the egg with a thought, allowing it to gently settle at the bottom. Perfect. In the future, this spatial repository could be utilized for the organized storage of materials through the power of thought. Yuan continued his experiments. He sealed the bottle, rendering his consciousness unable to penetrate its interior. To remedy this, he drilled a small hole in the cap, allowing his awareness to re-enter. The pressing concern now was how to retrieve the egg. If he were to establish a spatial warehouse, convenience of access was paramount. In Yuan's vision, he envisioned replicating an enormous spatial warehouse capable of housing 10,000 shotguns filled with ammunition. After firing one, he could instantly retrieve another for continued use. With a little caution, he could eliminate threats along the riverbank without issue. He would later procure a boat to row to Deer Lake. After a brief contemplation, Yuan devised a solution. By significantly enlarging the small hole in the cap, he could easily extract the egg. Without delay, he replicated the small aperture space, expanding it 50-fold. Yet, from the outside, the hole appeared unchanged. It was the space within that had transformed, imperceptibly to the naked eye. Yi Yuan's consciousness manifested as a powerful hand within the bottle, gently guiding the egg towards the cap's small opening. At that moment, a miraculous event occurred. The egg astonishingly passed through the tiny opening, half protruding outside while the other half remained within the bottle. With a mere thought, Yi Yuan's invisible hand will push the entire egg out. Astonishingly successful, Yi Yuan was elated. The spatial warehouse had been realized. However, the vessel could not be the bottle itself. It was both unsightly and cumbersome, prone to breaking and causing the collapse of the internal space, resulting in the loss of all contents. Suddenly, Yi Yuan recalled a sleek stainless steel flask left by the landlord in his wardrobe. He hurried to the bedroom and retrieved the flask. This flat-shaped vessel, often depicted in foreign films, was used by protagonists to take a swig in moments of bravado. Made from stainless steel, it was resilient and compact, with a capacity of only 200 milliliters, slightly less than a can of soda. Elegant and refined. The exterior is encased in a layer of protective leather, allowing it to be conveniently affixed to a belt for easy portability. With a simple twist, the cap of the spout is removed, eliminating the need for any drilling. Yi Yuan, increasingly satisfied with his discovery, promptly decides to utilize this flask as a vessel for his spatial repository. Note: dear adoptive fathers, please refrain from criticism. It will eventually be replaced by a spatial ring, and the flask is merely a temporary solution. He begins by duplicating 10 flasks for future use. Should he require additional storage later, he will have ample materials at hand. Next, he selects one flask to commence the replication of its internal space. The mental toll of duplicating space is virtually negligible. Yi Yuan proceeds to replicate it 12 times. The minuscule internal space of the flask has now reached 0.8 cubic meters, equivalent to 1 meter in length and width, and 0.8 meters in height. He continues to replicate and expand it further. After 10 more duplications, the internal space exceeds 800 cubic meters, yet it remains insufficient. Given the minimal mental expenditure and the potential for infinite replication, he aims to create an enormous spatial repository. While the mental cost of replicating space is low, it is not entirely devoid of consumption, particularly when the space expands geometrically. Yi Yuan duplicates the flask 15 more times, increasing the internal volume to an astonishing 26.83 million cubic meters, over 20 million cubic meters, comparable to a vast warehouse measuring 300 meters in length, width, and height. This is more than adequate. Moreover, the internal space of the flask encompasses the spout, which has been magnified several hundred million times, easily accommodating a large truck. From the outside, however, the spout's diameter remains less than 1 centimeter, concealing any discrepancies. Yi Yuan is in high spirits. After spending a few minutes, he transfers all the food from his double-door refrigerator into the spatial repository, providing him peace of mind, free from concerns about spoilage or expiration. Yet, his tasks are not complete. He must replicate a substantial number of shotguns, as he can still extract Jiang Xiaofan's entries once more, and he anticipates needing to remain in the rental for an extended period to tame her. During this time, he aims to replicate as many shotguns as possible. Although each shotgun holds only 7 rounds, he can swiftly switch to a new one once the current is emptied, effectively granting him an almost infinite ammunition capacity. As Yi Yuan grasps a shotgun, poised to begin replication, inspiration strikes him. Why replicate the guns themselves? Instead, he could directly replicate the internal space of the magazine, allowing for greater ammunition storage. Theoretically, this could enable him to approach an infinite supply of ammunition. Astonished by this newfound revelation, Yi Yuan excitedly slaps his thigh. Chapter 11. A shotgun with a capacity of 7,000 rounds. The super shotgun. The benefits of localized integrated replication are indeed boundless. Yi Yuan quickly retrieves a shotgun, enveloped in the mysterious power of 3D printing, and locks onto the internal space of the magazine to begin replication, this time with a touch more precision. Previously, when I replicated the space of the wine flask, my intention was to expand the internal area in all directions for storage. However, the replication of the ammunition tube served a different purpose, aiming solely to accommodate more bullets. Thus, the internal diameter remained unchanged. Only the length of the ammunition tube was extended. Yi Yuan replicated it 7 times in one breath, resulting in a 128-fold increase in the internal space of the ammunition tube, capable of holding 896 rounds of 12-gauge shotgun shells. This time, not only the space was replicated, but also the bullets and springs were included. Had only the space been copied, the length of the spring would have been insufficient to deliver the bullets into the chamber. Yi Yuan continued to replicate. The initial capacity was just over 800 rounds, which was far from adequate. He replicated it 3 more times, extending the ammunition tube by 1024 times, allowing a capacity of 7,168 rounds. This was nearly sufficient, regardless of whether he could fire them all. Possessing a shotgun with a 7,000-round capacity provided an undeniable sense of security. Furthermore, shotguns are immensely powerful. Each fired round significantly wears down the barrel. Typically, after firing 1,000 rounds, the barrel needs replacing, and after 10,000 rounds, the entire gun could be rendered inoperable. Naturally, Yuan would not replicate it to the point of obsolescence. Theoretically, one could fire a full 10,000 rounds, but with bad luck, even 9,000 could lead to failure. Thus, he only replicated a capacity of 7,000 rounds. Nevertheless, it remained a superb shotgun, sufficiently alleviating his fear of inadequate firepower. Next, he replicated another shotgun to store in the spatial warehouse, ensuring that in the event of an urgent need to replace the barrel, he could seamlessly switch to another weapon. Subsequently, Yuan replicated 100 barrels. After all, older guns tend to feel more familiar, and when the barrel shows signs of wear, it is preferable to replace it with a new one during idle times rather than frequently acquiring new firearms. Upon completing the replication, Yuan felt utterly exhausted. The creation of 2 super shotguns and over 10,000 shells took a considerable toll on his mental state. He washed his face and decided to lie down for a brief nap to recover his spirits before continuing the replication. At noon, after waking from his slumber, his stomach began to rumble. Cooking was too time-consuming. Yuan retrieved a small steamed bun from the spatial warehouse, replicated a dozen or so, heated them, and took a box of yogurt to the balcony. He noticed that Zhang Xiaofan was absent, and the bodies of the hawk-nosed man and the bearded man he had previously slain still lay on the floor, the blood having stained the balcony red. What was going on? Hadn't he instructed her to remove the bodies? With a bang, Yuan fired a shot, prompting Zhang Xiaofan to rush out of the bedroom. However, as soon as her foot touched the balcony, she quickly withdrew. Brother Yi, I can't bear to touch these corpses. Besides, they are too heavy for me to move. She stammered. Well, I have no solutions for you, Yuan replied, popping a small bun into his mouth and shrugging his shoulders. You'll have to figure it out yourself. Upon seeing Yuan eating the buns, Zhang Xiaofan swallowed hard. Her stomach had long been grumbling, for the food Yuan provided never truly satiated her. Brother Yi, may I sing you a song? Yuan, well aware of her subtle intentions, thought it wiser for her to express goodwill rather than directly ask for food. Very well, then sing Jie Wen Lu Zai Huofang. Upon hearing Yuan's selection, Zhang Xiaofan was elated. Despite Yuan's stern demeanor, as long as she remained obedient, there would be food for her. Thus, she promptly began her song. Once she finished, before she could utter another word, Yuan tossed her 3 small steamed buns wrapped in a plastic bag. An extra bun was a reward, especially since Zhang Xiaofan had helped him out of a significant predicament. All his abilities had been extracted from her, and rewarding her with an additional bun was a trivial matter, as long as it did not fill her to the brim. Thank you, Brother Yi. You are truly wonderful, she exclaimed. But you weren't so agreeable yesterday, were you? You called me an old pervert and threatened to pluck out my eyeballs. In this apocalyptic world, beauty holds little value. It is food that reigns supreme. Zhang Xiaofan swiftly devoured the 3 buns, raising her tameness by only 3 points to a total of 63. Strange. Why did it decrease? Previously, a morsel would elevate it by 5. Yuan pondered whether the increments diminished over time, which was plausible. Much like leveling up, the higher one ascended, the slower the experience bar filled. To expedite the process, one must change their approach. In other words, to achieve greater increments in tameness, one must devise new methods. Yet, he could not presently conceive of an alternative. The age-old method of a stick and sweet dates would never go out of style. But relying solely on food for taming was too sluggish. He wondered how long it would take to reach 95. Brother Yi, what are you thinking about? Zhang Xiaofan resumed her attempts to engage him. Yuan chose to ignore her, but she did not take offense and continued. Brother Yi, do you have a girlfriend? Why do you care about that? I'm just asking. Isn't it a bit dull? Just shooting the breeze. If you're truly bored, why not toss those 2 corpses off the balcony? With the heat, they'll start to smell by tomorrow at the latest. Yuan shot Zhang Xiaofan a glare, opting to disregard her. However, those 2 corpses were indeed troublesome. Should they begin to decompose, the stench would permeate his home, which would be quite revolting. Although there were numerous corpses of zombies outside, the odor differed significantly. It resembled that of decaying plants and mildew, a scent Yuan had grown accustomed to in his past life. In contrast, human decay produced an unbearable stench that would overwhelm any normal person. Summoning her courage, Zhang Xiaofan approached the balcony, but her frail strength rendered her ineffective. Despite several attempts, she could not manage to dispose of the bodies, only succeeding in covering herself in blood. What should I do, Brother Yi? I can't move them. Could you come and help me, please? She was clearly overestimating her own capabilities. The streets are overrun with zombies, and you expect me to come and help you move corpses? Have you lost your mind? In truth, the zombies in the alley have mostly been eradicated. With a super shotgun boasting a capacity of 7,000 rounds, I am an unstoppable force. As long as Yuan exercises caution, reaching Zhang Xiaofan's home should pose no problem. Yet, I am not a sycophant. Why should I assist you in moving bodies? My apologies, Brother Yi. I momentarily forgot about the zombies lurking outside due to my anxiety. The marauders are dead. What is there to fear? However, I dread the possibility of more marauders breaking into my home. The streets are teeming with zombies, and societal order has disintegrated. All manner of individuals roam freely. And I am terrified. Zhang Xiaofan's concerns are not unfounded. This is merely the third day of the apocalypse. Already, there are those committing heinous acts. If this continues, every survivor could become a marauder, killing for a mere crust of bread. Although he soon mentioned he would send a helicopter to retrieve her. Who knows if he was merely placating her? Brother Yi, let us strike a bargain. You come to my home to protect me, and in return, I will cook and do your laundry. When Hisu sends the helicopter for me, I will ensure you join me. I promise by the heavens. Join me in my escape? That is indeed a tempting proposition. Yet, Yuan harbors doubts about Hisu. His parents fell victim to their machinations. How could he possibly trust such a person? Moreover, in his previous life, he did not encounter Zhang Xiaofan at Luhu, indicating that she must have faced some unforeseen calamity. The most plausible explanation is that the pilot transformed into a zombie, causing the helicopter to crash. Even if I were begged to board the helicopter, I would not dare. Yuan was about to decline Zhang Xiaofan's proposal, but then he reconsidered. This could be an opportunity. Using food to increase taming levels is a slow process. He had previously contemplated changing locations. Why not directly relocate to Zhang Xiaofan's home? Proximity would provide greater opportunities to enhance taming levels. Furthermore, once Hisu learns that another man resides in his beloved's home, he would undoubtedly be furious. The adversary suffers, while the ally rejoices. This could also lead to a significant increase in taming levels. It would be a trifecta of benefits. Why not seize the chance? Chapter 12. The Super Shotgun. God of War in the stairwell. Despite Yuan's desire to change locations, he refrained from hastily agreeing to Zhang Xiaofan's request. He must not allow himself to become a pushover, as this would only hinder his ability to increase taming levels. Yuan returned to his bedroom and continued the replication of the Super Shotgun. This time, the process was considerably simpler. He merely needed to create a one-to-one replica of the existing Super Shotgun. Although the Super Shotgun has a capacity of 7,000 rounds in his hands, it feels like a mere empty shell. The internal structure of the magazine has been altered to create an independent space, devoid of any energy field. Thus, the bullets within the magazine possess no weight. The same applies to the transformed space warehouse. Regardless of how many supplies are stored, it remains weightless. There would be no weight. Subsequently, Yuan employed his localized replication ability to modify a super pistol with a capacity of 10,000 rounds. The lifespan of the pistol allows for only 3,000 shots. However, it can be reused after replacing the barrel. Now, Yuan possesses a super pistol and 3 super shotguns, providing him with sufficient firepower for the time being. Nonetheless, the mental toll was considerable, prompting him to take another nap, awakening well past 4 in the afternoon. Upon arriving at the balcony, he discovered that Zhang Xiaofan had already disposed of the body with a scruffy beard and a hooked nose. The floor was also cleaned meticulously, yet there was no sign of anyone. Downstairs, more than a dozen zombies began to wander into view, and Yuan raised his weapon to eliminate them. The gunfire once again drawing Zhang Xiaofan out. Brother Yi, you are truly formidable. You have cleared all the zombies downstairs. It should be safe to go down now, right? What do you mean? Are you asking me to come stay with you? Brother Yi, how about I come find you? I am genuinely terrified that more thugs will storm into my home. Yuan raised an eyebrow. Zhang Xiaofan appeared pitiable, yet he was well aware of her ulterior motives. Seeking protection was one aspect, but she was undoubtedly also motivated by the prospect of food. She understood that as long as she lived with him, she would be guaranteed sustenance. However, this was a risky proposition. Although the zombies downstairs had been eradicated, it was possible that some might still be lurking in the corners. The speed and strength of the zombies were comparable to those encountered in Axis Han. If Zhang Xiaofan were to encounter one, her chances of survival would be slim. Yuan also hoped to glean more information from her, thus ensuring her safety was paramount. Yet, he was in urgent need of a change of scenery. How about this? I will come to your place, but with one condition. You must do whatever I ask. Can you accept that? Zhang Xiaofan hesitated, stammering. Will you make me do some embarrassing things? Yuan chuckled. If you are willing, I would not mind at all. Ugh, I have no desire for that. Well, it matters little to me. I merely wish to extract information, If I can manage to get some clothing off in the process, that would be even better. I am heading downstairs now, so be ready to open the door for me. With that, Yuan turned and returned to his room, conducting a thorough check to ensure nothing was overlooked. All useful items had been stored in his spatial warehouse, especially since it was merely a temporary rental. The place was nearly bare, with only the most meaningful possessions stored at the Lu Lake Villa. Yuan positioned himself behind the security door in the living room, wielding a super shotgun in one hand, with a 10,000-round pistol holstered at his thigh. His firepower was off the charts. He struck the door with the butt of his gun several times, the resounding noise quickly attracting the zombies from both ends of the stairwell. A fist-sized hole appeared in the security door. It was the result of a zombie being shot through the door yesterday. Just right through this hole. I pressed the barrel against the zombie's forehead and fired 2 rounds, eliminating 2 of them. The outside fell silent. Yet, uncertainty lingered regarding the presence of more zombies. After all, daily transformations of the living into the undead occur, and the zombies outside might wander into the alley, inadvertently making their way to the staircase. To ensure safety, Yuan struck the heavy door a few more times. The noise was considerable, but no zombies appeared. Once he ascertained relative safety, he cautiously opened the door. Holding his shotgun firmly, he stepped over the bodies outside, progressing smoothly to the first floor without encountering any zombies. In the narrow corridor, even if trouble arose, it would not pose a significant threat. The weapon, with a capacity of 7,000 rounds, would ensure any number of zombies met their demise. Emerging from the building, Yuan was greeted by a scene littered with corpses, the results of his efforts over the past 2 days. Nearby lay a military vehicle, its engine silent. In a previous life, Yuan had driven this very vehicle to escape through Shu River. However, a zombie occupied the driver's seat, a soldier who had turned. After biting his comrade, that soldier had been forced to abandon the vehicle, fleeing to the door of Yuan's rented apartment, thus granting Yuan the opportunity to acquire the shotgun. The zombie driver was restrained by a seatbelt, struggling and roaring incessantly. Yuan approached, pressing the shotgun against its forehead and pulling the trigger. The dense steel pellets instantly obliterated the zombie's head. He then unfastened the seatbelt and dragged the corpse out to search its body. He discovered a handgun, a dagger, a state-of-the-art assault rifle slung across its chest, along with 2 magazines and a grenade. In his previous life, Yuan had also acquired these weapons, particularly the grenade, which had proven invaluable at a critical moment, allowing him to escape a horde. Now, having regained possession of it, he felt a surge of excitement. The circumstances had changed. With the power of infinite replication, he could duplicate as many items as he desired, provided he had a sample. He decided to store these weapons for the time being, planning to replicate several super rifles with a capacity of 20,000 rounds at Jiang Xiaofan's residence, along with thousands of grenades. Although this would consume a considerable amount of mental energy, rest would facilitate recovery. After scavenging the equipment, only the military vehicle remained. He decided to leave it parked for future use, ensuring the keys were removed to prevent others from taking it. Upon completing these tasks, Yuan took a moment to observe his surroundings. The gunfire from earlier had attracted the attention of the zombies outside the alley, but fortunately, their numbers were few, and they had not detected his location. In the early days of the apocalypse, zombies experienced a regression in their vision, hearing, and sense of smell, rendering them less sensitive than humans. As long as food was plentiful and one remained hidden, survivors could endure the first month. However, once the zombies began to evolve, they would become a nightmare for the living, making hiding futile. With his shotgun held firmly, Yuan leaped over the bodies in the alley and entered the building where Jiang Xiaofan resided. The corridors outside remained undisturbed by the undead. The entrance staircase was eerily vacant, devoid of any visible zombies for the moment. Yuan, gripping a shotgun, ascended the stairs with cautious determination. To claim his heart was untroubled would be a fallacy. However, after battling the undead for a year in his previous life, he now felt empowered with a formidable shotgun, transforming into a veritable deity of war within the confines of the stairwell. Whether facing a solitary zombie or a horde, the cramped space rendered close encounters virtually impossible. Upon reaching the 3rd floor, Yuan spotted a pair of feet at the stairway's turn above, a telltale sign of a zombie. He raised his weapon, aiming meticulously, and ascended step by step, confirming his suspicion as a zombie came into view. Letting out a guttural shriek, the creature lunged at him. With a series of resounding gunshots, bang, 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 the zombie collapsed in the stairwell. The initial shot had already incapacitated it, over 400 steel pellets perforating its body. The vertebrae lay shattered. No matter how resilient the zombie, without spinal support, it would inevitably succumb. Yet, Yuan remained undeterred. As long as it drew breath, it posed a threat. With bullets at his disposal, he opted for caution, firing several rounds before delivering a final shot directly to its forehead, obliterating its head. With the stairwell's menace neutralized, he ascended to the 5th floor and knocked on Zhang Xiaofan's door. "It's me, open up." Chapter 13. A change of terrain, taming level soars. Zhang Xiaofan opened the door, welcoming Yi Yuan inside. To be candid, Yi Yuan had reservations about visiting her home. Despite her striking beauty, truly goddess-like, he felt compelled to do so for the sake of increasing his taming level. The growth from mere sustenance had significantly diminished. Currently, at a mere 63. It was plausible that, as time passed, this increment would further decline, necessitating a change of environment. Safety was paramount. In this apocalyptic era, human hearts had grown cold. The adage rings true: a woman's heart can be the most venomous. One might perceive a delicate beauty, yet when provoked, she could be more ruthless than the fiercest of foes. Thus, upon entering Zhang Xiaofan's abode, Yi Yuan decided to display his prowess. Quietly, he retrieved provisions from his spatial storage and laid them upon the table. "Would you care for beef hot pot?" Zhang Xiaofan gazed at the scant offerings, a meager slice of beef, a single leaf of vegetable, and a paltry amount of seasoning. "Is this truly sufficient?" Feigning a dramatic flourish, Yi Yuan extended his hands as if conjuring magic, channeling the mysterious forces within him, enveloping the beef in an invisible aura akin to a 3D printer. A wondrous spectacle unfolded before their eyes. The beef began to enlarge, expanding, and expanding further. The single leaf of vegetable multiplied into 2, then 4, then 8, while scallions, ginger, and garlic replicated endlessly. In mere moments, the table overflowed with an abundance of ingredients. Having completed this enchanting display, Yi Yuan struck a pose of cessation, as if concluding a grand incantation, exuding an air of theatricality. "Behold, I possess extraordinary abilities. I can replicate food infinitely. As long as you obediently heed my words, you shall never again suffer from hunger." "My goodness." Zhang Xiaofan gazed at Yi Yuan with an expression akin to reverence and fervor. "Brother Yi, do you possess an inexhaustible supply of food, all replicated through your extraordinary abilities?" Yi Yuan nodded affirmatively. "Do you also replicate the bullets as you slay zombies daily on the balcony?" Yi Yuan nodded once more, with an enigmatic air. "Wow, how impressive you are." As these words fell from her lips, the tameness level indicated on the card above Zhang Xiaofan's head surged by 15, reaching a total of 78. She had not anticipated that such a display would yield such a significant increase. Now, Yi Yuan had gained a deeper understanding of taming. Obedience, admiration, reverence, and even gratitude could instill a sense of compliance and dependence in the target, thus enhancing the taming level. "Rest assured, Brother Yi, I shall follow your every command. You are truly remarkable. No wonder women are drawn to strength." A beautiful female Tyrannosaurus had swiftly transformed into a gentle and docile creature. Hence, men have but one path: to grow stronger. Let us set aside emotions and focus solely on conquest. Being attractive, one must welcome all who approach. Go wash these ingredients. I shall prepare the seasonings. The seasoning plate was separate, and Yi Yuan felt a twinge of concern. What if Zhang Xiaofan were to tamper with it? Although the likelihood of such an occurrence was minimal, especially since Yi Yuan had made a striking entrance, declaring, "I possess extraordinary powers. With me, you shall never face hunger. If I perish, so too shall you." He trusted that Zhang Xiaofan would not be foolish enough to contemplate harming herself. However, having lived a second life, Yi Yuan maintained his cautious nature, always leaving a reserve. Seizing the opportunity while Zhang Xiaofan was busy washing the ingredients, Yi Yuan meticulously examined her room. The apartment, a 2-bedroom unit, though modest in size, had been renovated and exuded warmth. The living room was equipped with streaming devices, including a 3D printer. Fortunately, Zhang Xiaofan was skilled in 3D printing. Otherwise, Yi Yuan would have missed this opportunity and still be left hungry. After inspecting the living room, he ventured into her bedroom. Upon opening the door, he was greeted by the unique scent of femininity, a soft and comfortable bed adorned with a pink mosquito net. Through the slightly ajar wardrobe doors, he glimpsed an array of lacy garments, with an oversized watermelon-shaped cover particularly catching his eye. It was no wonder Hisu had been utterly enchanted, and inadvertently found himself emotionally involved. The esteemed Hishao of Shu Du had become a devoted admirer, neglecting even the taste of pot stickers and cold noodles. Truly, there exists a myriad of personalities. After inspecting the bedroom, Yi Yuan withdrew. His intention was merely to ascertain whether there were any poisons or weapons in Zhang Xiaofan's home. Although his search was not exhaustive, it provided him with some reassurance. At this moment, Zhang Xiaofan had completed washing the ingredients. With the induction stove plugged in, it would not be long before the pot began to boil, and they could indulge in a delicious beef hot pot. She naturally took her seat at the dining table. long famished. Jiang Xiaofan's stomach felt as if it were pressing against her back upon seeing a large platter of beef and vegetables, causing her to salivate uncontrollably. However, Yi Yuan showed her no leniency. "Did I ask you to sit down?" he inquired. "Ah." Jiang Xiaofan's mind was filled with question marks as she gazed at Yi Yuan's cold and stern expression, momentarily at a loss for words. "Well, she stammered. Yi Yuan's gaze turned icy. "What do you mean, you? Do not assume this is your home, where you are the master. I am the master here now. Do you have any objections?" "What? This is clearly my home. How can it change ownership the moment you step in?" Though reluctant, she realized that the authority lay firmly in Yi Yuan's hands, and with food at stake, he held the upper hand. "If you have any objections, I can leave right now. Of course, I would take this food with me." "That cannot happen." Jiang Xiaofan was no fool. A glance at the heaping platter of beef indicated it was clearly enough for two. It was just herself and Yi Degu at home, and he must have prepared it for her. Yi Degu, despite his frosty demeanor, was warm-hearted within. I won't fall for your tricks. Yi Degu, I will heed your commands. From now on, this household is under your purview." With that, Jiang Xiaofan dutifully stood up and retreated to a distance of 1 meter. Yi Yuan noticed that her compliance had risen by 2 points, reaching exactly 80. What was happening? Not allowing her at the table had somehow increased her submissiveness. Was she being foolish? This reinforced the notion that women should not be indulged. The more you pamper them, the more they become troublesome. They require constant correction. Just then, the pot reached a boil. Yi Yuan picked up a thin slice of beef and placed it in, retrieving it after a mere 10 seconds. Dipping it in garlic and chili sauce. Absolutely delicious. Jiang Xiaofan stood nearby, her mouth watering uncontrollably, her stomach growling audibly. "I must endure. A little patience now will serve a greater purpose later." Surely, once Yi Degu was full, he would allow her to join him at the table. If not, she could always sip some broth. How pitiful it was to find even the broth delectable. Yet, it was better than going hungry. Moreover, Yi Degu wasn't so stingy. There was plenty of beef on the table, and she was certain she could manage a few bites. At that moment, Yi Yuan retrieved a bottle of frozen beer from his spatial warehouse, filling a large glass. He gulped down half of it in one go, burping contentedly, which made Jiang Xiaofan salivate even more. Beef hot pot paired with beer, was this the life in the apocalypse? The more Jiang Xiaofan displayed her cravings, the more Yi Yuan deliberately savored his meal. A firm hand coupled with sweet dates. First, the stick must be swung firmly, but not excessively. After eating for about 10 minutes, Yi Yuan was nearly full. Lighting a cigarette, he observed Jiang Xiaofan, who was still swallowing hard beside him. "Come, sit down and eat together." Those words had been awaited for quite some time. Jiang Xiaofan quickly took a seat, and within less than 10 seconds, she devoured a piece of beef from the pot, entirely disregarding her goddess-like image. "Slow down, don't burn yourself," she heard Yi Yuan say. How considerate of him. She felt a surge of emotion as her tameness increased by 3 points. It seemed that changing the map was indeed a wise decision, providing more opportunities to enhance her tameness. Of course, Yi Yuan was unaware that these 3 points were not merely due to the food, but rather from his casual suggestion to eat more slowly. Was this really concern? He thought to himself that Hisu had pursued her for over half a year without evoking even a hint of gratitude from her. Thus, being overly kind to women could lead them to take it for granted. Had he allowed her to dine at the table from the very beginning, he likely would not have achieved those 3 points in tameness. It appeared that he would have to continue wielding the stick. Chapter 14. Duplicating 1,000 grenades. The true safe zone. As Jiang Xiaofan ate, she observed Yi Yuan. He consumed meat heartily and drank from a large bowl, evoking her envy. However, she exercised restraint and did not ask for beer. At that moment, Yi Yuan remarked, "You performed well today," and poured a glass of wine, pushing it towards her. "This is your reward. As long as you obediently comply, I promise you shall have no worries about food and drink." What Yi Yuan sought was merely her submission. Her private thoughts mattered little to him. He aimed to fill her tameness gauge and then review her attributes once more. "Brother Yi, you are too kind," she exclaimed, her excitement palpable as she lifted the beer mug, nearly spilling it. Women from Shu City were known for their excellent drinking capacity, and Jiang Xiaofan finished it in one go, letting out a contented burp. Her tameness rose by 2 points once again, proving the efficacy of his offerings. However, he knew he must not allow her to take it for granted. Otherwise, her gratitude would fade, and no amount of offerings would yield further increases in tameness. She needed just 10 more points to review her attributes again. Yi Yuan contemplated while enjoying the hot pot. Once Jiang Xiaofan's tameness reached 95, it might be the last opportunity to review her attributes. He pondered whether to take her along when he left or abandon her entirely. Despite being a living arsenal, escaping the old city remained fraught with challenges, and Jiang Xiaofan was evidently a burden. Taking her along was exceedingly unwise. while leaving her behind would undoubtedly lead to her demise. Betrayal and abandonment were common among survivors in the apocalypse, a reality to which Yuan had grown accustomed. He exhaled softly, temporarily setting aside these thoughts. Were there SA will, there SA way. Perhaps he would even achieve 100 points of tameness. Brother Yi, why the sigh? Are you troubled by something? She asked. Enough chatter. Once you're full, go wash the pot, he replied. I'm not full yet. Zhang Xiaofan pouted adorably, returning her focus to the meat. Deep down, Yuan did not wish to leave Zhang Xiaofan behind. Uncertain of her antibody status, Yuan felt uneasy about keeping Zhang Xiaofan close, as she was akin to a ticking time bomb. The daily inhalation of the virus amidst the blood mist meant that even those who had not been exposed to rain would inevitably succumb to transformation. The prospect of being bitten in his sleep by her undead form was a chilling thought. Just then, a voice echoed in his mind, revealing, by consecutively extracting 3 entries from the target, they will automatically become your follower, achieving a taming level of 100, and will obey your commands unconditionally. Followers are immune to the blood mist virus, though not to the toxins within the corpses. What? By simply extracting 3 entries, Zhang Xiaofan would become my follower? And she would be immune to the blood mist virus? This was indeed fortuitous. It seemed he had no choice but to take her along. Although having a burden would complicate their escape from the old city, having an additional companion could prove invaluable. Once Zhang Xiaofan became a follower, her loyalty would be assured, allowing him to train her in weaponry without concern. With each wielding a shotgun, their chances of survival would significantly increase. Resolving to set aside his previous misgivings, Yuan's spirits lifted. I've had my fill. Remember to wash the pot later. Also, your bedroom is now mine. You can sleep in the guest room, he declared. Striding into Zhang Xiaofan's bedroom and closing the door with a decisive thud, Zhang Xiaofan was momentarily taken aback, powerless to protest, murmuring to herself, how domineering. Even my bedroom is taken. Nevertheless, her focus shifted back to enjoying the hot pot. The beef is delicious. Oh, and there's half a bottle of beer left, she giggled. Meanwhile, Yuan had locked the bedroom door behind him, intent on continuing his weapon replication. He retrieved grenades and an assault rifle, contemplating that it would be wiser to replicate a batch of grenades first. The assault rifle was primarily for human targets, while shotguns and grenades were most effective against zombies. Channeling the mysterious energy within him, he transformed it into an invisible printer, enveloping the modified space warehouse. Focusing on the grenades within the warehouse, he initiated localized replication. In no time, 1 grenade became 2, then 4, 8, and 16. Before long, he had replicated 1,000 grenades. This entire process unfolded within the confines of the space warehouse, ensuring no safety risks were involved. He retrieved 1 grenade, its weight reassuring and its surface cool to the touch, instilling a sense of security. With this stockpile of grenades, their chances of a successful escape from the main city had dramatically increased. Although the replication process was brief, it had drained his mental energy, necessitating a moment of rest. Yuan carefully stored the grenades back in the space warehouse. Reclining on a bed suffused with the scent of femininity, he gently closed his eyes, slipping into a light slumber, wary of descending too deeply into sleep. Zhang Xiaofan had finished her beef hot pot, and the sky outside had darkened. After tidying up the dining table, her phone vibrated. It was a call from Hisu. After a moment's hesitation, she chose not to answer. Her heart was torn. Hisu had a deep affection for her. He was affluent, powerful, and influential, capable of sending a helicopter for her rescue. Aside from being lecherous and short, he lacked no other discernible flaws. Logically, encountering such a benefactor in a post-apocalyptic world should warrant a blind embrace. Zhang Xiaofan had once thought so. However, everything had changed with the arrival of Yuan. His extraordinary ability to replicate infinitely rendered him an invincible anomaly in any era, a rare treasure in the current world. This benefactor was far more substantial. Moreover, she was the first woman Yuan had encountered. Proximity often breeds favor. It was prudent to secure her hold on Yuan. Yet, Hisu had indeed treated her well. Even if her feigned indifference stemmed from her apprehension of the He family, she knew that parting ways required at least a word of acknowledgement. Thus, she answered the call. Xiaofan, why did it take you so long to answer? How are you? Have you eaten? Hisu's concern was as unwavering as ever, yet Zhang Xiaofan felt unmoved, even harboring a hint of aversion. She was acutely aware that while Hisu's affection was genuine, his notorious lechery was well known. It was entirely plausible that during their conversation, he had another woman in his embrace. Perhaps it was her display of reticence that captivated him. Both men and women share this trait. The more elusive the prize, the more precious it appears. Regaining her scattered thoughts, Zhang Xiaofan calmly responded, I've already eaten. I was just washing the dishes, and my phone was set to vibrate. so I didn't hear it ring. On the other end, Hisu visibly sighed in relief. That's wonderful. Just hold on a little longer. I will send a helicopter for you tomorrow morning. I've received information that the blood mist and blood rain are both viral in nature, though the blood mist is relatively mild. However, prolonged exposure to the blood mist could potentially lead to zombification. But worry not, there is no blood mist in Luhu. It enjoys daily sunlight and is under military control, making it exceedingly safe. Once you arrive here, you needn't fear the transformation. What? Zhang Xiaofan was taken aback. Her previously tranquil demeanor shifted to one of anxiety. This was unacceptable. Even if Brother Yi could infinitely replicate food and weapons, being ensconced in the blood mist posed inherent risks. The probability of zombification remained unclear. Perhaps it was high, or it could be low. Zhang Xiaofan dared not gamble. Her mind was singularly focused on one thought. She must leave the main urban area immediately and head to Luhu, where there was no blood mist. A true sanctuary in every sense. However, a plan must be devised to take Brother Yi along as well. Chapter 15. Eliminate Yi Yuan to prevent future troubles. Zhang Xiaofan harbored a faint premonition that persuading Yi Yuan to leave alongside them would prove to be a formidable challenge. Despite Hisu's persistent claims of familiarity with Yi Yuan, even going so far as to state that if Yi Yuan provided him with sustenance, he would ensure their departure via helicopter, it was evident that Yi Yuan was not swayed by Hisu's assurances. This indicated a past grievance between the two men. Zhang Xiaofan possessed a modicum of understanding regarding Hisu's character. Arrogant and vindictive, he was not one to easily concede the opportunity to extricate Yi Yuan. A solution needed to be found. On the phone, Hisu was oblivious to Zhang Xiaofan's fluctuating emotions and could not fathom her thoughts. He continued his monologue unabated. Xiaofan, I must inform you of something in advance. The helicopter cannot land on the roof of your building. Instead, it will lower a rope ladder. Just hold on tightly to the ladder when the time comes. Bear with it. Such is the necessity of these extraordinary times. The helicopter is not only coming to fetch you, but will also stop at Yiping Tangxiang to pick up Aunt Rian. She is the wife of my Uncle Gu. Be sure to greet her when you see her. Zhang Xiaofan recognized the name Gu Yiming, a true titan in Shudu, commanding a diverse portfolio that included real estate, supermarkets, and hotels. His supermarket chain alone boasted 700 outlets in Shudu, effectively dominating every neighborhood, whether foreign or domestic brands. Any supermarket entering Shudu would find it difficult to survive under Gu Yiming's monopolistic grip, thus solidifying his family's hold over the livelihoods of Shudu's 20 million residents. He was indeed a formidable figure. However, in this apocalyptic era, such matters were of little concern to Zhang Xiaofan. Initially intending to respond with a mere token acknowledgement, an epiphany struck her. Hisu mentioned that a rope ladder would be deployed when the helicopter arrived tomorrow. That presented an opportunity. Brother He, when you come to pick me up tomorrow, could you please bring Yi Yuan along as well? You mentioned that he would provide me with food, and so you would take him with you. There was a moment of palpable confusion on the other end of the line. Yi Yuan? Food was provided by him? That cannot be right. He toyed with me yesterday. How could he possibly give you food? Zhang Xiaofan was unaware of Yi Yuan's playful antics at Hisu's expense. Even if she had known, it would not have concerned her. All she wished for was to accompany Yi Yuan to Luhu. The food was indeed given to me by Yi Yuan. Furthermore, he saved me today. She recounted the incident where intruders had invaded her home and Yi Yuan had dispatched them from the balcony. Yet, she refrained from disclosing the truth regarding Yi Yuan's stay at her residence. Are you saying that Yi Yuan forcefully entered your home, threatening you to take him along tomorrow? Zhang Xiaofan feigned a sense of grievance, replying, yes, he claimed you had made a promise. Moreover, the condition for his initial rescue was that he would leave with you on your helicopter. Additionally, he mentioned that he would tie a rope around both of us, so we could hang together from the rope ladder. If you sever the rope ladder, he will drag me down with him to feed the zombies. You wouldn't abandon me to become zombie fodder, would you? Hee. Zhang Xiaofan feigned innocence, yet inwardly reveled in delight. She deliberately portrayed Yi Yuan as a brute, instilling hesitation in Hisu. With just a rope tied around the waists of both Brother Yi and herself, they could safely ascend the ladder. Once aboard the aircraft, Brother Yi would brandish a shotgun, coercing the pilot to alter their course. With the vast expanse of Lu Lake, any spot would suffice for a landing. After incapacitating the pilot, they could retreat to a concealed location to regroup in tranquility. With Brother Yi's formidable strength, he would soon rise to dominance in the region, alleviating any concerns of retaliation from Hisu. Zhang Xiaofan's plan was meticulously conceived. Yet, Hisu's voice was laced with malice. Very well, that scoundrel Yi Yuan. Xiaofan, rest assured, for your sake, I will allow him on the plane. Upon reaching Lu Lake, I will avenge you. To dare threaten me, Hisu, is courting death. He chuckled. Once on the plane, it would be a realm of freedom. I cannot allow you to harm Brother Yi. I, Jiang Xiaofan, shall cling to this pillar of strength. Unbeknownst to her, Jiang Xiaofan's submissiveness had surged by 3 points, just 7 away from another opportunity to enhance her attributes. Meanwhile, on Black Pearl Island in the ecological city of Lu Lake, there stood 26 lakeside villas, with a cluster of high-rise apartments at the center. Given Hisu's status, he surely resided in a villa, yet he also acquired a high-rise unit, specifically to house his canaries. Known for his extravagant lifestyle, Hisu had indulged in countless beauties, yet a few particularly captivated his attention. Thus, he kept them, catering to his own pleasures. Rising from the sumptuous bed, Hisu prepared to dress and depart. Young master, he, want you stay the night? Are we not worth as much as Jiang Xiaofan? 2 delicate beauties lay on the bed. Though not as stunning as Jiang Xiaofan, they were still rare gems. Hisu cast a disdainful glance at them. How can you compare to Xiaofan? Before the apocalypse, I would spend 100,000 a month on each of you. I offered Xiaofan luxury cars and mansions, yet she rejected them all, though merely a live-streaming internet celebrity. She has never resorted to lewdness. Xiaofan is the true lotus flower in my heart, pure and unblemished. At that moment, having dressed, Hisu suddenly recalled something and turned back, speaking fiercely. I must give you a heads up. Tomorrow, I will bring Xiaofan to Lu Lake. Should you see us together, pretend not to recognize me. If you slip up, do not blame me for being ungracious. With that, Hisu departed. The 2 women exchanged knowing smiles. Who would care to accompany you, fat and ugly? Let us hope that when Jiang Xiaofan arrives at Lu Lake, she ensnares Hisu completely. So he won't trouble us. The world has indeed descended into chaos. The military has taken control here, and even in the absence of Hisu, we can still procure provisions. It is merely a charade, no one takes it seriously. After Hisu descended the stairs, he promptly returned to the lakeside villa. In the living room, a corpulent middle-aged man lounged on the sofa, his ample beer belly resembling an inflated balloon, at first glance evoking the image of a laughing Buddha. He is none other than Hisu's father, Xiaoming. Father, I need to discuss something with you, Hisu said, his expression urgent as he approached his father. Yuan is still alive. Moreover, I suspect he has already discovered that we were responsible for the demise of his parents. To prevent any prolonged complications, I propose we eliminate him tomorrow. Is that so? Xiaoming rose from the sofa, his demeanor grave as he scrutinized his son. Didn't Yuan move away long ago? And how can you be certain he knows we killed his parents? Hisu wasted no time and immediately articulated the suspicions he had regarding his recent communications with Yuan. Consider this. If Yuan were unaware of our involvement in his parents' deaths, why would he mock me during our video call? He even intruded upon Xiaofan's home, using Xiaofan to coerce me into taking him along tomorrow. As you know, our relationship with Yuan has appeared amicable on the surface. His sudden change in demeanor likely indicates that he has uncovered evidence during his absence linking us to his parents' deaths. Therefore, he must be silenced. After listening, Xiaoming pondered for a moment and replied, You present a valid argument. Hisu added, I heard from Xiaofan that he possesses a firearm. And given his audacity to board a plane, he must be adequately prepared. I suggest you reach out to Uncle Gu. He has connections and could pee ordinary survivors in a post-apocalyptic world do not prioritize reputation. However, individuals like Gu Yiming, who belong to the elite, remain at the pinnacle of the food chain even in such dire times, necessitating a consideration for their own dignity. Rest assured, brother he, leave this matter to me. I will alert my superiors and secure 2 light machine guns and a rocket launcher for tomorrow, ensuring that Yuan does not escape the old city alive. As for your nephew's girlfriend, she may perish alongside him. This is something you must keep under wraps for now. We are not the types to dwell on trifles. You know well what is of greater importance. After hanging up the phone, Xiaoming let out a soft breath. Gu Yiming's methods remained as ruthless as ever. To eliminate Yuan, he would even go so far as to dispose of his son's girlfriend. Nevertheless, it was a prudent decision, after all. Women are merely a means to an end. In a world like this, as long as there is food and strength, women can be found in abundance. Jiang Xiaofan was oblivious to the fact that her seemingly flawless scheme had already drawn deadly consequences. Yet, a woman's intuition is often keen. After finishing her conversation with Hisu, she felt restless, her heart uneasy. Everything was progressing too smoothly, too unrealistically so. She attempted to consult Yuan, but after knocking twice without a response, she proceeded to the bedroom door. Brother Yi, what are you doing? Open the door. I have something important to discuss. Yuan glanced at the time. It was indeed time to rise. He had been aware of Jiang Xiaofan knocking all along, but chose to ignore her. When dealing with women, one must not always acquiesce to their demands. It is essential to make them anxious, even to the point of tears. To conquer their hearts is to enhance one's own influence over them. What are you doing? After such a hearty dinner, you're not hungry again, are you? Jiang Xiaofan rolled her eyes. Am I the kind of person who eats endlessly? Humph. Brother Yi, Let us step outside to talk. It's crucial. She led Yi Yuan to the living room, recounting the events in detail. Upon hearing her words, Yi Yuan's brow furrowed into a deep frown. What do you think? Brother Yi, is there a problem? I can't shake this feeling that everything is too convenient. It unsettles me. Yi Yuan lit a cigarette, inhaling deeply without responding. There was indeed a problem. However, Jiang Xiaofan had proven herself resourceful, managing to deceive Hisu into believing she intended to leave with him. Yet, Yi Yuan understood that had he not possessed the ability to replicate indefinitely, she would never have taken such a risk. Human relationships are fundamentally based on mutual benefit, a blend of truth and deception. As long as one is aware of this, it suffices. After finishing his cigarette, Yi Yuan finally spoke. I know Hisu better than you do. He will not allow me to reach Luhua alive. Even considering your safety, should he insist I board the plane, what then? Do you believe that possessing a firearm renders me invincible? Upon boarding the aircraft, I was met with the ominous presence of 4 or 5 armed individuals. Their weapons pressed against my head, leaving me at their mercy. Thus, it is imperative that we do not board the plane. Jiang Xiaofan immediately shook his head, declaring, Brother Yi, we will not board the aircraft. Instead, we shall suspend ourselves from the ladder, securing ourselves with a rope around our waists. Should any of those aboard the plane fire upon you, I shall plummet alongside you. I trust that Hisu would not resort to such actions. It appears to be a seemingly insurmountable predicament, yet Yi Yuan discerned numerous flaws within this grand scheme. Did you not mention that the helicopter is to fetch Lu Rian? If we are suspended from the ladder, how can they retrieve her once we reach Yiping Sandalwood? His words illuminated Jiang Xiaofan's understanding. If those on the ladder do not board the plane, those below cannot ascend. It is improbable that all 3 of us would dangle from the ladder. Moreover, Yi Yuan was acutely aware of the possibility that the helicopter pilot might undergo a transformation. Thus he would be even less inclined to board the aircraft. You are unaware of the intricate relationships I maintain with the He and Gu families. It cannot be succinctly explained in mere words. However, one thing is certain. The primary objective of this helicopter rescue is to eliminate me. Indeed, in a previous life, no helicopter was dispatched to assassinate Yi Yuan, as he had remained in the shadows. Yet in this life, he had revealed himself and toyed with Hisu, who, despite his ignorance, would likely harbor suspicions. Should this information reach his father, Xiaoming, the situation would become exceedingly more convoluted. It is plausible that, to eradicate future threats, even Jiang Xiaofan could be eliminated. Yi Yuan understood them all too well. Trust me, we must not board the helicopter tomorrow. Of course, Jiang Xiaofan replied. If you choose to leave, I shall not hinder you. He quickly shook his head, asserting, I will not depart. I wish to remain by your side. Yi Yuan raised an eyebrow. What? Have you developed feelings for me? Not at all. I merely wish to stay with you. Yi Yuan nodded, a knowing smile playing on his lips. He comprehended her thoughts well enough. Yet, it mattered little. There are no uncaused affections in this world. Only those with capability garner followers. Relationships between men and women are merely akin to the bond between Guan and Bao, not to be taken too seriously. But Brother Yi, how shall we escape the main city? Jiang Xiaofan inquired. Hisu mentioned that the blood mist is also a virus. Prolonged exposure could lead to zombification. Currently, only Luhak remains unscathed by the blood mist. We must devise a means to reach Luhak. Yi Yuan, having lived again, was well aware that Luhak offered the utmost safety. However, he possessed antibodies, rendering him unconcerned about the blood mist. Furthermore, by revisiting Jiang Xiaofan's dossier, she would automatically transform into his follower, thus gaining immunity to the blood mist virus. I have my own methods to extricate you from the main city. Do not worry. I can assure you that the blood mist will not turn you into a zombie. As for the reasons, do not inquire. In Jiang Xiaofan's heart, Yi Yuan is a figure of great wisdom, and his words are undoubtedly trustworthy. I have faith in Brother Yi. Unbeknownst to her, her tameness increased by 2, reaching a total of 90. Only 5 points remain before she can unlock the final attribute. It now seems quite feasible. She estimates that by tomorrow, she will attain a level of 95. Yi Yuan glanced at the time. It was already past 10 in the evening, a typical hour for slumber. However, he had just awakened, full of vigor. This evening, he intended to accomplish his task. What is the password for your front door? I need to step out for a moment, and you have to let me in when I return. Yi Yuan peered through the peephole. There were no zombies in sight. It was safe. Jiang Xiaofan relayed the door code to him, and he grasped his shotgun before stepping outside. Brother Yi, please be careful. Yi Yuan did not respond, and ascended the stairs directly. Uncertain of the presence of zombies above, he needed to ensure the area was cleared tonight, so he could hide on the rooftop by dawn. Hisu harbored intentions of killing Yi Yuan. Yet, Yi Yuan too wished to eliminate him. During their previous video call, he had toyed with him, intending to provoke Hisu. If this man were to personally arrive by helicopter, Yuan would be waiting atop the building, ready to shoot the pilot and send the helicopter crashing down. Of course, even if Su did not come, Yuan still intended to take down the helicopter. His position was already exposed. Without a doubt, there would be gunmen sent by the He family on board, rather than remain passive and endure their assault. It was far better to strike first. Chapter 17. The third attribute extraction. The dilapidated buildings in the urban area typically stand only 7 or 8 stories high. After eliminating 2 zombies, Yuan made his way to the rooftop platform, where clotheslines were strung up, adorned with uncollected sheets. These impeded his visibility. He tore down the sheets, and his view became unobstructed. By tomorrow, he planned to take refuge in the attic, waiting to open fire when the helicopter dispatched by Su arrived. Marksmanship would not be a concern. In his past life, Yuan had sought vengeance by first joining the Deer Lake Border Defense Force, where he ventured out daily to slay zombies, honing his shooting skills. After all, eliminating zombies required precision headshots. Within a year, even a novice could evolve into an expert. Furthermore, tomorrow, he only needed to target the helicopter pilot. Hitting the body would suffice. The only uncertainty lay in how low the helicopter would descend tomorrow. If it approached closely, not far from the ground, he could easily use the shotgun for an instant kill. However, if the distance were greater, the shotgun's accuracy and power would diminish significantly, necessitating the use of an automatic rifle. Seizing this moment of clarity, Yuan resolved to modify a super automatic rifle. The stairwell was now clear of zombies, and the rooftop was also quite secure. Confined within the 4 walls of her home, yearning for a breath of fresh air, Yuan retrieved a stool from the space storage, settled down, lit a cigarette, and commenced the modification of a super automatic rifle. Meanwhile, Zhang Xiaofan, left behind in the house, appeared restless, her heart engulfed in turmoil, grappling with an internal struggle. Should I really go through with this? She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her bright and captivating eyes gazing out at the hazy crimson mist illuminated by the streetlights, while the low growls of zombies echoed from below. Nervously, Zhang Xiaofan retreated to the living room and sank onto the sofa. In a world so drastically changed, why should I still care about these matters? I am but a woman without any means to defend myself. Only by aligning with a formidable figure like Yuan can I hope to survive. Perhaps in the future, Yuan will have many women by his side. However, as long as I am the first, he should not treat me poorly. Suddenly, a resolute glimmer sparkled in Zhang Xiaofan's eyes. She pushed open the bedroom door, opened the wardrobe, and deliberately selected a diaphanous camisole nightgown from a row of exquisite garments. Slipping on a pair of black stockings, she stood before the mirror, admiring her flawless figure, which ignited fervor from every angle. Zhang Xiaofan was acutely aware of her beauty and recognized that it was her greatest asset. Thus, during her university years, while her roommates engaged in romantic pursuits, she remained untouched, despite countless admirers. Zhang Xiaofan believed that only the most exceptional, wealthy, and handsome suitors were worthy of her, unwilling to settle for anything less. Even a mere hand-holding would feel like a tarnish upon her dignity. No wonder it is said that one should seek beautiful girlfriends, for the more beautiful they are, the more pristine their essence. This is not to imply that beautiful women possess pure hearts. Rather, it is because their beauty allows them to be selective about their partners. The clientele of foot massage establishments are often ordinary-looking and coarse men. It is not that handsome men do not wish to visit. It is simply that they cannot overcome their psychological barriers. Entering such a place with a handsome face evokes a sense of vulnerability, as if one were a lamb among wolves, feeling disadvantaged regardless of the technician's attention. It is this narcissistic psyche that has kept Zhang Xiaofan virtuous to this day. She extinguished the bedroom light and, with a mix of trepidation and anticipation, lay down on her bed pretending to sleep. Despite her admiration for a wealthy and handsome man, wealth was of little consequence, for she herself was affluent. All that mattered was height and looks, both of which Yuan possessed, and in this apocalyptic world, his extraordinary ability to replicate was the greatest treasure of all. Who could compare to Yuan as a tall, rich, and handsome man? Unbeknownst to her, as Zhang Xiaofan lay with her eyes closed, the taming level of the card above her head surged from 90 to 95 in an instant, meeting the requirements for the third extraction of its attributes. Meanwhile, Yuan remained on the rooftop, engrossed in the replication of the super automatic rifle, entirely oblivious to the unfolding events concerning Zhang Xiaofan. The thoughts fluttered like snowflakes, swirling in a tempest of imagination. She felt a tinge of anxiety. After all, Yuan had already claimed her bedroom. What if he turned out to be an unwaveringly masculine type? Assuming she intended to contest his claim to the space and sought to expel her, that would be exceedingly awkward. However, Zhang Xiaofan quickly devised a clever excuse. Should Yi Yuan prove to be devoid of romantic sensibility and attempt to oust her, she could simply assert that she was merely accustomed to sleeping in her own bed. After all, the bedroom was hers. Sleeping there daily had ingrained the habit, making her forget that it had changed hands. A mischievous smile crept across Jiang Xiaofan's face as she reveled in her own cleverness, her internal trepidation dissipating, allowing her mood to lighten considerably. Meanwhile, Yi Yuan, having not yet finished his cigarette, had successfully replicated a super-automatic rifle. Drawing from his previous experience with the shotgun, he understood that although the feeding mechanism for the shotgun differed from the magazine of the automatic rifle, the principles of replication remained consistent. Both required an extension of internal space and springs, a straightforward operation, provided one possessed the ability for localized integrated replication. The super-automatic rifle boasted a magazine capacity of 10,000 rounds. In truth, this latest domestic model could sustain a shooting lifespan of 15,000 rounds. Yet, Yi Yuan was not in want of weaponry or ammunition. There was no need to limit himself. A capacity of 10,000 rounds ensured absolute reliability in both accuracy and safety. He stored the automatic rifle and a chair into his spatial repository, stretched languidly, and prepared to retire. Upon entering the attic, he suddenly paused, his gaze drawn to the slatted blinds, a spark of inspiration igniting within him. Behind the blinds lay an optimal position for ambushing helicopters, though the view was obstructed. Yi Yuan retrieved the automatic rifle, severed 2 slats, allowing the barrel to extend outward while maintaining an unobstructed line of sight. Perfect. He decided to stake out there the following day, casually flicking away the cigarette, but Yi Yuan carefully returned to the 5th floor with the shotgun in hand. Upon opening the door, he found the living room illuminated. Yet Jiang Xiaofan was nowhere to be seen. Calling out several times yielded no response. Had she perhaps transformed into a zombie? In a previous life? Upon returning to Luhu without spotting Jiang Xiaofan, it was not necessarily due to a helicopter crash. She might have succumbed to the undead before him. He fervently hoped this was not the case. There was still one more entry to uncover. Yi Yuan swiftly locked the door behind him, drawing his pistol with caution, and approached Jiang Xiaofan's bedroom door. A knock elicited no reply. He checked the bathroom, finding it damp and still scented with shower gel, indicating that Jiang Xiaofan had just bathed. However, after scouring the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and balcony, there was still no sign of her. Now, only his own bedroom remained. Yi Yuan stepped outside the door, gently turned the doorknob, which moved freely, suggesting it was not locked. With his right hand holding the gun and his left pushing the door open, he peered through the hazy glow of the street lamp outside, faintly revealing a graceful silhouette reclining on the bed. The posture of sleep is unintentional, yet irresistibly alluring. It is Jiang Xiaofan. Her body rises and falls gently, indicating a steady breath, devoid of any signs of decay. What is this? Wasn't he agreed that the master bedroom would be mine? It seems I have been too lenient with you. After being reprimanded, you still fail to learn your lesson. Yi Yuan's gaze turned icy, on the verge of loudly reprimanding Jiang Xiaofan to wake her. Suddenly, his attention was captivated by the card hovering above her head. A taming degree of 95? Oh my. A trip to the rooftop has raised it to 95. I can delve into her traits for the 3rd time. Chapter 18. Replicating Life Forms. Hisu's head is enveloped in green. Yi Yuan holstered his pistol and slowly approached the bed, gazing at the card above Jiang Xiaofan's head. A taming degree of 95 signified that this would be the final opportunity to extract her traits. He pondered what extraordinary abilities he might acquire. At this moment, Yi Yuan could hardly contain his excitement, his breath quickening involuntarily. Jiang Xiaofan, feigning sleep, sensed his heavy breathing and her imagination began to wander. Humph. Men are all the same. Upon seeing a beautiful woman, they transform into beasts, especially in the presence of a beauty such as myself. Jiang Xiaofan was confident and somewhat arrogant. However, after a moment of waiting, she noticed that Yi Yuan had not taken any further action. What is going on? Could it be that Brother Yi is a wooden puppet? Or perhaps he is incapable? Jiang Xiaofan's long eyelashes fluttered, her half-closed eyelids slightly lifting, allowing her to glimpse Yi Yuan standing still, like a motionless statue. He truly resembled a wooden figure. Has Brother Yi contracted the zombie virus? Will he undergo transformation? Surely not. Individuals on the brink of transformation are usually quite agitated, unlike Brother Yi, who remains so composed. Jiang Xiaofan was utterly bewildered. Unbeknownst to her, Yi Yuan stood there, transfixed, solely because of the card indicating her taming degree of 95. This was the last chance. Once extracted, Xiaofan could become a servant, eternally immune to the blood mist, thus providing an additional ally to escape the city. Yi Yuan focused his mind on the trait above Jiang Xiaofan's head. I shall extract. In an instant, a mysterious force surged into Yi Yuan's body, Simultaneously, the information on the card underwent a transformation. Servant, Jiang Xiaofan attributes, Strength 8. Constitution 8, Agility 9, Spirit 9 abilities. None, Master may bestow, current Taming degree. 100 after the third extraction, Jiang Xiaofan's Taming degree automatically rose to 100. A Taming degree of 100 signifies absolute loyalty and the potential to bestow her with abilities. Currently, Yuan possessed only one 3D printing ability. Of course, it can be further subdivided into 3 distinct capabilities: infinite replication, partial integrated replication, and a newly acquired ability. Although he had yet to examine the third capability, it was likely also related to replication. The marvel of 3D printing is unparalleled. Even though Jiang Xiaofan has achieved a taming level of 100, Yuan would not bestow the gift upon her. He now turned his attention to the newly acquired abilities. Yuan summoned the attribute panel. Yuan attributes, Strength 11, Constitution 11, Agility 10, Spirit 9 superpower, 3D printing, unlimited duplication, partial integrated duplication, organism duplication. The third ability astonishingly allows for the duplication of living organisms. With a mere thought, the detailed description of this superpower manifested within his mind. Organism duplication, capable of printing and replicating low-level sentient beings, such as pigs, cattle, sheep, chickens, ducks, geese, fish, and shrimp, yet devoid of the capacity to replicate memories. Incredible. The ability to replicate living beings is extraordinary. This equates to the power of creation itself. Although memories cannot be duplicated, what does it matter? The replicated entities will possess entirely new memories, which could arguably be even better. Since low-level sentient beings can be replicated, it stands to reason that non-sentient life forms are also fair game, such as various plants. With blood mist enveloping the sky and species extinction looming, such notions are unfounded. As long as I am here, extinction shall not occur. Yuan's primary objective is vengeance. However, after avenging his grievances, he must certainly cultivate his own power. Thus, it is imperative to gather various samples in advance for future replication. There is no immediate urgency for plant samples. Although the fog obscures sunlight and hampers photosynthesis, it does not eliminate light entirely. In a low-light environment, plants will not perish instantly. The pressing concern lies with animal samples. This matter requires careful deliberation. At the very least, it should wait until he escapes the central city. Yuan retracted his thoughts and, with another thought, made Jiang Xiaofan's information card vanish from above her head. This was a new function acquired after she became his servant. Yuan now had the ability to conceal her personal information card at will, revealing it only when necessary. This arrangement was preferable. Having a card floating above her head made her seem robotic. Without it, she appeared more like a living, breathing human. With Xiaofan's taming level reaching 100, Yuan contemplated taking her out the following day to confront the zombies personally. Aside from honing her marksmanship, the essence of practical combat lay in cultivating courage. Only by bravely facing the zombies could one remain composed when confronted by them. He certainly did not wish for Xiaofan to be paralyzed by fear upon exiting the city. It would be a pity to see a hard-won servant fall prey to zombies, and far more dangerous would be the disruption of his plans to leave the city. As for the grenades, Jiang Xiaofan must not be allowed to handle them for now. Such weapons are devastating. Although he can replicate them infinitely, he fears that in a moment of panic, she might drop a grenade at her feet. That would certainly lead to chaos. While Yuan contemplated his plans for the morrow, the seemingly slumbering Jiang Xiaofan was preoccupied with her own thoughts. With her transformation into a servant and the taming level reaching 100, her admiration for Yuan deepened, and unbeknownst to her, her thoughts began to subtly shift. Brother Yi, are you a wooden block? Why are you just standing there foolishly? No, I must take the initiative. Jiang Xiaofan suddenly opened her eyes, no longer pretending. She was ready to lay her cards on the table. Meanwhile, Hisu lay in bed, unable to find slumber. His mind was filled with the captivating image of Jiang Xiaofan. He had deliberately gone to bed early tonight, foregoing intimacy with his mistress. Tonight, he intended to rest well. When Jiang Xiaofan arrived at Luhu tomorrow, he would exert every ounce of his charm for at least 5 minutes. After pursuing her for over half a year without success, the apocalypse had arrived. Xiaofan had no reason to refuse him this time, did she? Only he could protect her. Tomorrow, after eliminating Yuan, Xiaofan would be able to reach Luhu smoothly, and from then on, they would never part. Hisu was lost in beautiful dreams, wishing he could bring Jiang Xiaofan to him right away. Unfortunately, the outside world was overrun with zombies. He could only take out his phone and send her a message. Xiaofan, my dear, what are you doing? After waiting for 10 minutes with no reply, he thought it odd. It was still not yet 8 o'clock. Why would she be asleep this early? He realized it was the apocalypse. Everyone had their phones set to silent. Xiaofan probably hadn't heard it. He decided to send another message. Xiaofan, I miss you. Let us have a video call. Another 10 minutes passed, yet still no response. This was impossible. How could she not have seen the message by now? Xiaofan, what are you doing? Is that bastard Yi Yuan bullying you? Panic began to seep into Hisu's mind. Zhang Xiaofan had mentioned that Yi Yuan had kidnapped her, a solitary man and woman, and Xiaofan was so beautiful. What if that scoundrel Yi Yuan had ulterior motives? Although the likelihood seemed low, after all, he was counting on leaving on his helicopter tomorrow, and even if Yi Yuan was acting rashly, he should be able to restrain himself. Yet, Xiaofan was still not replying. Was she asleep, or was she being mistreated? Yi Yuan, you bastard, you better behave. If I find out you've harmed Xiaofan, I'll make you wish you were never born. Hisu muttered fiercely to himself. Finally, an hour later, he received a reply from Zhang Xiaofan. I just fell asleep. The zombies downstairs woke me up. That's when I saw your message. She replied. She finally replied. Hisu quickly sent a video request. He needed to see with his own eyes that Zhang Xiaofan was safe. Chapter 19. Wealth and Danger. I am the hunter when the video connected. Hisu gazed at Zhang Xiaofan, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. Although the room was dimly lit, reminiscent of the yellow glow of a streetlight, he could discern that Zhang Xiaofan was neatly dressed, albeit looking quite fatigued. It was likely due to just waking up. Xiaofan, seeing that you are well brings me relief. Please continue to rest. Just a moment. Hisu was about to end the video call when Zhang Xiaofan halted him. Can you come to pick me up in person tomorrow? Me? Come to fetch you by helicopter? That seems rather challenging. Hisu did not immediately decline. Yet internally he felt an overwhelming reluctance. Since the outbreak of the apocalypse, he had never departed from Lu Lake. Moreover, only Lu Lake remained untouched by the blood mist, and he had not inhaled any of it, leaving him uncertain whether he possessed any antibodies. Should he venture beyond Lu Lake and be infected by the blood mist, it would be a grave misfortune indeed. He certainly harbored feelings for Zhang Xiaofan, but he could not gamble with his own life. After a moment of inner turmoil, Hisu hesitantly replied, Xiaofan, I apologize, but I have important matters to attend to tomorrow and cannot come to pick you up in person. I hope you can understand. Zhang Xiaofan immediately resorted to the typical tactics employed by women. Yet regardless of how much she pouted or expressed her displeasure, Hisu remained resolute, unwilling to leave Lu Lake under any circumstance. Once the video call ended, Zhang Xiaofan found herself perplexed. Brother Yi, why won't you let me confront Hisu? We've reached this point already. In this apocalypse, there is no need for subterfuge, is there? Yi Yuan wore a knowing smile. No rush, let us play with Hisu a bit longer. It's a pity he refuses to come pick you up tomorrow. Upon hearing Yi Yuan's sigh, Zhang Xiaofan seemed to grasp the underlying meaning. Brother Yi, are you suggesting that I should lure Hisu here to eliminate him? Yi Yuan nodded. Zhang Xiaofan's obedience had reached a level of 100. There was no need to conceal certain matters from her. Yet, she felt a twinge of confusion. Why? When Brother Yi spoke of killing Hisu, did she not feel any disquiet? Although she had initially feigned a relationship with Hisu, he had not harmed her and had devoted himself to her for half a year. Logically, she should not exhibit such cold-bloodedness. The notion of Brother Yi wanting to kill him left her unmoved. What was the reason behind this? Zhang Xiaofan could not fathom it. Unbeknownst to her, becoming Yi Yuan's subordinate had influenced her thoughts, leading her to subconsciously view matters from his perspective. Brother Yi, what if I respond to Hisu's video? I must compel him to come and fetch me, and then you can carry out your plan. Upon uttering this, Zhang Xiaofan surprised herself. Why had her transformation occurred so swiftly, prompting her to proactively suggest assisting Brother Yi in eliminating Hisu? Oh well, I shall not dwell on such matters. I do not harbor feelings for Hisu, and as Brother Yi's woman, it is only natural that I consider his interests. Zhang Xiaofan quickly rationalized her mindset, no longer questioning her emotional shift. Yet, Yi Yuan shook his head. Forget it, do not respond to Hisu's video. We wouldn't want to arouse his suspicions. In truth, whether Hisu arrives or not is of little consequence. Neither the He family nor the Gu family, nor any of the influential figures in Luhu, dare to leave recklessly. They have never encountered the blood mist, and none can ascertain if they possess antibodies, particularly after a month. The vast majority will succumb to transformation due to the blood mist, signifying that only a scant few will possess the antibodies. The elites of Luhu are even more hesitant to depart. With a probability of less than 10%, no one is willing to gamble. Conversely, while Luhu is undoubtedly a sanctuary, it also serves as their prison. Their enemies reside within Luhu, and there is no escape. They have ample time to play their games, ensuring that their adversaries perish in despair. Reflecting on past experiences, after failing in revenge and being captured, I endured prolonged, inhumane torment, ultimately meeting my demise at the hands of Hisu, who flayed me alive. The deep-seated hatred will not allow them to die easily. The following morning, after breakfast, Yi Yuan escorted Jiang Xiaofan to the top floor. Before departing, he had meticulously packed his clothing and essential items into his spatial storage. This home was no longer habitable. After today, regardless of whether they succeed in downing the helicopter, they would irrevocably sever ties with their enemies. A change of location was imperative, otherwise, restful sleep would be elusive. Yi Yuan was acutely aware of his adversaries in Luhu. Although they lacked the strength to mobilize the military, their connections with prominent figures in the Ministry of Culture were solid. Acquiring resources to rent a civilian helicopter posed no issue. Furthermore, procuring weaponry and ammunition would facilitate the task of eliminating a target within the city, thus vigilance was crucial. Upon reaching the top floor, the two concealed themselves in the attic, where Yi Yuan retrieved 2 chairs to rest. Brother Yi, we really don't need to hide up here. If you intend to shoot down the helicopter, you could simply fire from the balcony, Jiang Xiaofan suggested. Yi Yuan lit a cigarette, inhaling deeply before responding. It's not that simple. Hisu, this second-generation rich kid, lacks substantial resources and cannot summon a helicopter with his capabilities. You mentioned yesterday that this rescue mission also involves Lu Rian, who is Gu Yiming's wife. Therefore, the helicopter must have been arranged through Gu Yiming's connections. Given his ruthless nature, he could very well issue orders for indiscriminate attacks, leaving me no time to react. A barrage of gunfire could very well take you down with me. Jiang Xiaofan was taken aback. She had never considered such an outcome. What? Do you think the Gu family would care about a mere Hisu? Hisu is cautious, but Gu Yiming will not regard your life with any importance. They would sacrifice anyone for their own interests. Jiang Xiaofan, not lacking in intelligence, began to perceive the validity of Yi Yuan's words. She had heard of Gu Yiming, a legendary figure in Shidu. Not to mention, the Gu family's control over the livelihoods of over 20 million people in Shidu is not something just anyone can achieve. Apart from a formidable background, one must also possess decisive and ruthless methods. Brother Yi, I trust you. Regardless of your instructions, I shall follow your lead and indulge in the pleasures that accompany your guidance. I have firmly attached myself to your side. Even if you were to push me away, I would not leave. Yi Yuan chuckled. Having become a servant, what difference does it make if you cling to me? You shall do as I command. In truth, Yi Yuan could have whisked Jiang Xiaofan away to a secluded place, hidden from prying eyes to grow in obscurity. However, fortune favors the bold. If, perchance, the helicopter were to be shot down without exploding, and there were gunmen on board, an opportunity to acquire new weaponry might arise. The armaments on the helicopter would at least include light machine guns. At 8:30, Hisu sent a message indicating that the helicopter had departed. In a mere 15 minutes, a Jixiangbird 313 helicopter hovered above the community. Yi Yuan immediately sensed something amiss. The rescue mission targeted only 3 individuals. Yet the Jixiangbird 313 could accommodate 27. Such resources were being squandered. Unless unforeseen circumstances arose, it was certain that gunmen were present aboard the helicopter. And in substantial numbers. Yi Yuan heightened his vigilance. Armed with a super-automatic rifle, he aimed at the aircraft circling above. Due to distance and angle, he could not target the pilot and thus refrained from firing. At that moment, Jiang Xiaofan received a text message from Hisu. Xiaofan, the helicopter has arrived. But I do not see you. The pilot requests that you join Yi Yuan on the balcony. After reading the message, Jiang Xiaofan turned to Yi Yuan, asking, Brother Yi, what should we do now? Chapter 20. Shooting a helicopter with a rifle. Training Jiang Xiaofan. Yi Yuan had anticipated such a scenario. Regardless of whether the helicopter truly came to rescue or to eliminate, it was imperative to see the target. The prospect of rescue was secondary, if the intention was assassination. Appearing on the balcony would invite a hail of gunfire from the helicopter's gunmen, leading to immediate demise. Thus, Yi Yuan had devised a strategy. Tell Hisu that I have taken you hostage, and we are in the bedroom with the pink curtains on the right side of the balcony. I demand that the helicopter first lower its altitude and deploy a rescue ladder before I will step onto the balcony. Jiang Xiaofan, uncertain of Yi Yuan's intentions, complied and crafted the message to send to Hisu. Soon, a reply arrived. Xiaofan, have Yi Yuan pull back the curtains and wave out the window. The pilot needs to confirm your floor and location. After reading the message, Yi Yuan instructed. Tell him that the only pink curtains on the 5th floor are in your home. After Jiang Xiaofan sent the information, Hisu responded again. That won't suffice. The pilot must see you both to verify your exact floor. Frustrated, Yi Yuan thought, it was all quite clear. The 5th floor, pink curtains. Yet, they insisted on seeing them in person. It is almost certain that there are gunmen aboard the helicopter. The moment I reveal myself, I would be riddled with bullets. What should we do, Brother Yi? If we do not show ourselves, the helicopter will not descend. Inform Hisu that unless the helicopter lowers the rope ladder, I will not make an appearance. Since they are here to eliminate me, they must be more anxious than I am. The individuals inside the helicopter are eager to ascertain my whereabouts, undoubtedly suspecting that I have already relocated. However, while you may be in a rush, I remain composed. As long as I keep hidden, they will refrain from firing recklessly. The priority now is to have the helicopter approach and deploy the ladder. Once it adjusts its position near the building, I will have the opportunity to aim for the pilot. Yuan's task is simply to bide his time. Hisu relays messages to the helicopter, which in turn communicates with those pulling the strings behind the scenes. They must be deliberating a strategy, requiring a moment to devise a plan. Approximately 5 minutes later, the helicopter begins to move, first aligning its body with the building where Yuan is located. The cabin door swings open, revealing a man wielding a rocket launcher, who swiftly aims at the window adorned with pink curtains on the 5th floor. With a whoosh, a rocket is launched, instantly striking Jiang Xiaofan's bedroom. An explosive roar ensues as her home is reduced to ruins, sending shockwaves through the entire building. Yet, this is not the end. Following the rocket's launch, 2 more men armed with machine guns emerge from the cabin, unleashing a torrential barrage upon Jiang Xiaofan's residence. Scoundrel! That beast Hisu deceived me into believing he sent a helicopter for rescue, but instead, he seeks to eliminate me as well. Jiang Xiaofan seethes with indignation. Yuan pays her no heed, his gaze fervently fixed on the helicopter in the distance. My goodness, a rocket launcher, machine guns. If I could acquire those 2 weapons, I would be set for life. The helicopter pilot remains cautious, as Jiang Xiaofan had informed Hisu of her firearm, a shotgun. It seems the occupants of the helicopter are also wary of being targeted. Thus, they maintain a safe distance of 70 to 80 meters, where even a shotgun would pose no threat to the aircraft. The pilot exercises extreme caution once the helicopter hovers above the neighborhood. It keeps its tail facing Yuan's building, rendering it incapable of aiming at the pilot. However, just moments ago, in order to launch the rocket, the crew adjusted the aircraft's position, allowing the cockpit to face the building directly. Yuan's location now perfectly aligns with the pilot's. I've been waiting for you. Not only do I possess a shotgun, but I also hold an automatic rifle. With a resounding crack, a 5.8mm bullet erupts from the chamber, instantly striking the pilot in the neck. The bullet, in its deadly course, exits from the opposite side of his throat. The driver met his demise instantaneously. Although luck played a role in that shot, Yuan's marksmanship, honed over a year of slaying zombies in a previous life, surpassed that of ordinary individuals. With the driver eliminated, the helicopter began to tilt uncontrollably. Yuan continued to unleash a barrage of fire, his super-automatic rifle firing with a frenzied precision, effortlessly switching between single shots and bursts. The 2 gunners at the helicopter's door also fell, one perishing inside the aircraft while the other plummeted to the ground. Taking a machine gun with him, Yuan observed keenly. It was a state-of-the-art 7.62mm general-purpose machine gun, equipped with an adjustable 4-fold scope on its rail. He felt a surge of envy, particularly for the scope. The new domestic firearms family had interchangeable components, allowing for direct installation on the rails of automatic rifles. With such a scope, combined with Yuan's shooting prowess, hitting zombies at medium range would pose no challenge. However, he remained fixated on the rocket launcher. The helicopter was now severely tilted, swaying violently, rendering its occupants completely incapacitated. It was on the verge of crashing. Brother Yi, you're incredible. You took out the driver with a single shot. Jiang Xiaofan exclaimed, her face alight with excitement. Although she hadn't pulled the trigger, she felt a sense of vengeance fulfilled, given that those aboard the helicopter had fired rockets at her bedroom. After all, she was the mother Tyrannosaurus. She lamented her own lack of ability, wishing she could have personally dispatched the occupants of the helicopter. The aircraft struggled in the air for several seconds before plummeting with a thunderous crash, engulfed in billowing smoke, claiming the lives of all inside. Damn it, Yuan sighed. A helicopter crash does not always result in an explosion, but it was evident that luck was not on their side this time. The aircraft had detonated. The rocket launcher within was undoubtedly destroyed, along with the rockets, which would also have exploded. Yuan felt a profound sense of loss. Brother Yi, you seem quite distressed. Jiang Xiaofan remarked, concern etched on her face. Yuan waved his hand dismissively. It's nothing. Let us not descend just yet. Follow me. Together. They ascended to the top of the loft. Peering over the railing, they beheld the wreckage of the helicopter ablaze, the violent explosions drawing the nearby zombies toward the scene. The fallen machine gun lay not far from the explosion site. To retrieve the weapon, they would need to clear the area of zombies. Wait here for me, Yuan instructed, returning alone to the loft. He replicated a super-automatic rifle with a magazine capacity of 10,000 rounds and handed it to Jiang Xiaofan. This is for you. Take out the zombies near the helicopter. Aim for the head. Don't worry about accuracy. I have plenty of bullets. Consider it practice. This had been Yuan's plan all along. Once Jiang Xiaofan's taming level reached 100, he could provide her with weapons and train her marksmanship. Departing from the main urban area, one can still become one's own ally. Jiang Xiaofan grasped the automatic rifle, its cold texture providing her with a profound sense of security. In a world beset by chaos, only the possession of a weapon could instill such peace of mind. However, this assurance was confined to solitary moments. When a multitude wielded arms, paranoia would ensue, as the absence of law and moral constraints in this apocalyptic realm left one uncertain of potential treachery lurking behind. Thank you for placing such trust in me, Brother Yi. Yi Yuan smiled, but offered no response. Absent the clear indication of a taming level reaching 100 in her personal profile, he would never have extended such trust to Jiang Xiaofan. Yi Yuan then proceeded to instruct her in the art of shooting. The two took positions atop the building, firing incessantly downward. Without the aid of a scope, achieving headshots proved a formidable challenge for Yi Yuan. Nevertheless, with ample ammunition at his disposal, he maintained a steady rate of fire. Jiang Xiaofan, displaying commendable aptitude, quickly adapted to the act of shooting, despite her abysmally low headshot rate. The power of the automatic rifle, however, was not to be underestimated. A shot to the chest left a gaping hole the size of a peanut, with an equally large exit wound at the back. With a stroke of luck, one could even sever a spinal column, rendering a zombie immobile even if it did not succumb to death. At that moment, Hisu sent Jiang Xiaofan another message. Xiaofan, have you boarded the plane? I can't reach the helicopter pilot. Upon reading Hisu's text, Jiang Xiaofan's fury surged forth, unmistakably genuine. You dare message me after firing a rocket at my home? Gunfire rained upon my bedroom. Hisu, you beast, when I return to Luhu, I will ensure your demise. Jiang Xiaofan seized her phone, poised to unleash a verbal assault. Yet, Yi Yuan promptly interjected, advising her to disregard Hisu for the time being and to reserve her retaliation for later. Though anger coursed through her veins, Yi Yuan's words brought her back to a state of calm. I will heed your advice, Brother Yi. They resumed their relentless assault on the zombies, pausing intermittently. After more than an hour, they finally cleared the area surrounding the helicopter of the undead. Continuous firing took its toll, her ears ached, and her shoulders throbbed. It was time for a well-deserved rest. Let us descend, Yi Yuan declared, brandishing a shotgun as he led the way, with Jiang Xiaofan following closely behind, uneasily empty-handed. Her trepidation lingered. This was her first encounter with firearms, and she feared that her nerves might lead to an accidental discharge that could harm Yi Yuan. Thus, she resolved to secure the weapon. Once outside the building, Yi Yuan handed her a shotgun anew, and they proceeded side by side. The zombies downstairs had been dispatched. It wasn't long before Yi Yuan discovered a Type 20 general-purpose machine gun lying on the ground and promptly detached its ammunition box. There are still bullets inside, and the 4x scope remains intact. Yi Yuan let out a sigh of relief, first stowing the machine gun in the spatial warehouse, intending to replicate it later when time permitted. Gazing at the nearby wreckage of the helicopter, ablaze with flames, he relinquished the thought of conducting a search. Even if the rocket launcher were undamaged, the rocket had already detonated. Acquiring the launcher would serve no purpose. Let us retreat to the building first and devise a plan to find a new refuge. Jiang Xiaofan's home had already been destroyed, and Yi Yuan's own residence was not safe either. In fact, several buildings in the vicinity were equally perilous, as no one could ascertain whether the He and Gu families would dispatch helicopters again. An unsettling apprehension lingered in his heart, making it difficult to sleep peacefully. Thus, it was imperative to find a new refuge nearby. As the two retreated to the building, Jiang Xiaofan received a text message. This time, it was not from Hisu. The profile picture on WeChat was that of a woman. Xiaofan, are you still alive? The first message arrived, followed by a flurry of others. Xiaofan, I'm so scared. Zombies keep banging on my door. I've seen zombies devour people. If they break in, I'm done for. I can't reach anyone. And I don't know if you're dead or alive. What should I do? Yi Yuan, standing beside her, glanced at the messages and inquired, who is it? It's my best friend, Feng Xiaowan. She lives next door in Tianxing Garden and is also an internet celebrity. As Jiang Xiaofan replied, she continued to send messages. Xiaowan, I've been trying to contact you for the past few days. Why haven't you replied? I thought you had been eaten by zombies. The other party responded immediately. Xiaofan, you silly girl, it's so great that you're alive. I thought you were dead. I lost my phone on the day the apocalypse broke out. I was about to go downstairs when I encountered a horde of zombies and panicked, turning back. I accidentally left my phone at the door. It wasn't until today, after the zombies outside dispersed, that I dared to open the door and retrieve my phone. But I startled the zombies again, and they are now banging on the door. What should I do? Reading the content of the messages, Jiang Xiaofan felt utterly at a loss. The danger outside was palpable. Although she cherished her friendship, risking her life to rescue someone was out of the question. especially since she lacked the capability to do so. However, Yi Yuan's eyes sparkled with inspiration. Feng Xiaowan's WeChat profile featured a photo of her. She was strikingly beautiful. Even without beauty filters, she was likely an exquisite beauty. The system had mentioned that goddesses would have tags appearing above their heads. Perhaps it would be worthwhile to take a chance. Tianqing Garden was merely a short distance away, only 400 or 500 meters along a back path. Why not seek refuge at your friend's place? Taking a chance was one aspect. Yi Yuan had other considerations as well. If one were to randomly seek a dwelling nearby, it would inevitably require the forceful breaching of doors, resulting in their destruction. Even if one were to barricade the entrance with furniture, a restless night's sleep would be unavoidable. It would be far safer to seek refuge at Feng Xiaowan's residence, should there be no means to extract her from her predicament. Alternative arrangements for accommodation could be devised later. Zhang Xiaofan hastily sent a message to Feng Xiaowan. Xiaowan, do not be afraid. Brother Yi and I are coming to rescue you. Alone, Feng Xiaofan felt too intimidated to venture forth. However, with Yi Yuan by her side, her fear dissipated. Xiaofan, you are truly wonderful, she replied. And your brother Yi. Thank you both. There are zombies outside my door, so please be cautious. Zhang Xiaofan rolled her eyes. You impudent girl, do not call me any fan, or I shall have to teach you a lesson. I won't waste time with you, see you shortly. After stowing her phone, the duo, having established their direction, proceeded down a narrow alley. The streets of the old town were quite narrow, and the passageways between the buildings were even more constricted, making them ideal for shotgun engagements. A single individual could hold back an entire horde. Yi Yuan led the way, with Zhang Xiaofan trailing behind. Let me reiterate, your focus should remain on the rear. Should zombies appear ahead, do not fire. Leave that to me. Just imagine if your aim were to stray and hit me instead. Rest assured, Brother Yi, I would never jest with your life. The alley was approximately 5 to 6 meters wide. Both individuals maneuvered sideways, taking small, careful steps. This positioning offered two advantages. They could maintain visual contact with one another, and the gun's muzzle would not be aimed at their companion. Thus, even in the event of an accidental discharge, casualties could be avoided. In truth, the triggers of firearms are not as sensitive as one might presume. Unless excessively anxious, they are generally not prone to misfire. Yi Yuan advanced ahead, wielding a shotgun with a capacity of 7,000 rounds, clearing a path, while Zhang Xiaofan remained relatively safe behind him. Her anxiety was unlikely to escalate. The zombies within the alley had been drawn away by the sounds of helicopter explosions and had been largely eliminated, rendering the area temporarily secure. The pair pressed forward. Whenever they approached a corner, Yi Yuan would fire, luring any zombies lurking in blind spots with the gunfire, thus avoiding any unexpected encounters. The distance of over 400 meters was not particularly daunting. There were not many zombies in the alley. After dispatching around 70 to 80 of them, they finally reached the vicinity of the Taming community. However, a new complication arose, as the community was separated by a street several meters wide. Yi Yuan cautiously peeked out to assess the situation. The number of zombies on the street was considerable. Charging straight ahead could be feasible. But there were also zombies within the community. Should they be flanked from both sides, escape would become impossible. Brother Yi, what shall we do? Zhang Xiaofan felt a twinge of anxiety. Yet Yi Yuan remained unfazed. His confidence was evident, having traversed the perilous path thus far. The alley was flanked by residential buildings on both sides. Outside the building lies the street. On either side, there are residential blocks. One can casually choose any unit, enter, locate a street-facing apartment, break through the door, and directly stand on the balcony to hurl grenades downwards. By obliterating the nearby zombies, one can safely gain access to the Tianqing Garden. Follow me. Yi Yuan guided Zhang Xiaofan into the building on the right side of the alley. They ascended to the 4th floor, dispatching a zombie along the way. Selecting a street-facing apartment, Yi Yuan knocked a few times, and the unmistakable sound of a zombie echoed from within. Judging by the noise, there was but a single creature. Yi Yuan raised his shotgun and unleashed a barrage of fire, slaying the zombie through the door, subsequently forcing it open with brute strength. The two entered the apartment together. After a thorough search, no further targets were discovered. They then barricaded the door with furniture to prevent any zombies from sneaking up on them. Once all was settled, Yi Yuan approached the balcony, retrieved a grenade, pulled the pin, and hurled it down. Moments later, a resounding explosion shook the vicinity, causing the nearby zombies to be thrown into disarray. All of them surged towards the source of the noise, including those from the Tianqing Garden across the way. Yi Yuan smiled faintly. Here, we shall annihilate the zombies. Once the area is cleared, we can safely enter the Tianqing Garden. Chapter 22. Majestic Zhang Xiaofan. The street below echoed with the relentless sounds of explosions. Yi Yuan, cigarette in mouth, continued to toss grenades as if they were of no cost. the high-explosive grenades wreaking havoc, reducing zombies at the epicenter to mere fragments. Even those on the periphery succumbed to the shockwave. A single grenade often claimed the lives of a dozen zombies. Zhang Xiaofan watched in exhilaration. After this journey of slaughter, the once delicate beauty had developed a taste for blood. "Brother Yi, let me throw a couple too." Yi Yuan glanced at her, remaining silent. In his presence, Zhang Xiaofan was quite compliant, yet she still boldly extended a finger. "Just one. Can I throw one?" Yi Yuan felt a twinge of concern. This was no firearm. A moment's lapse could result in calamity for both of them should a grenade fall on the balcony. Nevertheless, considering their future escape from the central city, it was vital for Zhang Xiaofan to learn this skill, as it would prove invaluable. "All right, I'll teach you. Grenades are not like guns. One must exercise caution. It's best to throw them early, never hesitate. The street below is teeming with zombies, mindless creatures devoid of intelligence, unaware of how to lie low or hide. Even if you pull the pin and toss it immediately, it will still eliminate a significant number, so there is no need to time it precisely." Yi Yuan spent a few minutes instructing Zhang Xiaofan on the art of throwing grenades. Surprisingly, she grasped the concept quite quickly, demonstrating commendable mental fortitude. Although her strength was somewhat lacking, preventing her from throwing too far, her demeanor remained composed, entirely unlike a novice. No wonder it is widely rumored internationally that nearly 80 of the Dragon Kingdom's populace possesses the Berserker gene, making them natural warriors. The mere act of wielding a weapon seems to awaken their ancestral bloodline. This assertion appears to hold some merit. For instance, foreigners often react to their first act of killing with nausea, a phenomenon seemingly absent among the people of the Dragon Kingdom. The notion of post-traumatic stress disorder is remarkably rare here. A glance at Zhang Xiaofan illustrates this point perfectly. Once a singing and dancing streamer in the pre-apocalyptic world, she now wields a gun with the ability to slay zombies and expresses sheer exhilaration when using grenades to obliterate the undead. Is this not a manifestation of the activation of the Berserker gene? This adaptability proves advantageous, enabling one to assist themselves sooner rather than becoming a burden. The two of them took turns bombarding the area, expending over 80 grenades and ultimately annihilating every visible zombie, including those lured out and reduced to mere fragments near the entrance of Tianqing Garden. Now, they could enter the community with confidence. "Let us proceed," they said, as they collaborated to clear the furniture obstructing the main entrance. Cautiously, they descended the stairs, shotgun in hand, finding the exterior devoid of zombies. Exiting the alleyway and crossing the main street, they successfully entered Tianqing Garden. "Which building is your friend in?" "Building 8, room 604. It is quite a distance from the entrance. We will need to traverse nearly the entire community." Yi Yuan nodded in acknowledgement. It was improbable that all the zombies within the vicinity had been lured away. Crossing the community would certainly present further encounters with the undead. "Be cautious. Engage any zombies you encounter without hesitation. Conserve no ammunition," he advised. Zhang Xiaofan nodded, well aware that Yi Yuan possessed the ability to replicate ammunition indefinitely. Thus she had no intention of conserving her bullets. The community, being older, boasted mature greenery, camphor trees, osmanthus trees, and various ornamental species reaching impressive heights. The blood mist that enveloped the area hindered visibility, and faint, guttural growls of zombies echoed from the depths of the haze. The eerie atmosphere of the aged community did little to deter them. Armed with truth and a formidable shotgun, they felt no fear, especially as the zombies were not densely clustered. Drawing from Yi Yuan's past experiences, dealing with scattered zombies posed little threat. After traversing a short distance, they arrived beneath a yellow corner tree. Just then, a zombie burst forth from a nearby building, its grotesque visage lunging towards Zhang Xiaofan from approximately 30 to 40 meters away. At such a distance, the accuracy of the shotgun would be compromised. Nonetheless, Zhang Xiaofan paid no heed. Raising her weapon, she opened fire without regard for aiming or accuracy, continuously pulling the trigger in the direction of the advancing zombie, ejecting shells and chambering new rounds. This repetitive action continued until the zombie was merely a few meters away when she finally succeeded in blasting its head apart with a single shot. With a soft exhale, Zhang Xiaofan displayed a hint of seriousness, yet she did not exhibit overt panic, reassured by the presence of Yi Yuan beside her. The two continued their journey, vanquishing 8 zombies along the way, 3 of which fell to Zhang Xiaofan's erratic gunfire. She now brimmed with confidence, brandishing her weapon with an air of triumph. Inwardly, she marveled at her sagacity in clinging to Brother Yi, her metaphorical pillar of strength. Had she not followed him, even if she had escaped the clutches of Hisu, she would likely still be hiding at home, languishing in hunger, rather than exuding the formidable presence she now possessed. Zhang Xiaofan tightened her grip on the shotgun, reveling in the exhilarating sensation of wielding truth. After traversing a short distance, They soon arrived at the base of Building 8. At that moment, Zhang Xiaofan's phone vibrated with a message from Feng Xiaowan. Xiaofan, I've spotted you. How impressive. You all have guns. But do exercise caution. There are still zombies battering my door. From the sounds, there should be 3. Zhang Xiaofan glanced upwards to see Feng Xiaowan waving from the 6th-floor balcony, with several other survivors peeking through the curtains, observing the duo. Let us head inside. It's unsafe to remain exposed, Yuan advised. Although firearms were prohibited in Longhua, powerful crossbows could still be procured through various channels. Holding a gun inevitably incited envy, and a surprise attack with a crossbow could spell disaster. They swiftly entered the stairwell, encountering no zombies until they reached the 5th floor, evidently drawn away by Feng Xiaowan's presence on the 6th. Holster your weapon. If we encounter zombies, don't fire. Leave it to me, Yuan cautioned. Having witnessed Zhang Xiaofan's indiscriminate shooting, he was wary of allowing such recklessness in the confined stairwell. Taking the lead, Yuan approached the corner between the 5th and 6th floors and fired a shot, instantly attracting the attention of the upstairs zombies. 3 of them charged down, roaring fiercely. In this moment, Yuan remained composed, understanding that in such a cramped space, precision was unnecessary. Bang, 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 bang. He discharged 4 rapid shots, toppling all 3 zombies. Though 2 fell not from death, but from shattered spines as the rounds penetrated their bodies. Yuan advanced, pressing the gun muzzle against the head of one zombie. Bang, bang. After 2 more shots, silence enveloped the stairwell. Contemplating briefly, he resolved to dispose of the 3 bodies through the ventilation shaft, for the weather was still warm, and lingering in the stairwell would lead to unpleasant odors, especially since they might be staying at Feng Xiaowan's for some time. With Zhang Xiaofan's assistance, they quickly dealt with the corpses. Just then, the door to room 604 cracked open, revealing a pair of bright, dark eyes. Upon encountering Zhang Xiaofan, the individual within promptly swung open the grand door, allowing Yuan to behold her true visage. She was a youthful beauty with 2 braids, her fair complexion radiating innocence, resembling a delicate loli. Xiaofan, Xiaowan. The 2 women joyfully embraced each other. However, Yuan's attention was drawn to the card hovering above Feng Xiaowan's head. The inscription within the card took him by surprise. Chapter 23, Super Excavator, My World. At that moment, Feng Xiaowan's entries appeared above her. Feng Xiaowan Entry 1. Excavator Master, blue. Entry 2, Culinary Skills, white. Entry 3, Driver, white. Among the 3 entries, the Excavator Master was prominently displayed in bold blue, indicating the highest quality, while the latter 2 were in white. Clearly, the Excavator Master possessed the greatest potential, and once extracted, its resultant ability would be formidable. Yet, it seemed rather trivial at first glance. Moreover, how could a youthful beauty like Feng Xiaowan, with her cherubic features, possibly be associated with excavators? Setting aside these musings, Yuan focused on his initial attempt at extraction, which required no taming degree. He aimed for the highest quality, locking his thoughts onto the Excavator Master. It felt as if an invisible hand forcefully grasped it. In an instant, a surge of mysterious energy coursed through Yuan's being. Success. At that moment, the card above Feng Xiaowan's head transformed. Feng Xiaowan Entry 1. Excavator Master, 60 taming degree, can be extracted a second time. Current taming degree, 0 as expected. Similar to Zhang Xiaofan, after the first extraction, a second was still possible. If he managed to extract 3 times, Feng Xiaowan would become his subordinate. However, the unique qualities of the Excavator Master's ability remained unclear. Yuan swiftly summoned the Attributes panel to examine the ability's description. Excavator Master, Super Excavator, utilizing any digging tool, consumes a minimal amount of mental energy to instantly excavate 1 cubic meter of soil and stone. Is that it? The ability's effect was as literal as it sounded. Digging, how trivial. Wait. A sudden epiphany illuminated Yuan's mind, followed by overwhelming joy. The Super Excavator appeared to be extraordinary, requiring only a slight mental energy expenditure. He could instantaneously excavate 1 cubic meter of soil and stone. In simpler terms, it meant digging holes, instantaneously, regardless of the digging tool employed. 1 cubic meter could be excavated in a flash. A shovel qualified as a digging tool, allowing for the creation of tunnels, safe and efficient means of escaping the city center. Devoid of any risk, he could venture anywhere. Additionally, the instantaneous nature of the excavation meant no physical exertion was required. It was neither messy nor tiring, making it exceedingly effortless. Wasn't this akin to my world? A multitude of ideas flooded Yuan's mind. Collecting samples would certainly become far more manageable in the future. The presence of countless zombies is not particularly daunting. Armed with merely a shovel, one can effortlessly excavate tunnels for easy passage. In a sprawling metropolis of over 20 million inhabitants, an abundance of resources lies ensnared within the sea of corpses, much of which is destined to decay. However, the situation has now transformed. With access to a vast spatial warehouse that can be expanded at will, alongside the remarkable ability to dig instantaneously, it becomes feasible to amass the city's critical resources for oneself, thereby laying the groundwork for future dominion. Although Yuan possesses the capability to replicate anything infinitely, one must consider the toll on his mental energy. Sustaining a retinue of servants through his replication ability is manageable, yet nurturing a faction of thousands, or even tens of thousands, amidst the current agricultural stagnation renders reliance on self-replicated food untenable. Moreover, the pervasive blood mist severely hampers crop growth, and the timeline for its dissipation remains uncertain. In a world where food equates to salvation, Yuan had previously dismissed the notion of resource accumulation due to his limited powers. Now, with the ability to excavate swiftly, he cannot allow such plentiful resources to rot away. There is no immediate urgency to head to Deer Lake, a safe zone that doubles as a prison, where adversaries dare not venture far. Instead, he can scavenge for supplies within the city while simultaneously seeking out beautiful women to extract information. Presently, there are many survivors, and it stands to reason that a fair number of attractive individuals exist among them. Even with modest luck, he should encounter at least a few. In a month's time, when over 90% of the population has succumbed to zombification, the prospect of finding a goddess-like beauty will be akin to winning the lottery. Thus, it is prudent to act swiftly. Of course, risks abound. The current survivors may or may not possess antibodies, and their transformation into zombies could occur at any moment. Should he find a beautiful woman, she may soon become a zombie. Yet, Yuan remains unconcerned. The transition to zombification is not instantaneous. After the human immune system has been compromised by the virus, the typical metamorphosis takes about 12 hours, during which the body exhibits abnormal symptoms. As long as they do not share a bed, he will not be at risk of being bitten by someone who suddenly transforms. Moreover, there is no loss. Any goddess-like beauty will possess valuable information, and the initial extraction requires no taming. Discovering one is akin to striking gold. The number of times he can extract information thereafter depends on fortune. And so it is decided. You must be Brother Yi. A voice pulled Yuan from his thoughts. Brother Yi, thank you for coming to rescue me with Xiao Fan. It's not safe outside. Please come inside quickly. Xiao Wan's voice was melodious, bright and soft, sweet and enticing, evoking an irresistible urge within. Yet, Yuan's attention was once again drawn to the card hovering above her head. Taming level 10. It had risen swiftly. However, this was to be expected, given that he had saved her life. An increase of 10 seems reasonable. The trio wasted no time and hastily returned indoors. Feng Xiaowan's abode consists of 2 bedrooms and a living room. It is a rented space where her parents are no longer reachable, having seemingly vanished long ago. It is feared that their fate is grim. Xiaowan poured 3 cups of water and sat down to share her experiences in this post-apocalyptic world, while Yuan listened intently, his gaze surveying the layout of the home, a habit ingrained from his previous life, wherein he would assess every new environment for potential threats. He even contemplated conducting a more thorough search once Xiaowan fell asleep that night, despite the likelihood of finding nothing. Yet, the compulsion to investigate was deeply rooted. He could not find peace without doing so. Oh dear, it's already noon. I shall prepare a meal for you. Yuan recalled that one of Xiaowan's attributes was her culinary skills, indicating her proficiency in cooking. A cook typically has provisions stocked in the freezer, which was likely why she had sufficient food, considering the apocalypse had only just begun a few days prior. Naturally, in such a moment, Yuan felt inclined to showcase his own abilities. After impressing Jiang Xiaofan earlier, he couldn't let this opportunity slip away. What do you plan to cook for us? He inquired, prompting a moment of embarrassment from Feng Xiaowan. We still have plenty of rice, but the meat has already been consumed. All that remains are 2 potatoes, along with some fermented tofu and olive vegetables in the fridge. To ease the awkwardness, she playfully remarked, olive vegetables mixed with rice are quite delicious. Yuan decided to reveal his capabilities. He focused his mind, accessing his spatial repository, and summoned an invisible hand to extract a small piece of beef. It was as if he were performing a magic trick. Xiaowan was left utterly astonished. However, the subsequent scene left her completely dumbfounded. Yuan began to feign incantations, an energy transforming into a 3D printer that enveloped the palm-sized beef. He then initiated a localized replication process. The beef began to expand, growing larger and larger still. In less than a minute, what had been a small piece of meat had transformed into a size comparable to a basin. What in the world is happening? Brother Yi, do you possess magical powers? Feng Xiaowan's mind momentarily faltered. Despite her youthful appearance and cunning nature, She found herself unable to rationally explain what she had just witnessed. Jiang Xiaofan, adopting the tone of an experienced individual, remarked, "What you see is merely a demonstration of Brother Ye's remarkable abilities. He possesses supernatural powers that allow him to replicate any object. The quantity and size can be expanded infinitely. Anything can multiply and grow larger." At this revelation, Jiang Xiaofan suddenly grasped the implications. Expanding? This rascal has unlocked a cheat. At this moment, while Feng Xiaowan was still in shock, Yuan produced a bottle of beer and replicated 2 more with his 3D printer. "We don't have red wine for now, so steak and beer will have to suffice. Please, go ahead and prepare the meal," he said nonchalantly, yet Feng Xiaowan was utterly astounded. Initially, when he replicated the beef, she was somewhat skeptical. It was not that she disbelieved him. Rather, the abruptness of the situation left her in disbelief. Even with Jiang Xiaofan as a witness, it was still challenging to accept. However, when he proceeded to replicate 2 bottles of beer, Feng Xiaowan's faith was firmly established. Yuan possessed the extraordinary ability for infinite replication, and her admiration for him was beyond expression. The taming level surged by 10 in an instant. This outcome was anticipated by Yuan, as both admiration and reverence could incite a sense of submission in others. He chose not to employ the method of feeding to tame Feng Xiaowan. After all, Xiaofan had already become his servant, and Xiaowan was her close friend. Residing in someone else's home, using hunger as a means of control might backfire. Since displaying his prowess could transform admiration into submission, there was no need for such tactics. Xiaowan took the beef to the kitchen, and Xiaofan joined to assist. Outside, Yuan found himself alone, seizing the opportunity to search the living room and bedroom. He felt restless without conducting a thorough search. After all, Xiaowan was not yet his servant, and it was prudent to remain vigilant. Yuan worked swiftly, completing the search of the living room within 5 minutes. Finding no hazardous items, and then proceeded to Feng Xiaowan's bedroom. He was not concerned about being discovered. If he were, so be it. In principle, since entering Xiaowan's home, he had assumed the role of the master. He had merely chosen to hold back his declaration out of courtesy, intending to reveal it during dinner. He believed Xiaowan was not foolish. Having already showcased his ability for infinite replication, she would not dismiss him easily. Thus, he commenced his search of her home, unconcerned about potential discovery. Feng Xiaowan's bedroom was adorned with warmth, featuring an array of plush toys beside the bed. No significant findings emerged from beneath the bed or within the drawers. Yuan then opened the wardrobe, which was filled with exquisite garments and numerous delicate items. Today's young women certainly had a flair for the extravagant. After searching Xiaowan's bedroom, he proceeded to the guest room. Once completed, Yuan felt a measure of relief. As the meal was still in preparation, the sound of the range had filled the kitchen, prompting Yuan to sit on the sofa and light a cigarette. Meanwhile, Xiaofan and Xiaowan chatted while cooking. "Xiaowan, Brother Yi is an extraordinary asset. You must strive to impress him. With him, you will never worry about food or drink. If he acknowledges you, he may even provide you with weapons. Just like me, I took down over 20 zombies today with a gun and annihilated many more with grenades. With weapons, one can truly protect oneself." Jiang Xiaofan was perplexed by her own words. Indeed, she and Feng Xiaowan share a deep camaraderie. However, the bonds among women often possess a hint of superficiality. Feng Xiaowan is undeniably beautiful, at least on par with herself. It was unexpected that she would remind her to treat Brother Yi well, to cling tightly to his support. When did I, Jiang Xiaofan, become so magnanimous? Do I truly not mind sharing Brother Yi with her? It seems I genuinely do not. Why is that? Jiang Xiaofan found herself perplexed. Unbeknownst to her, as Yuan's servant, her actions were inherently aligned with his perspective, rendering her free from jealousy. The inclusion of Xiaowan into their circle is quite advantageous. In future battles, she could provide support, alleviating some of Jiang Xiaofan's burdens. Soon, Jiang Xiaofan completed her mental reassessment. Feng Xiaowan was still contemplating her earlier words. To accompany Yuan meant no worries about food and even the acquisition of weapons. What could be more vital in this apocalyptic world? Although she had not gone hungry in recent days, the solitude of being trapped at home surrounded by zombies was an experience she never wished to endure again. Living together with Xiaofan and Brother Yi would mean mutual protection, coupled with weaponry. Furthermore, given Brother Yi's capabilities, he should be able to replicate ammunition, rendering them fearless against any horde. Just the thought of it filled Feng Xiaowan with a profound sense of security. "Xiaofan, I trust your judgment. You truly are my dear sister. I never expected you would actually come to rescue me. From now on, you shall be like an elder sister to me." Unbeknownst to her, the card above Feng Xiaowan's had experienced a remarkable surge in taming level, increasing by 20 to reach 40. Although this increment appears substantial, it is still 20 points shy of the next threshold for a detailed assessment. Even with Yuan prepared to play a supportive role, her willingness stemmed partly from the pressures of reality, not entirely from the heart. Thus, the taming level did not soar to 90 immediately. Such psychological transformations require time. They cannot occur instantaneously. Before long, 3 steaks were prepared. The 2 friends placed the steaks on the table. "Brother Yi, it's time to eat." Upon glancing up, Yuan's eyes widened in astonishment. A taming level of 40? What on earth transpired in the kitchen just now? This sudden increase of 20 points is quite extraordinary. It seems that taming Yuan will be considerably easier than anticipated. After a moment of contemplation, Yuan understood that his dramatic entrance, coupled with Xiaofan's mediation, had indeed facilitated the process of taming Yuan. Excellent. Yuan felt elated. During the meal, Yuan raised her glass first to toast Yuan and Xiaofan, expressing her gratitude for their assistance that day. The 3 of them shared a delightful conversation while dining. Suddenly, Yuan recalled something. "Yuan, do you know how to operate an excavator? I can hardly believe that such a youthful and stunning beauty, with a delicate and fair complexion, would actually know how to operate an excavator. Who would believe it if I told them?" Yet, surprisingly, the entry does mention an excavator operator. To my astonishment, Yuan nodded. "Indeed, Brother Yi, how did you know I could operate one?" "Oh, now I understand," Yuan suddenly realized. "You must have come across my videos before, right?" "Videos? None at all." At this moment, Xiaofan explained. Yuan was considering starting a social media account, and I suggested she could adopt a contrasting theme. Given her appearance, filming some construction site videos would surely yield remarkable results. Thus, she set out to learn how to operate an excavator. While speaking, Jiang Xiaofan opened her phone and located Yuan's account. On the homepage, the videos showcased Yuan operating the excavator at the construction site. Each video accompanied by fitting captions. Some were sentimental, while others were motivational. The comments section was filled with admirers lamenting, expressing their sorrow that such a pure and beautiful woman was working on a construction site. It seemed utterly unjust. Little did they know, it was merely a facade. "Brother Yi, do you think I am very wicked for deceiving so many netizens?" Yuan waved his hand dismissively. "In this age of traffic, you have not deceived them out of money. So where is the question of good or bad? Moreover, we are in a post-apocalyptic world. I care not whether you are good or bad." Yuan's intention was to delve into her profile, but Feng Xiaowan clearly misunderstood. "Brother Yi, I do not wish to deceive anyone, especially not you. I swear to heaven, whatever you ask me to do, I shall do." Chapter 25. Surprised, delighted, happy? The phrase "whatever you want me to do, I shall do" is rather intriguing. Is Xiaowan hinting at something? Yuan was uncertain. However, during her earlier speech, her tameness level had increased by 5, indicating sincerity. Nevertheless, her tameness level was only 45 at present. Her loyalty remained low, even if her words were genuine. It did not guarantee she would not betray him in the future, unless she was tamed into a servant. Of course, this was contingent upon avoiding transformation into a zombie. Until Yuan became a servant, even if she offered herself willingly, Yuan would not dare to accept. What if she bit him while he was asleep? Naturally, the transformation into a zombie required 12 hours, during which the body would exhibit abnormal symptoms, such as prominent veins on the face and neck, bloodshot eyes, dark circles, fever, and so forth. However, these obvious changes would only become apparent 2 or 3 hours before the transformation. If one were to fall asleep, there was a risk of being bitten by the person beside them. Nevertheless, since Feng Xiaowan stated she would obey him in everything, it was an opportune moment to assert his authority. "Since you will listen to me in all matters, from this moment onward, I shall be the master of this household. The master bedroom belongs to Xiaofan and me, while you shall occupy the guest room. Is that agreeable? In truth, it matters little where one sleeps. Yet as the head of the household, it is essential to manifest one's status through formality." Yuan did not wish for the 3 of them to be indistinguishable in their roles. The most appropriate way to establish this was through the allocation of rooms. Feng Xiaowan, being quite perceptive, did not hesitate and readily agreed. After satisfying their appetites, Yuan felt the need to rest for a while. Having shot down a helicopter earlier in the morning and engaged in a fierce battle, his spirit was somewhat fatigued. A brief respite would restore his vigor. Yuan led Jiang Xiaofan into the bedroom, leaving Xiaowan alone in the living room. Gazing at the closed bedroom door, she felt a pang of loneliness and despondency. It is a natural sentiment for a solitary individual to experience such emotions upon witnessing couples retreating to their private quarters. Even if Yuan and Jiang Xiaofan were not romantically involved. Yet, that was of little consequence. In this desolate apocalypse, at least 2 souls could offer each other companionship, alleviating the dread within. Xiaowan yearned to join them, merely seeking the comfort of another's presence. In her solitude, she felt isolated, and the despair that had haunted her days prior began to seep back into her consciousness. Inside the room, As Yi Yuan and Jiang Xiaofan lay down, Hisu sent a message. Xiaofan, respond. Where are you? I can't reach the helicopter, and you haven't replied. I'm quite worried about you. Jiang Xiaofan read the text with an expression of indifference, even harboring a flicker of murderous intent. How dare he message me after sending a helicopter that nearly cost me my life? She contemplated blocking Hisu when, unexpectedly, he initiated a video call request. Accept it. We can confront him now, Yi Yuan suggested. In truth, Yi Yuan had long desired to lay bare the truth to Hisu, eager to witness his reaction upon learning the reality. However, revealing the truth too soon would only heighten the other's defenses, particularly concerning the helicopter. Yi Yuan had envisioned numerous scenarios in his mind, either luring the helicopter closer to the building or deceiving the pilot into his line of fire. Without such maneuvers, he could not eliminate the pilot. The true objective of this elaborate plan was to draw the helicopter in, once it was downed. The hope of acquiring new weapon samples would emerge. Hence, he refrained from provoking Hisu prematurely, allowing him to serve as a mere conduit for communication, facilitating Yi Yuan's negotiations with the helicopter's pilot. This decision had proven to be astute. With the helicopter now shot down, Hisu's relevance had diminished. And after revealing the truth, he would likely be infuriated, a sight that promised to be quite entertaining. Upon hearing Yi Yuan's words, Jiang Xiaofan accepted the video request. Hisu, upon seeing her, was instantly filled with excitement. Xiaofan, you terrified me. I couldn't reach the helicopter, and you didn't respond. I was so worried about you. Where are you now? Jiang Xiaofan let out a cold laugh. Where am I? Do you wish to know my whereabouts only to send another helicopter to finish me off? What? Me kill you? Xiaofan, please clarify your words. How could I possibly send a helicopter to harm you? Is there some misunderstanding? Moreover, your tone is rather frigid, and your gaze is quite intimidating. Xiaofan, could you refrain from treating me this way? Let us resolve any misunderstandings through conversation. Jiang Xiaofan was disinclined to engage in a lengthy discussion with Hisu and promptly recounted the events of this morning in their entirety. Hisu listened, utterly astonished. Impossible. I distinctly arranged with my father to rescue you, and then eliminate Yi Yuan. My affection for you is genuine. How could I issue a command for indiscriminate violence? It was not me, truly. No matter how Hisu attempted to justify himself, Jiang Xiaofan remained unmoved, her thoughts solely occupied by Yi Yuan. Observing her icy demeanor, Hisu, flustered, began to ramble incoherently, voicing both the appropriate and inappropriate sentiments. This matter does not involve me. I understand. It must have been Gu Yiming who issued the order. The helicopter was requisitioned through his connections, the weapons were arranged by him, and the gunmen were his men. Yes, it was Gu Yiming. That old scoundrel shows no regard for our past. He dares to threaten my woman. I shall not let this matter rest. Hisu, filled with indignation, continued to ramble incessantly. Jiang Xiaofan, however, coldly retorted, I am not your woman. I have never been. You are not my woman? Xiaofan, this is merely a misunderstanding. Please refrain from such hurtful words. Jiang Xiaofan maintained her frosty tone. There is no misunderstanding. You are short, dark, overweight, and unattractive. Notorious in Shu Du for being a philanderer. How could I possibly have feelings for you? I have merely been playing along due to your family's influence. I had long resolved that when I could no longer endure this charade, I would leave Shu Du and free myself from your entanglement. I am not lacking in wealth. And I am quite beautiful. Why would I demean myself to be with you? From the beginning, it has all been your own misguided affections. What? Hisu felt as though he had been struck by lightning. He realized he had been a sycophant for half a year. No, I refuse to believe it. You are lying. You are the purest woman in my heart. You could never deceive me. I, Hisu, am charming and handsome. How could I possibly be unworthy of you? Ha! Charming and handsome? You are utterly foolish, beyond redemption. The He family's power ensures that those around you flatter you incessantly. I cannot believe you took it seriously. Look in the mirror and ask yourself if you bear any resemblance to the charming and handsome, Jiang Xiaofan declared, feeling an immense sense of relief. Engaging in pretense with Hisu had been revolting. Finally expressing her true feelings was exhilarating. Xiaofan, do not use such venomous words to provoke me. I refuse to believe this reflects your true thoughts. Wait a moment. Hisu suddenly widened his eyes as if he intended to penetrate the screen with his gaze. Xiaofan, are you lying in bed? Didn't your house get bombed? Whose bed are you on? And your pillow, why does it resemble someone else's arm? At that moment, Yi Yuan shifted the camera. He and Jiang Xiaofan appeared simultaneously in the video, with her head resting on Yi Yuan's arm. Hello, He brother, it's a pleasure to see you again. Yi Yuan said with a teasing expression, a smirk playing on his lips. Surprised, aren't you? Both Xiaofan and I are still alive. Are you happy to witness this? Taken aback? Astonished? Chapter 26, A Heartless Kill. You intentionally infuriate me, Hisu gazed at the screen, where Yi Yuan wore a mocking expression, and his anger flared within him. The woman he cherished lay in another's embrace. How could he ask if he was happy? This was a heart-wrenching betrayal. Happy? Not in the slightest. Hisu seethed. Yuan, I swear I will kill you, you bastard. In that moment, Hisu was overwhelmed with humiliation. An endless wave of shame surged through him, and he gritted his teeth, wishing he could tear Yuan apart. And you, Jiang Xiaofan, you wretched woman, after all I've done for you, how could you treat me this way? You two will pay dearly for this. I vow I will kill you both. As Hisu raged like a mad dog, Yuan felt an overwhelming sense of satisfaction. The angrier Hisu became, the more delighted Yuan felt. Their parents had perished because of them, and in a previous life, Hisu had flayed him alive. This was merely a trifling punishment. Could he not endure this? Yuan wore a look of enjoyment and remarked, brother, don't be so furious. Have you forgotten? It was you who asked me to take care of Xiaofan. I have cared for her well, so why are you still angry? I'll take care of your nonsense. I asked you to look after her, not to steal my girlfriend. Oh, perhaps I overstepped. Brother, you know how beautiful Xiaofan is, and being young and impulsive. I simply lost control. You understand, don't you? We are all men here. Jiang Xiaofan could easily discern that Yuan was deliberately provoking Hisu. At that moment, she was equally incensed with Hisu. Thus, she played along, saying, Hisu, it's all your fault for being useless. If you had come to rescue me, I wouldn't have had to stay with Brother Yi. Just continue hiding in Luhu. Upon hearing these words, Hisu was nearly choked with rage, nearly spewing blood. Wretched woman, how am I useless? I tried every possible means to save you. And just because of a little mishap, you treat me this way. You are doing this on purpose to infuriate me. How I loathe you. The video call suddenly shook and then went black, indicating that Hisu had likely smashed his phone in his fury. Yuan and Jiang Xiaofan exchanged a knowing smile. How are you, Brother Yi? I believe my performance just now was quite commendable. Hisu looked as though he might bleed from sheer frustration. Haha. Yuan nodded with satisfaction. Your performance was exemplary. Maintain this momentum. For I do not wish to let this matter rest. I intend to drive Hisu to the brink of madness, rendering his entire family hopeless. Around 4 in the afternoon, Jiang Xiaofan awoke and ventured out to find Xiaowan, while Yuan remained in the room, preparing to replicate a new batch of weapons. After sleeping for over an hour, he felt invigorated. Logically, he should have awakened much earlier. Yet the monotony of the apocalypse warranted a longer rest to replenish his energy and facilitate the replication of more weapons. Although the energy consumption from inanimate objects was relatively low, excessive replication would inevitably lead to noticeable fatigue. Yuan retrieved the 762 general-purpose machine gun he had acquired today, first removing the 4x scope, and proceeded to replicate a dozen or so. He equipped one on his automatic rifle, then raised it towards the window, where the view instantly sharpened, drawing the distance much closer. Despite the fog enveloping the area, limiting visibility to merely 70 or 80 meters, achieving a headshot was significantly challenging. However, with the 4x scope, the task became considerably easier. Approaching the window, he surveyed the surroundings and spotted a zombie emerging from the mist, an ideal opportunity for practice. He immediately raised his rifle, aligning the crosshairs on the creature's forehead. Pulling the trigger, he heard a loud bang as the bullet was expelled from the chamber. Yet it failed to find its mark. The zombie, devoid of focus, staggered erratically, and just as Yuan pulled the trigger, the creature swayed slightly. Had it been a human, the shot would have certainly alerted them, but the zombie merely emitted a series of mindless roars before continuing its aimless wandering. In the early stages, zombies had not yet evolved their auditory senses. At a slight distance, they struggled to pinpoint the source of sounds. Yuan quickly aimed again at the zombie's head. Bang! The bullet struck true, piercing through the forehead, leaving a hole the size of a peanut. However, the tremendous kinetic energy exited through the back of its head, tearing a gaping fist-sized hole. Thus, even a shot to the chest, given the power of the automatic rifle, would incapacitate the zombie by severing its spinal cord, regardless of whether it killed the creature outright. At that moment, the bedroom door swung open, revealing Jiang Xiaofan and Xiaowan in the doorway. Brother Yi, are you shooting? Yuan nodded in affirmation. Xiaofan, you arrived just in time. Let me equip your gun with a 4x scope as well. Yuan spent a few minutes teaching Jiang Xiaofan how to assemble and disassemble the scope, as well as how to adjust the magnification. He then encouraged her to practice her marksmanship on the balcony. Meanwhile, Fang Xiaowan looked on with envy. Especially captivated by the sight of Jiang Xiaofan firing at the zombies below, it was simply breathtaking. She wondered when Brother Yi would finally trust her. I also desire a gun. Even if I cannot shoot, I would be content merely to hold one. The apocalypse instills a profound sense of insecurity, particularly among women. It is only upon grasping a firearm that one may feel a semblance of assurance. Jiang Xiaofan seemed to perceive Xiaowan's sentiments. Xiaowan, The gun was given to me by Brother Yi. Without his consent, I cannot allow you to wield it. However, rest assured, Brother Yi is a kind-hearted individual. As long as you are obedient, he will eventually accept you. Yuan nodded earnestly. To obtain a weapon from Brother Yi, she resolved to present herself favorably. Beginning with her appearance, Yuan approached the bedroom door and knocked gently. Brother Yi, may I come in? Come in, he replied. As she entered, Yuan was seated by the window, gazing at her. What brings you here? Brother Yi, I wish to change my outfit. The master bedroom had once belonged to Yuan, and her clothes were still neatly arranged in the wardrobe. Go ahead, Yuan said, resuming his task of duplicating a machine gun, unconcerned about being discreet. As the duplication process was concealed from others, standing before the wardrobe, Yuan's mind began to race. Brother Yi had instructed her to change, but did not specify that she should take her clothes away, implying that she could change in his presence. Yet, his attention seemed entirely absorbed in his work. At that moment, Yuan was focused on the machine gun in his hands, skillfully operating the energy printer to duplicate the internal space of the ammunition box. Yuan's imagination began to spiral. No, Brother Yi must be preoccupied with his thoughts. Hence the lack of clarity in his instructions. I must not demean myself. If I were to act in such a manner before Brother Yi, he would surely perceive me as a frivolous girl. I cannot tarnish my image. Once Brother Yi acknowledges me, he will grant me a weapon. It is difficult to fathom that what once captivated her were luxurious handbags, perfumes, and clothing, yet now her singular desire was for a cold, hard gun. The apocalypse had transformed women's interests. When life is under threat, nothing can substitute for a weapon, apart from sustenance. Yuan meticulously selected from her wardrobe, determined to choose the most appealing outfit that was not overly revealing. Otherwise, Brother Yi might think poorly of her. Unbeknownst to her, Yuan's taming level increased by 5. Chapter 27. Special Constitution of Feng Yuan. Armed servant Yuan was adept at navigating social dynamics. After much deliberation in the wardrobe, she ultimately chose a dark green, spaghetti-strapped, ultra-short silk dress. It accentuated her figure without being overtly provocative. After changing in the bathroom, she deliberately posed in front of the mirror. Unfortunately, Yuan remained engrossed in duplicating the light machine gun's ammunition box. Why isn't Brother Yi looking at me? She pondered. I must remind him. Clearing her throat, Yuan called out, Brother Yi, do you think this dress looks good on me? Internally, Yuan felt a surge of irritation. How can I concern myself with your dress when I am preoccupied with duplicating a super machine gun? Yuan casually glanced over, intending to silence Yuan. Yet, that single glance left him momentarily stunned. What on earth? Just changing her outfit increased her tameness by 5 points. How did that happen? Indeed, women are enigmatic creatures. However, as a staunchly straightforward man, Yuan had never been inclined to decipher a woman's thoughts. Considering Yuan's self-taming efforts, he decided not to hold it against her. Thus, he spoke. It looks beautiful, truly lovely, particularly suited to your figure and complexion, quite enchanting. This was sincere praise. Yuan's skin was so tender it seemed to glisten with moisture. The snug, lightweight ice silk dress accentuated her perfect figure. Flattered by the compliment, her heart raced with excitement. It seemed that Yi De held a favorable impression of her and even deemed her charming, prompting her to wear more beautiful clothes for him in hopes of earning his trust sooner rather than later. Just as this thought crossed her mind, her tameness score surged by another 5 points. Yuan felt a jolt of surprise. Impressive, indeed. This girl, Yuan, is a person of great potential. Her self-taming speed is extraordinary. Could she possess some innate special constitution? If so, that would be quite intriguing. Yuan, very well done. Keep it up, he encouraged. All right, Yi De, would you like to see me in other outfits? What a question. If you want to change, just do so. Who wouldn't want to see? However, he was currently preoccupied. I'm a bit busy right now, perhaps later. Okay, Yi De, I won't disturb you, she replied. After Yuan left, Yuan spent over 10 minutes finally replicating a super machine gun with a capacity of 30,000 rounds, utilizing 7.62mm ammunition, far surpassing the power of a .58 caliber. In suitable terrain, a sweeping barrage at a horde of corpses would obliterate them, even without headshots. Yet, one machine gun was insufficient, as firing 500 rounds would necessitate a barrel change, a luxury during critical moments. Consequently, Yuan replicated 2 additional super machine guns for alternating use, along with 100 spare barrels. Glancing at the time, it was only 4:30. His mental fatigue was not particularly severe. Thus, he replicated an automatic rifle and 2 handguns, each with a capacity of 10,000 rounds. He then retrieved a flask from his spatial warehouse. This was a previously replicated backup, specifically for crafting a spatial warehouse. After 30 repetitions, the internal space of the flask expanded to 130,000 cubic meters, equivalent to a small warehouse measuring over 50 meters in length, width, and height. This paled in comparison to Yuan's own warehouse of 26.83 million cubic meters. However, this spatial warehouse was intended for Zhang Xiaofan, so it certainly shouldn't be the same size as his own. From now on, her personal belongings, including weapons and ammunition, could be securely stored with her. To avoid the burden of handling everything myself, which diminishes my stature, it is essential to create a compact spatial repository for Zhang Xiaofan. Not only will it serve as a storage for personal belongings, but it will also assist in gathering supplies. Although the interior of the wine jug is already quite ample, the spout remains relatively small. Consequently, I have expanded the spout's capacity 100,000 times. Thus, even a car could fit within. Following this, I meticulously replicated another spatial repository intended for Feng Xiaowan. Her ability to self-discipline is exceptionally rapid, and barring any unforeseen circumstances, I should be able to extract 3 entries from her, transforming her into a servant. Hence, it is prudent to prepare in advance, including her weaponry. As I stepped out of the bedroom, I found Zhang Xiaofan practicing her marksmanship on the balcony, with Xiaowan watching intently. I called for a brief pause and presented the spatial repository to Zhang Xiaofan. This is the modified spatial repository. Time within is suspended, allowing for the storage of any item, which can be retrieved using your mental intent. It is now yours. I must emphasize that while you can extract items with your mental focus, others can as well, so refrain from exposing the spout unnecessarily. The jug comes with a flip-top leather case. Covering it will prevent mental intrusion. You may attach it to your waist or the outer thigh for convenience. Zhang Xiaofan accepted the petite wine jug, her mind a whirlwind of confusion. This, a wine jug? A spatial repository? It seemed as though Brother Yi was not fabricating tales. Trusting him deeply, she attempted to place her automatic rifle inside, and to her astonishment, it fit perfectly. Xiaowan stood by wide-eyed, as the spout, so diminutive, managed to accommodate such a sizable firearm. Then, a truly enchanting phenomenon occurred. The rifle, which had been stored within the jug, emerged from the spout, as if an invisible force was retrieving it. Wow, it truly works. Mental retrieval, how incredible! Zhang Xiaofan exclaimed, her excitement palpable. I then produced a shotgun with a capacity of 7,000 rounds and presented it to her, followed by a handgun boasting a capacity of 10,000 rounds, which also belonged to her. Finally, I bestowed upon her 100 grenades. I will provide you with an infinite supply of weapons and ammunition. With but one condition, master your marksmanship swiftly. I do not wish for my servant to be merely ornamental. While you may play around at home, outside, you must be adept at slaying zombies. Even when returning to the Deer Lake in the future, one must confront formidable adversaries. It is imperative to grow stronger beforehand. Recklessness, as in the past life, is no longer an option. After all, one possesses a golden opportunity, and exchanging one's life for another is not worthwhile. Continue honing your marksmanship. I shall take a moment to rest. By the way, if you tire from shooting, feel free to pause for a while and teach Xiaowan the use of firearms, allowing her to practice her skills as well. Given Xiaowan's aptitude for self-discipline, she will inevitably become my servant in due time. Ensuring her proficiency with firearms is entirely beneficial. However, I must remind you that you must be present whenever Xiaowan handles a gun. Yuan will not be complacent. After all, Xiaowan is not yet his servant. Granting her access to firearms does not equate to granting her complete trust in their use. Zhang Xiaofan must supervise to ensure that no mishap occurs. After conveying his thoughts, Yuan retreated to his bedroom to rest. Unbeknownst to him, his previous remarks had triggered Xiaowan's self-discipline mode once again. Brother Yi allows me to practice shooting, which signifies his recognition of me. How delightful. I must not disappoint Brother Yi. Let us give it our all and practice diligently. Quietly. Xiaowan's taming level reached 60, allowing for a second strong extraction. Chapter 28. Past connections around 6 in the evening. Darkness had already descended. Typically, the Shudu region would not succumb to nightfall until after 7, but the blood mist obscured the sunlight, causing dawn to arrive late and dusk to fall early. After a refreshing nap, Yuan awoke invigorated. As he stepped out of his bedroom, he was greeted by the tantalizing aroma of food wafting from the kitchen. Prior to sleeping, he had stocked the refrigerator full of ingredients to spare himself the daily hassle of cooking. The living room was empty, indicating that Xiaofan was likely assisting Xiaowan in the kitchen. Despite her appearance as a delicate girl unaccustomed to manual labor, Xiaowan possessed remarkable culinary skills, with cooking ranked second among her attributes. Approaching the kitchen door, Yuan intended to inquire about dinner, but upon seeing Xiaowan, he was momentarily taken aback. What an astonishing development! A taming level of 60? Xiaowan, Something must be amiss. I haven't done anything, and yet you have tamed yourself again. May there be more wonderful girls like Yuan in the future. Yuan took a moment to steady his excitement before focusing intently on the attribute above Yuan's head, extracting with vigor. In the next instant, a surge of mysterious energy coursed through Yuan's body. Simultaneously, the card above Yuan's head underwent a transformation. Feng Yuan Attribute 1. Excavator Operator. 95 Taming level allows for 3 extractions. Current taming level, 60 similar to Xiaofan. She must achieve a taming level of 95 to undergo a 3rd extraction. Given Yuan's momentum in self-taming, it is likely she will reach 95 in no time. For now, let us explore the newly acquired abilities. Yuan exhaled and opened the abilities panel, discovering a new skill, Earth Digger. Each instance of excavating soil and stone would yield experience points, and upon reaching 100, he could acquire free attribute points. Current experience points, 0, astonishing. He could now accumulate attribute points. Despite the formidable nature of his ability to infinitely replicate anything, his physical condition left much to be desired. Although he had engaged in intense physical training for over half a year prior to the apocalypse to avenge his parents, resulting in a slight enhancement of his physical capabilities compared to the average person, it was still limited. Especially now, in the midst of the apocalypse. Strength was essential for survival, and Yuan had long been dissatisfied with his physical prowess. However, this newfound ability to strengthen himself through excavation was a boon, directly converting into free attribute points. Strength, constitution, agility, spirit. He could allocate points as he wished. This was immensely exhilarating. Perfectly timed. He would scour the city for resources while simultaneously seeking out breathtaking beauties. With zombies lurking everywhere, tunneling underground was undoubtedly a safer option, allowing him to excavate while gaining attribute points. This was not merely 2 birds with 1 stone. It was a multifaceted advantage. As he contemplated his newfound fortune in this second life, Yuan couldn't help but express his gratitude for his improving luck. At that moment, Xiaofan spotted Yuan standing at the doorway. "Brother Yi, you're awake," she exclaimed. Yuan chimed in, "Brother Yi, dinner will be ready soon." Yuan nodded in acknowledgement. After enjoying some tea, dinner was prepared, and he inquired about the afternoon's events at the dining table. Yuan had now become proficient with handguns, automatic rifles, shotguns, and grenades. However, her marksmanship still needed improvement. Most of the zombies in the neighborhood had been eliminated by Yuan's grenades earlier in the morning, resulting in fewer targets for practice. Yuan shook his head and remarked, "It's not necessary to focus solely on zombies. As I mentioned, ammunition is an infinite supply. Anything can serve as a target. With diligent practice, there's no need to worry about wasting bullets." It was a jest. Given his ability to infinitely replicate, he could practice freely. As long as he could rapidly develop combat prowess, expending bullets was worth it. Reassured by Yuan's affirmation, Xiaofan and Yuan both breathed a sigh of relief. They had contemplated practicing shooting without restraint, but were uncertain about the costs associated with Yuan's ammunition replication, thus exercising caution. "By the way, Xiaofan, I recall you mentioning that he sent a helicopter to rescue a woman named Yuan, correct?" Jiang Xiaofan nodded. "Yes, Brother Yi. It seems she is Gu Yiming's wife, trapped in Pintanxiang. That's it. Lu Ruyan." Yuan mused, recalling their past connection. Lu Ruyan was Gu Yiming's second wife, young, beautiful, and an exceedingly rare gem of a woman. Moreover, she was somewhat different from Gu Yiming. In a previous life, after failing to achieve vengeance, I found myself captured by a gang led by Gu Yiming, who, rather than hastily ending my life, chose to torment me daily, for the end of the world had rendered their existence unbearably dull. Lu Ruyan, unable to bear witness to my suffering, secretly brought me food on several occasions, an act of kindness Yuan, have long cherished in my heart. Analyzing my situation based on past experiences, I returned to Luhu only to find not Jiang Xiaofan, but Lu Ruyan, indicating that after the initial rescue attempt had failed, Gu Yiming had dispatched a helicopter to rescue her. It seems I must act swiftly. Lu Ruyan, a woman of exquisite beauty, presents an opportunity from which I could derive significant advantage. I cannot allow this chance to slip away. I must locate her before Gu Yiming can whisk her away. The wife of my enemy transformed into my servant. What a delightful prospect. Regardless of my motives for revenge or the debts of gratitude for my previous life, I am determined to claim Lu Ruyan. Tomorrow, Xiaofan will accompany me on some errands. Xiaowan, you will stay home. What? Xiaowan immediately panicked, her face a mask of fear. Yuan reassured her, "I will return. There's no need to be frightened." Xiaofan added, "Don't worry, Xiaowan. Brother Yi always keeps his word." After much hesitation, Xiaowan finally spoke, "Can I come with you? I truly fear being alone at home." I cannot bear that sense of loneliness again. Even if brother Yi gives me a gun, when I am by myself, I will fall into despair. I do not want that. Ultimately, it was her own lack of strength that rendered her unable to control her fears. Yuan pondered for a moment. Very well, you may come along. After dinner, pack your belongings and place them in Xiaofan's spatial storage. Since you are joining us, we won't be returning tomorrow. Yuan resolved to set off the next day. Eager to find Lu Ruyan, the Yiping sandalwood, located in the main urban area, was not far away. Digging a tunnel there would be safe and devoid of risk. Most importantly, it would afford me the opportunity to impress Xiaowan. Yuan, seasoned in such endeavors, understood that showing off could instill a sense of admiration in the target, a form of subjugation in itself. Meanwhile, at the lakeside villa in Luhu, Hisu lay on the couch, seemingly soulless, murmuring Jiang Xiaofan's name in a barely audible tone. Occasionally, he would let out a bitter laugh. In moments of despair, he would slap himself harshly, leaving his face swollen. Before long, the villa's door swung open, revealing a stout man with a beer belly, Hisu's father, Xiaomin. Upon seeing his son's despondent state, Xiaomin was taken aback, fearing his son was on the brink of death. Su, what ails you? Are you unwell? Do you have a fever? Xu turned his head, his eyes bloodshot as he looked at his father, a grimace that teetered between laughter and tears escaping his lips. Xiaomin, do you even recognize me as your son? If you acknowledge me as your offspring, why have you chosen to annihilate the woman I hold dearest? Throughout my life, I have never harbored feelings for any woman, save for Jiang Xiaofan. Yet, you conspired with that scoundrel Gu Yiming to deceive me. Now, Xiaofan has become Yuan's woman. Are you satisfied now? Chapter 29. The powerful and the perverse listening to his son's grievances. Xiaomin let out a sigh of relief. At least he could ascertain that his son had not succumbed to the undead. It was merely a matter of heartbreak over a woman. Xiaomin was filled with a sense of frustration. It was just one woman after all. Was it truly worth such turmoil? Nevertheless, he had more pressing matters at hand. Xiaomin's corpulent figure rolled forward like a ball, swiftly arriving before his son. Suer, what did you just say? Jiang Xiaofan has become Yuan's woman? That implies they are both alive? This was the matter that concerned Xiaomin most. His late return home was due to strategizing with Gu Yiming. They had been unable to establish contact with the helicopter they had dispatched. This situation carried grave implications. If the helicopter had met with an unfortunate fate, it would be of little consequence. However, Yuan was armed. What if he was responsible for downing the helicopter? Inside that helicopter were machine guns and rocket launchers. If those weapons fell into Yuan's hands, and he stealthily returned to Luhu, all those involved in the covert assault on Yuan's parents would be in peril. This was no mere alarmist rhetoric. Xiaomin was acutely aware that the vicinity of Wudong Yuan, where Yuan resided, was adjacent to the Shujian River. Zombies could not swim. As long as Yuan fought his way into the Shujian, he would have a chance to return to Luhu. And many survivors had made their way to Luhu in recent days. Thus, Xiaomin and Gu Yiming took this matter exceedingly seriously. However, despite extensive inquiries, news of Yuan's fate remained elusive, until now, from his own son. Suer, answer me. Is Yuan alive? After a dismal afternoon, Hisu finally erupted. He sprang to his feet. Xiaomin, are you truly my father? You wish to kill the woman I cherish, and I shall sever our father-son bond. Slap. Xiaomin's hand struck Hisu's cheek. You spineless wretch. You are the son of Xiaomin, yet you possess none of my resolve. To forsake our bond for a woman? Without my protection, see how many would come to your aid. If you sever ties with me, I guarantee you will starve. And no one will come to claim your body. It is merely a woman. If you regain your composure, I will provide you with as many women as you desire. This slap ignited Hisu's fury. He glared at Xiaomin. Indeed, you are indifferent to women because you are a homosexual. Do not presume that I am unaware. The bodyguards surrounding you are all entangled with you, are they not? Yet I am a man of normal disposition, and I harbor feelings for Xiaofan. Yet you seek to annihilate her. Now it is Xiaomin who is incensed. How dare you, you beast, brazenly reveal my secrets? The truth of my orientation must remain concealed from all but me. This wretched creature dares to shout so loudly. Has he a death wish? If this information were to leak, how could I, Xiaomin, continue to navigate the circles of power? With a resounding slap, Xiao is struck once more. Beast, silence yourself. Someone, take him to the basement and allow him to cool off for a few days. Soon, Xiao is forcibly dragged away by a cadre of muscle-bound men clad in tank tops. It is truly remarkable. The household is filled with such brawn. Yet one cannot discern if Xiaomin, the corpulent figure, is a dominant or submissive partner. Should he be the latter, the implications are too graphic to entertain. Xiaomin yearns to unleash his frustrations upon a sturdy man, yet there are more pressing matters at hand. He promptly dials Gu Yiming. Brother Gu, Yuan is not dead. This is irrefutably true. It was Sewer who informed me. Alas, he is aware of our plot to eliminate both him and Xiao Fan. And now he is at odds with me. I cannot ascertain the full details, but one thing is certain. Yuan still lives. Meanwhile, in another lakeside villa on Black Pearl Island, Yiming hangs up the phone with a grim expression. It appears Yuan has uncovered the truth regarding his parents' demise. Otherwise, he would not have been so vigilant, even going so far as to shoot down a helicopter. Although Xiaomin did not disclose this in his call, Yiming has deduced it. The helicopter was dispatched to eliminate Yuan and would subsequently fetch his wife from Pintanxiang. Now, the only concern now is for my lady. Yiming dialed Lu Rian's number. Hello Rian, have you eaten? Are there any zombies outside? That's good. Be careful. Reinforce the doors and windows. I will find a way to bring you back soon. After hanging up, Yiming's hatred for Yuan deepened further. I have been too soft-hearted. If I had eliminated him when he was hospitalized, there would have been no subsequent troubles, and he would not have shot down the helicopter. Now, Rian is trapped in Pintanxiang, which is quite troubling. Yiming let out a long sigh. In the short term, it is impossible to borrow a helicopter from the military. I hope Rian can hold on. To say that Yiming loved Lu Rian would be an overstatement. It was more a matter of possession. In his earlier years, he was a man who indulged in pleasures, having tasted the beauty of the world. However, he stumbled at the home of Brother San. The Baixiang family was notorious for rampant viruses and bacteria, and Yiming had deliberately sought out a high-caste beauty, only to fall victim to an unknown virus. It took him 3 years to recover, a desperate gamble that ultimately saved his life. However, it left him utterly transformed, akin to a eunuch. His wife could not endure the life of a widow and eventually sought a divorce. Since then, Yiming's psyche gradually twisted. He could no longer engage with beauties, but rather felt a compulsive need to possess them. I don't need to use them. I simply want to possess them. This mindset took root within him. Lu Rian was a woman he had forcibly married, though he had never touched her. The psychology of possession brought Yiming immense satisfaction, a sense of having a treasured possession. This obsessive collecting instinct deepened over time. Much like a cherished bottle of Matai from the year of the goat, the longer it was kept, the more precious it became. This distorted mentality eventually led Yiming to develop feelings for Lu Rian, even though he had never used her, viewing her as a rare gem, too precious to defile. Rian, once I bring you back, you will never roam freely again. You are mine, and always will be. I will absolutely not allow anyone to touch you. Chapter 30. The Wrath of Rian. The Empress crashing into the zombie horde. Pintanxiang is an older residential community in Shidu. Despite its age, the greenery and amenities are well established. Do not be misled by its antiquity. The residents are all of high status, while the cars entering and exiting may seem ordinary. One often spots license plates bearing numbers like 888 or 666. Pintanxiang is one of the earliest high-end villa districts in Shidu, home to many magnates. Lu Rian enjoyed the vibrant atmosphere of the old city, prompting Yiming to purchase a villa for her there, where she occasionally stayed for a couple of days. Of course, this was merely an excuse. Fundamentally, it was a respite from Yiming's overwhelming control, which left her feeling suffocated. Yet, her parents were under the control of Yiming. Left with no choice, Lu Rian reluctantly chose to marry him. In the prime of her youth, she found herself wed to an elderly man. The most disheartening aspect was that this old man was not only ineffectual, but also exerted a stifling control over her. The thought of it filled Lu Rian with despair. Only in the sanctuary of Pintanxiang could she find a momentary respite. She needed to do nothing but recline on the sofa, listening to music, soothing her weary soul. However, she never anticipated that an apocalypse would suddenly descend upon her. Outside, the streets were teeming with flesh-eating zombies. After initially succumbing to fear, Lu Rian regained her composure, fortifying the doors and windows to prevent the undead from entering. Despite the peril lurking outside and the dwindling supplies in her refrigerator, at that moment, she felt an overwhelming sense of freedom. She could no longer reach her parents, who might have perished. Yiming was trapped at Luhua, unable to exert control over her any longer. Who would have thought that it would take an apocalypse for her to attain liberation? Standing on the second-floor balcony, Lu Rian gazed at the brightly lit community, filled with the heads of the undead. She exhaled softly, her heart in turmoil. Would Yiming send a plane to rescue her? Should she leave when the time came? She had no desire to return to Luhua or to be beside Yiming again. Yet, reality was harsh. The outside world was rife with danger, and her food supplies were running low. If she did not leave soon, starvation would claim her life. Was she destined to return to that prison-like home? Lu Rian wrestled with her thoughts for a long time before ultimately conceding. Those who survive do so out of a fear of death. She did not wish to die, let alone be devoured. Her only hope lay in awaiting Yiming's next rescue mission. Perhaps this was her fate. In every apocalyptic film, there exists a protagonist endowed with extraordinary luck. If only such a person could save her from this plight, she would do anything, as long as it meant avoiding a return to Gu Yiming. As she turned, her graceful form swayed back into the living room. She did not intend to flaunt her figure. In an apocalypse, there was no one to admire her. Her body moved naturally, her waist twisting unconsciously as she walked with an alluring sway. It was precisely this charm that led Gu Yiming to treasure her, keeping her from the prying eyes of others. Even a mere glance could provoke his wrath. The lives lost over Lu Rian numbered at least 5 or 6. Some were frivolous in their words, others lewd in their gazes, while some boldly pursued her. All met their demise at the hands of Gu Yiming, who refused to allow his precious possession to be sullied by anyone else. Just as Lu Rian entered the living room, she heard a voice calling for help. Help! Is there anyone to save me? A woman is crying for help, her voice drawing nearer to her villa. Lu Rian feels a sudden chill run through her body. She quickly hides behind the floor-to-ceiling window on the balcony, parting the curtains slightly to see a middle-aged woman sprinting under the streetlight. Indeed, she is heading directly toward Lu Rian's home. Behind her follows a throng of zombies, drawing ever closer. In the next moment, the woman stumbles and falls to the ground, and the horde of zombies overwhelms her. A chilling scream erupts. Lu Rian has grown accustomed to such horrors, having witnessed the gruesome sight of zombies feasting on humans in recent days. Yet, it is particularly unfortunate that this woman meets her demise less than 20 meters from her home. Once the zombies finish their grisly meal, they will undoubtedly discover Lu Rian. After all, several zombies outside have been incessantly pounding on the door, which will surely attract others. At that point, the fortified doors and windows may not hold. What should I do? I must devise an escape plan in advance. Once the zombies breach the door, it will be too late. Lu Rian's mind races, filtering through various possibilities, yet none seem feasible. At that moment, the horde has completely consumed the woman, dozens of them like hyenas feasting on carrion, finishing their meal in less than a minute, clearly still unsated. A zombie then catches sight of Lu Rian's villa. The 3 zombies downstairs continue their relentless assault on the door, roaring incessantly. Such proximity quickly draws the attention of the horde. Oh no, I've been discovered. Lu Rian holds her breath, paralyzed with fear, her mind overwhelmed with images of zombies devouring human flesh. I refuse to be consumed by them. Who will save me? She has witnessed the horrific scenes of zombies feasting on humans a dozen times, each seared into her memory, too gruesome to bear. The thought of such a fate is unbearable, yet not everyone possesses the courage to take their own life. Suddenly, Lu Rian makes a resolute decision. I must charge out. Although this could lead to my demise, it is preferable to awaiting death within these walls. The horde has reached the ground floor. The front door is on the verge of collapsing under their assault. If I do not flee now, escape will soon be impossible. In the garage, there lies a sleek, black tank, powerful enough to break through the horde. Though the outside world is still teeming with zombies, and the night is fraught with danger, there is no time to ponder such matters. Lu Rian races to the kitchen, seizing a kitchen knife, and swiftly makes her way to the garage. In older villas, the garage is typically located on the ground floor. The garage door operates via an electric remote control. Lu Rian jumps into the vehicle, ignites the engine, and presses the remote. The garage door clatters open, slowly rising, drawing the attention of the horde, which converges upon her location. Through the narrow gap of the rolling shutter door, a ghastly sight emerged. Bloodied and mangled feet were distinctly visible. Lu Rian's heart raced to her throat. Her hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. The electronic handbrake had long since been released, her right foot poised delicately on the brake, ready to unleash the accelerator at a moment's notice. The shutter rose higher and higher, and one by one, zombies began to surge in, clamoring around the SUV, their frantic hands battering against it. Lu Rian dared not glance at the undead outside, her gaze fixated on the shutter door. Hurry! Faster! At this juncture, the SUV was completely encircled. The shutter had not fully ascended, yet it was sufficiently high for the vehicle to escape. Charge! The enchanting Lu Rian let out a primal roar from her throat. With a sudden thrust, her right foot slammed down on the accelerator, driving it to the floor. The SUV roared to life, crashing through the horde of zombies that obstructed its path, mercilessly mowing them down. Even from within the vehicle, the sickening sound of bursting flesh echoed. Under the bright beams of the headlights, the grotesque visages of the zombies clung to the front of the car, clearly discernible. Lu Rian momentarily cast aside her fear. Focused and fierce, her eyes widened, and a low growl emanated from her throat as her right foot pressed firmly on the accelerator. At last, the SUV plowed through the mass of corpses, bursting forth from the garage. Yet, a sense of confusion enveloped her. There were more zombies outside. Where should she go?